different.
You
Now,
just
Charlie-
triggered Jimmy. That's all I'm saying.
Well, not necessarily triggered. I want to bring up Georgi Mihailovic because he's made 11 appearances for the U.S. men's national team, 5 of them coming during the 2023 Gold Cup. He's leaving Azad Alkmaar in Holland, one of the leagues that Jesse just stated as a good stepping stone into potentially something bigger. He played 36 total times, or 36 games, excuse me. He's made 10 starts, scored 2 goals, and now it looks like he is leaving them in this January transfer window and coming back to MLS. Now, he played for the Chicago Fire and the Montreal Impact. He's 25 years old. And he went and did what everybody, I would say, wants our younger players to do. Go test yourself in Europe or you know, at 25, 26, where Miles Robinson is as well. Go see what you can do, take that step. But he's coming back. So, Charlie, I'm going to come to you on this. Do you feel like the perception is that we're looking down upon Georgi Mihailovic because he tried and he quote-unquote failed, and it didn't work out for him? There's plenty of reasons why it potentially didn't work out for him. Coaching changes, not playing in his best position, so on and so forth. But instead of pushing himself to go find another club in Europe, he's coming back to MLS. And I already know what the response is going to be from most fans, especially U.S. men's national team fans. Where are you on this?
Saying that you ventured out to Europe to try to take your game to the next level, finding the right club, playing in Champions League, playing in European competition, and coming back to MLS, that's not failing. It didn't work out. And he would tell you himself, I'm sure, that things didn't go according to how he planned or how he had hoped. But Alkmaar is a big club in the Dutch league, and if you're not playing at Alkmaar, given that PSV, Feyenoord are the 2 top teams, it's tough to go to another place that you would feel would be an equivalent to Alkmaar if you didn't succeed in the way that you had hoped, versus going to back home where you're most likely going to be guaranteed playing time. You're going to have a larger contract than you did in Holland, and I understand where he's coming from because I've been there, and I know a number of players who've been there. If you kind of feel like I'm not, this isn't going the way I had hoped, and I think I could go back, get a long playing time, find that joy again in playing,
and then what? And then what? Make a move at 29, 30? I mean,
no. There's probably not another new move.
That's what I mean. He's
right.
This is an interesting decision because then now he's basically locked into MLS.
Yes, he is.
The rest of his career, most likely.
Most likely. And
I tried to make a move at 29 and 30 after my World Cup appearances, and it was hard for me because teams are like, we're not gonna take a 29, 30-year-old guy when we can just find. We have one in the academy who's 18 or 19.
You're not going to invest in the unknown at someone who's 29 and 30. That's just not going to happen. But what I can tell you is Georgi Mihailovic was on the verge of being in the MVP race in MLS before his ankle injury with Montreal. So if he can win an MVP and play at that level, then he'll get a national team call-up. And then it's on him to perform at that same level at the international stage. So it's not a failure at all. And I don't think anyone would look at Georgi Mihailovic because he still played. He didn't excel in the way that he wanted to, but he still played.
Jesse, I want to give you some context because I've talked about this before on the previous iteration of this show, and the context is this: when I got to play in the World Cup in 2006, I held my own against some of the best players in the world, and what I learned throughout that process is that you're either ready when that whistle blows, or you're not. It didn't really matter where you played prior to the whistle blowing for a World Cup game or where you're going to play afterwards. It's like, are you ready at that moment? And in that tournament, me and Clint Dempsey came back as 2 of the highest rated players for the U.S. Now, and we only had MLS experience. So I'm a little bit torn because I'm probably not the right person to talk about MLS versus Europe. I, of course, would have loved to gone over there, and I had something fall through with Hanover and Steve Cherundolo, who was pushing really hard for me behind the scenes to get over to the Bundesliga, which I thought would have been a great league for me, and to maybe see out my last 4 or 5 years and maybe come back afterwards. But I ultimately applied my trade in MLS, and I thought that I made the most of it. But from a coaching perspective, and putting your coaching hat on, which I don't think you ever take off at this point, because I think you're way past being a player, how do you evaluate Mihailovic and Miles Robinson if you're do you see it as they're not ready for the adversity? Do you see it as them being soft? I'm just throwing these out there as kind of perceptions. Not saying it's real.
Don't forget finances.
Finances come into it, of course, too.
Yeah, I mean, let's take the finances and put it as the last category, right? Because I think it should be. It should be more about how do you maximize your potential in your career. I think that Jordy Mihailovic and Miles Robinson are different because I think Miles Robinson's potential is actually higher than Jordy's. And it's not that Jordy's a good player, right? And he has big potential. He's still young. I love that he went over there, and I thought the move to AZ was a great move. So I'm a little bit surprised that it's ended abruptly at this point. I would have thought that the club would have taken more time to invest in him, especially with his age and his profile. Is it a failure? No, I absolutely don't think it's a failure. I think that he went there, he tried his best to apply himself. He had opportunities to play. I saw one match that he played, and he didn't stick out either way. I thought he fit in the game fine, but he didn't make an imprint. And obviously when you're an attacking player, those are you need to find ways to score goals, to get assists, to have impacts on games, which makes it a little bit more difficult in some ways to establish yourself at clubs in Europe than maybe if you're a defender or a defensive midfielder or a position like this. Coming back, if I were part of his team, I would encourage him to stay in Europe and see if he could find something else. And maybe it's a league like Austria, maybe it's a league like Denmark, maybe it's a second Bundesliga, maybe it's a championship, maybe it's something like this where he still tries to establish himself, continues to be outside of his comfort zone, and see if he can grow within the European system, and then find other opportunities to go to bigger clubs down the road. But
do you see that thinking that MLS will always be there?
Yes,
right.
Absolutely. And it's not bad. I mean, we know MLS is growing, and we know it's a competitive league, and we know that players are still developing here. But if you've got your foot in the door in Europe, stay. Keep going, man. Don't give up. Like, this happens in life. Like, you have steps backwards. The development paths aren't always just taking off in an easy way. You have to fight for everything. So, and by the way, you establish character, you establish grit, you establish ability to understand what it takes to be successful. And this is not just football, this is life, right? So, okay, coming back, I would encourage him to try to stay, but who knows what his opportunities are. Yes, you're right. Then you have to, if at the end everything seems even, or you're not so sure, and the finances come in and it makes sense to come back to MLS and you feel like you're going to be the focal point of something, then maybe you should consider that. But again, I'm not a European snob about football, but if you want to really challenge yourself, right? The fact is, you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to go to places where you're in over your head. You have to feel like, man, every day this is so hard, and I have to fight for everything. And when you succeed, the feeling is incredible, right? So, yeah, that's again, this is for me with Miles as well. Like, why not? Why not? Can always come back to Cincinnati in a year, just like Jordy is right now. Go for it, man. Like, shoot for the stars and see what happens.
I want Jesse to be my life coach. That's what I want.
Jesse, I think it just comes down to timing, right? Everything works out in our world and on this schedule, and when is the right time to make the move versus when a team is not looking for that certain position. And I think in Miles Robinson's case, it's a little difficult to make a big move as a free agent to a European club that makes sense for him, given where he's trying to go at this stage in his career. Because he's not the youngest player, right? So you need to be going to a top league or a team that is top of the table in a smaller league where they're still playing in European competition to continue to push. So I agree with you. I would love to see Miles in Europe, but if you're also thinking on the flip side, man, I get a large contract, guaranteed money, and given the center back depth pool, I think I still will be in a position to play. That no one's really going to push me out if I'm playing consistently with Cincinnati and we're winning, which they still have an incredible team in MLS. I think he's in a good position. And Jimmy, to go back to your original point of you and Clint playing in the 2006 World Cup, you could argue, hey, the Saudi Arabian team, most of them played domestically, and they beat Argentina, who were the eventual World Cup champions. And
right.
there was a good amount of players who had solid World Cups throughout the whole group stage for Saudi Arabia. But does that mean they should only play in Saudi Arabia if they want to maximize their potential? It's like, no. Same with Kylian Mbappe on the opposite end of the spectrum. Guy scores a hat trick in a World Cup final. But are people thinking he should stay at PSG for the rest of his career? No. You got to leave France.
Finances.
Go to La Liga. Go to the English Premier League and play tough competition week in and week out. And that's how you continue to fulfill your potential, by getting pushed every single week. And I think it's similar to Americans who are playing in Major League Soccer who are super talented. It's go out where nothing is guaranteed. Every week you have to earn your spot. It just gives you that a little bit of texture that you're missing if you just stay in MLS and you know you're going to play every week. When you know you don't have to, look over your shoulder. You know you're not getting pressure from a coach or from the crowd because of relegation or European places. There's just an added fuel to your development when you're playing with those type of stakes on the line. And I think Christian Pulisic is a great example. Dortmund goes to Chelsea, expectations are here, not playing, feels like he should. I think we all think, watching him play, that he should be getting more minutes.
Warm welcome to you from the Emirates Stadium.
Not happening.
My name's Guy Mowbray, and alongside me is Sue Smith for commentary. And it's all about the drama of squad battles here.
Crazy
it's Arsenal,
salary
and they take
over
on
5-6 years guaranteed.
Yeah, cheers,
but
guys.
wants
Great
to
to be here. I think
pushing, because I think in his mind, he wants to be world class. And the only way that's going to happen is if he goes to these clubs and plays and proves it every single day.
But all right, we're going to take our first break of Call It What You Want. When we come back, we're talking Americans abroad from the weekend after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Call It What You Want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Davies and Jesse Marsh, and we're doing a little Americans abroad. What do the guys get up to from our player pool this past week/weekend? Now, we want to say that we're recording this before Celta de Vigo plays Real Betis, which could be a potential Luca de la Torre versus Johnny Cardoso showdown. Hopefully they both get to play. That would be pretty sweet. But getting into the results, Milan in the round of 16 in the Coppa Italia beat Cagliari 4-1. Pulisic came off the bench and had an assist to Rafael Leao, even though he kind of just played it out wide to Leao did the rest. But whatever, an assist.
100% assist.
Pulisic, 3 goals and 3 assists in his last 7 games. Long may that continue. I was actually really interested to see how Samuel Chukwueze played, because he got the opportunity to start in this cup game over Pulisic, and I think Pulisic's fine. I'm a big Chukwueze fan, but he didn't make most of that opportunity. Nottingham Forest with a big 2-1 win over Manchester United. Matt Turner goes from 0 to hero, kind of back to 0. Another bad mistake from him led to a goal. The transfer window is open, so we'll see.
And then back to hero, no?
Then back to hero, yeah. From 0 to hero, and then hero. Yeah, I don't know. He's got to figure out his feet, or just, you know what? Don't play the ball back to him anymore. That's my tip for Nottingham Forest defenders. Juve beat Roma 1-0. Starts for Weah and McKinney right next to each other. That was pretty sweet. Middlesbrough losing 3-1 at home, and to Coventry. Haji's Wright scores in back-to-back games. He also scored in the 2-2 draw versus Swansea. The Norwich 1-1 versus Southampton. Josh Sargent is back and healthy, and he scores the game-tying goal in that one. So, boys, I'm going to get to you guys. Jesse, I'm coming to you first. Which player abroad really stood out for you this past week?
Well, I always feel like we're covering sort of the higher end of the players, and it's good to, I think, include some of the other players that are establishing themselves at different places. So, Haji Wright, right, at Coventry, has actually had a good season, and he scored a goal that is actually one of these goals that's going in, and then he kind of stole it. So it's maybe not the best goal to talk about, but the fact that he scored 6 goals in 12 games, I think it's time to talk a little bit about some of his performances. And Haji's one of these players, a little bit like Tim Weah, that can play in different spots. And even if I go back, I first saw him when we met Tyler Adams, when he was with the U17s down in Bradenton. Tyler was 15 at the time, and Haji was the striker. So Haji, for me, is still in his best spot, probably a striker, but he has flexibility to his game. And I thought back then that he had big potential to be a big player in the U.S. system, and he's kind of sort of wavered through Europe and been at different clubs and done okay, but not really established himself anywhere. Maybe looking back, it might have been better for him to go to MLS for a couple of years to kind of try to really establish himself and get himself moving forward, and then seek out a transfer to a European club. Nonetheless, he's still young, and they've been playing him mostly on the left. And when he likes to come in on his right foot, and he's scored goals by putting it in the opposite corner. Sometimes he's scored goals from picking up rebounds and being clever in the box. But he's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's clever, he's good with the ball. He has all the tools to be a great player, and hopefully he can continue on this path in Coventry, and then maybe find a way to either help Coventry push themselves in the championship, maybe get into a playoff spot, or then catch the eye of some other clubs that are a little bit bigger in England and maybe have a chance to play in the Prem.
Yeah, that would be exciting. Long may that continue, this run that he's on. 3 goals and 3 assists in his last 6 games. Charlie, who stood out for you?
You know, we always talk about, like Jesse said, the top guys of the echelon, up the upper echelon, but one guy that is kind of gone silent a little bit is Tim Weah. So, you know, due to injury,
he's 1,000% upper echelon. But okay,
yeah,
keep going.
but he's been not.
Charlie's going out on a limb. He's going out on a limb here.
I really am, because he's been a non-talking point for a while. I mean, he's been injured since October 29th, like the end of October or something like that. So he had a hamstring injury. He's back. He's played past couple of weeks, but last match against Roma, he played 90 minutes. We know how important he is to the success of the U.S. men's national team, just because he has that pace, that kind of like burst that not many players have in our pool. So in terms of stretching back lines, and we know he's playing as a right wing back, and he played right back and left back for Lille before moving to Juve. So he's kind of got this all-around quality in terms of he can play either wing, either side, whatever's asked of him. You know, you can depend. He's consistent, and so I love the fact that he's back on the pitch. He's healthy. Played a full 90 against a tough Roma side. They got the win 1-0, but he's going to be very important to the success of the U.S. men's national team moving forward.
Yeah, producer Ivis coming up with a great stat. He was 7 for 7 in his passing in the final third versus Roma. So shout out to Timo Weah and making good soccer decisions under pressure.
Yes.
All right, so for me, I'm going to go with Josh Sargent. Guy hasn't played, I don't know, we're talking Timo Weah not playing since October. Sargent hasn't played since August. Well, this is his second game back, and he gets his goal against Southampton. And what I really love about Sargent is his ability to change his speed in tight spaces. And I think he's done much better job of that as he's continued to evolve as a player. But his little change of speed, his burst, it takes a shot, and it goes between the defender's legs and trickles into the back post. It felt purposeful, not lucky. And what's interesting is that Norwich, his club, they were doing really well to start the season. Then he gets hurt, and now they're mid-table in the championship. He comes back, and he's already having an immediate impact. And I really like Sargent's game in a lot of different ways. I think he's a tireless worker. He'll run the channels. He'll do the dirty work, the thankless work up top. He's getting much better at holding the ball up. And I think that when you bring him into the conversation about our striker-player pool with Balogun and with Ricardo Pepi, it becomes pretty interesting. And I think what's fun
what's
is that,
interesting about it, Jimmy?
Well, I appreciate you setting me up that way, Charlie. I would say that they bring a little bit something different. And if you're Greg, though they do share some similarities in where they want to get the ball and how they want to bring other players into the game, there's something about Sargent that I think he has maybe a little bit more versatility. Not that Balogun and Pepi can't play in the wing, but I think Sargent could go out there and thrive potentially. And if we do have some injuries or if players are performing at a high level, I think Sargent should be considered in a potential winger set. Or if we're going to start to slot into a 2-striker system, as we saw with Balogun and Pepi, as a possibility. And I like what that could potentially look like moving forward. I think Sargent could be a nice add into that equation too. I'm just glad he's back, because when he's healthy, he's very good. And even when he played in the World Cup in Qatar, we were a different team when he was on the field as opposed to when he wasn't. And we just need this guy to stay healthy, because I think he gives us different options within the team. So Jesse, any thoughts on Sargent in particular?
Yeah, I like him. I think you're right. He is a hard worker. He's got a lot of tools to his game. He's got some pace. He's clever. He's good in combination. He can hold balls. He's good in the box. He's got a lot of ways he can finish.
That's it.
You know, he's one of these strikers that maybe the thing that prevents him from always performing at the highest level is he doesn't have one massive strength. You know, like most strikers need to be really fast, really strong, good in the air, clever 1v1. You need some kind of quality. And what Sargent winds up doing is he's a good all-around striker, and then he can be clever in the box. And that can be enough. That can be enough to be an effective striker at a high level. But he's got to maximize then his ability to sniff out plays and score easy goals, which again, we all know go Inzaghi. You can go down the list of strikers that this was the way that they played. And so, yeah, I mean, I've always liked Josh, and I think that he would fit in the ways that I like to play the game. But, you know, just keeping him healthy, keeping him scoring goals, right? Making sure that he's maximizing his chances around the goal. Those will be keys for him.
Well, now he's got 4 goals and an assist in 310 minutes in the championship. If you do the math at home, that is a goal or an assist every 60 minutes. That's a pretty good rate of return from Mr. Josh Sargent. So we'll see how he continues to perform for Norwich as they try to work their way back up into the table and potentially into a playoff spot so they can get back into the Premier League as well. All right, some notable weekend fixtures coming up for everybody. We got Fulham versus Rotherham in the FA Cup. That's happening on Friday at 3:30 p.m. On Saturday, Coventry and Haji Wright taking on Oxford in the FA Cup. Sunday, we got Empoli versus AC Milan at 6:30 a.m. for all you early birds. That's on P+. Then we got Nottingham Forest versus Blackpool. Will Matt Turner start in this FA Cup match, or will he be rested, or what the future of Matt Turner? I'm very curious about how Nuno Espirito Santo handles his situation moving forward. Then Salernitana versus Juve on the Golasso Network on 12 p.m. on Sunday as well. All right, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the January camp that some people call Camp Cupcake, which I clearly have an issue with, but we don't need to talk about it right now because we got this break. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you right after this. Welcome back to Call What You Want. I'm Jimmy alongside Jesse and Charlie. We're going to talk a little January camp because there are some haters out there that don't like this camp. Like, it's just for MLS guys. It's just for guys that aren't playing much in Europe. And I actually think it's a really vital camp because you get an opportunity to see the deeper part of our player pool and who can emerge from the pack to potentially push into the first team. And I was one of those players, so I saw a lot of value in it. Jesse, I know you were part of a couple of January camps, as were you, Charlie. And you feel the same way, Jesse, yes?
Well, you call it Camp Cupcake. For me,
that's what the haters call it.
I'm just saying, that's the only camp I was like ever invited to. So for me, this was the World Cup final every session. But then, you know, I was there as an assistant too, and I think there's almost 2 categories of players that are in that camp. And when you're the coach, you need category 1, which is the players that have been part of the first team, and you need them to help establish what the environment's like, what the training is like, what the football is, what the level is, so that they're translating that in a big way. And it's a chance to apply leadership skills to some of these players and give them bigger roles in the process of what you're trying to do with the national team. And then obviously, you could argue more important or just as important is the young players who maybe it's their first chance to be in with the national team. And the guys that you want to take a real good look at, probably give a start in the camp and see if they, at the international level, if their talent can translate. So, yeah, I mean, I know that it's not always the most exciting for the fans because it doesn't have all the big names attached, but it's really vital in the process of what you're trying to create with the national team.
I thank you for saying that, Jesse. I've been trying to say that for so many years, but the haters are going to hate. Charlie, I know you appreciate the January camp as well.
I do. I mean, the first January camp I was a part of, and whenever you get called in with the U.S. men's national team, it's massive. It's not just a game, it's a whole camp. So there's the fitness aspect of, yeah, you're getting fit for the next season. So you kind of get a head start, which I also was very appreciative of. Maybe not at the time when you're actually doing the fitness drills, but I liked coming in knowing that I'm going to be better prepared to hit the ground running start of the season, because in Scandinavia it was very similar to MLS's schedule. So I always start preseason on the upper foot. So, we played Sweden in the friendly for the January camp, and Sasha Kleshin had a hat trick. That kind of set him up because every club now, you had your regular season with Chivas at the time, USA, to back up to say, hey, I'm performing at a really high level, consistent throughout the league, but they might say, we don't know how to compare that. Well, you do now because I scored a hat trick against Sweden. So that opened up a lot of doors. I know Celtic were very interested in trying to sign him at the time, and then obviously Anderlecht is a club that ended up working out for him. But it's a great opportunity to understand exactly what the manager wants. And I think it's more important growing that bond, showing your quality, all your qualities, what you're capable of, because that is, for a young player to be in that environment for 3 weeks or so, that's the value. I'm on the same page. I know exactly where I stand. I know what I need to do to get there, and now I'm motivated, and now I just got to go out there and play. So it's a big camp, and for all the listeners out there, this is a camp where you can identify the future in a way. Right. Some of the kids who maybe fell through the crack and didn't go to Europe right away, that are in MLS, you're going to know a lot more about them after this camp.
January camp roster to be announced this Friday on January 5th, so be on the lookout for that. And there is one game happening in this camp. The U.S. are going to take on Slovenia on January 20th. So, boys, one player each. Who do you want to see included in this, and why? Jesse Marsh, who is your player?
Miles Robinson.
Oh, he loves Miles Robinson. I think I number one fan. I think you got Miles Robinson pajamas. That's what I think you have, Jesse.
I would. If you have them, send them over. Size medium.
Size medium.
No, I think he's an important player for the future of the national team. And this is the category one that I had just spoken about. You need him now to come in with the idea. If I'm Berhalter, I'm saying you're the captain. You're the captain for this camp, and you need to act like it. You need to learn how to lead the national team. You need to set the standard for how we train every day, how we work, how we talk, how we think. And you've got to now make sure that you're establishing yourself as one of the most important players moving forward. And for me, as important as some of the young players are, this may be even more important, is making sure that every guy that you're taking to a World Cup understands exactly what the responsibility of being part of the national team is and how to put it to practice at every level of what's happening. And I don't care if you're number 1 on the list or number 26 once the World Cup comes. You need a group that is so motivated, so clear, so together, so strong that nothing's going to get in the way. And so how do you do that? This is the process over years of creating standards, of now the expectations for what it takes to be really successful, to be winners, to now and then when it's the toughest moments in the biggest games, make sure that every guy is ready to do whatever it takes. And by the way, that's the fun of the frickin' national team. That's what it should be. You're wearing the frickin' colors and the crest, and you should feel like in every way you'll do whatever it takes to make sure that your country's successful. So that's the way I look at this right now for Miles Robinson. And of course, there's some young guys that you guys will touch on that I think are going to be important to see what their level's at. But for me, Miles Robinson now needs to step up and take a major role.
Jesse Marsh, motivational speaker, everybody. You can hire him at jessemarsh.com. That was an awesome. I'm like pumped up. I want to run through a wall and put on the red, white, and blue again. Charlie, how about you? Who's your player to choose for this camp?
The player that I most want to see in this January camp is Diego Luna, because we saw just how good he was at the Under-20 World Cup. He was the best player. And what stood out to me is he's kind of a different player. He has a different player profile than most players in the pool, in terms of I was talking about it with Nigel Reo-Coker this morning on Morning Footy. He's kind of in the mold of like a Griezmann, a Dybala. He's not really your prototypical winger bombing down the field. He's not like a straight up inverted winger, although he could play that. So he comes inside. He's good in tight spaces. He scored 4 goals in his last 5 matches in MLS this past season. I just think he has a gift. And so the fact that he can play in tight spaces combined, he's not afraid, he's not shy of taking players 1v1, creating his own shot, creating for others, combining. He has something special. And so that's one player I really want to see in this group and see how how much he can be pushed and if he's ready for the international stage with the men.
Charlie,
And he's going to be a big part of the Olympic team, I think.
I've been Diego Luna's #1 fan, like Jesse is with Miles, for forever, and you took my pick. And I'm a little bitter about it. You got there first. I love Diego Luna. He's cute as a button. He knows how to pull the strings. He can help you in so many different ways. My issue, though, is with regard to Greg and the system. Will he allow a player that has to find those pockets of space to influence the game? Because sometimes we might just bypass that player. We're maybe lacking patience, or maybe we're just in a hurry.
That here now.
I get it. No, he's adapted accordingly. I understand.
Yeah.
I agree. But I don't know. I'm a big Diego Luna fan, and I hope he gets the opportunity. But I'm going to go with Josh Winder. Now, Josh Winder, everybody, left Louisville City in the USL, went over to Benfica, and really hyped 18-year-old center back. Guy's disappeared. Like he played in the UEFA Youth League a couple times for Benfica. He played for the U23s a couple times. And he hasn't seen the field or been on any teams. I don't think he's hurt. And I want to know what happened to Josh Winder. So I think this is a perfect time to bring him back into camp. If you can work something out with Benfica, get him. Sometimes we've used national team camps when Christian Pulisic wasn't playing well, and obviously he's a big name. You're always going to bring him in. But to kind of get him going again, get his confidence going, making him be around his friends, which always helps too. So Josh, bring him back in, see where he is mentally and emotionally. Can you get his form back up and then understand what's happening at Benfica? I'm sure the appropriate people know what's going on, but I'm kind of curious, and this could be a good opportunity to be around a Miles Robinson, to be around some older players that have been through what he's been through and can maybe share some of their experiences to get him back going in the right direction. Because I don't know what happened to him, but I was really high on his potential, and we have yet to see it get realized. That said, he's very young, and I'm sure he's going to learn a ton from probably getting, that Mike Tyson quote, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Looks like he's getting punched in the face with some adversity, and how will he respond to that? It's obviously something we're very curious about. But I like Josh Winder, and I'd like to see a couple of our young players in this camp mixed in with some of our older players and get a result against Slovenia.
But I mean, I think he's got to earn it. No,
that's true. Yeah, sure, that's true.
You can't just hand him a national team camp because he's not playing at Benfica.
Well, no, I get that, but isn't that an opportunity where? I don't know. I don't know all the details. But the January camp feels like the camp where you could try. Of all the camps that we have, Jesse, the January camp feels like the one where you could extend that olive branch and just get an idea of where this kid is at and.
Because you're saying he would be playing if he was in MLS. So, therefore, because he played at the U20 World Cup, he's super talented. He opted to go test himself at Benfica. It didn't work out, but the talent's there. You see him part of the project, or you hope that he will fulfill that potential, and you want him part of the project, so you call him in just to see where he is. Because he was called in April, he was called into the U.S. men's national team camp. So, it's not that you haven't seen him before. You know what he's capable of. Either you see that, hey, he has the qualities to be a top center back in this pool, or you're like, no, he's got to be playing consistently because I haven't seen it. So it's one or the other.
Now, Jesse, if you were the national team coach, I mean, don't you maybe potentially set aside 1 or 2 slots to see like a Christopher Lund or these players that we're calling in just to see how they would interact with the group or to be around their pool?
I think so. I mean, it is great to have some younger guys and to see, do they have potential? I mean, I remember, Charlie, even this is when I was a player, but you and I were in a January camp, and this was when you were really young, and I think it was Lee Wynn's first January camp or first camp with the national team. And of course, when you have high potential players, but at the same time, you were already playing matches, and so was Lee, right? And so it wasn't like they were pulling him from the abyss. It's still got to be that you're seeing players and watching them at the different clubs and levels that they're playing at, and you see something that catches your eye, and you say, okay, there's potential there. So, I mean, I think it works. It works on both levels. Obviously, there's potential, but you also have to earn it for me.
No, I agree. I think that performing well helps, and playing helps no matter what level you're at, just to showcase what you're talking about. So I'll walk back what I said.
It's the accountability part, right? So it's everyone knows you get into a camp by how you perform, right? It's not just popularity contest or whatnot. That the national team has always been who's in form, who's earned a call up versus, hey, this guy's not playing at all, but we're just going to keep calling him up.
Yeah, that's a dangerous precedent, I guess, if you start calling guys in that didn't deserve it. So, conversation for another time. We're going to take our next break here and call it what you want. When we come back, We're going to discuss the absence of U.S. men's national team players on the Guardian's top 100 best footballers of 2023. You're not going to want to miss this, so do not go anywhere.
Really and truly, you got to put more pressure on these players to say, perform, do what you do. But the biggest thing is stay available. Because every time we talk about US players, they're always injured, they're this, they're that. So if I dare call them soft, I'm a bad guy, right? Yeah.
Calling players soft. What's Nigel Rio-Coker doing? By the way, great sweater there, Chuck. Looks like you're wearing the same one still. How did you respond to Nigel Rio-Coker taking a shot at our player pool? Because Nigel always likes to take shots at our player pool. Christian Pulisic,
he does.
Most notably.
Basically, I said, yeah. I mean, that works for England. That works for France. It works for every country in the world. You gotta be healthy. You gotta be on the pitch to make an impact. So, you know, you looked at Gio Reyna for a while, and Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams. These are big players for our pool, and they were injured the past couple of seasons. So, you know, Tyler Adams is still dealing with his hamstring now. You have Gio Reyna, who had a broken bone from Nations League, but before that it was a lot of muscular issues. And Christian, same thing, who's been in and out during his Chelsea spell, at least, with injury. So Christian's back playing. He's consistent. He's available. That's all I got to say. Gio, he's available, but he's not playing. And, you know, for our player pool, it's not that we don't have the deepest player pools like some of these other countries. We have a pool, and these guys are in good positions. We see Weston McKennie, what he's doing at Juve right now is incredible. The fitness, the amount of ground he covers, but the more tactical discipline that he's exhibiting this year, I think has been fantastic, because to play it for Allegri, you have to know your defensive principles. If you don't play his way, you're not playing. He's adapted, so that's good to see. Timothy Weah dealt with a little bit of an injury, but now he's back. So now we have our guys back healthy, just waiting on Tyler Adams. I think he's the last one. And, I mean, they're all over in Europe because they chose the hard way. So I don't want to hear they're not tough enough. No, that's gone.
Okay,
Look at
well,
Jesse.
what's interesting?
Jesse,
well,
again, Jesse could be taking the easy route too, and take a number of these MLS jobs that would be dying to have him. And he's waiting. Like, you know what? I'm waiting to coach in Europe. I'm in Europe because I want to be the best coach I can possibly be and coach at the highest level and break down these barriers and do it. So that's the type of stuff I respect.
Well, from what I understand, I'm going to pretend Jesse isn't here. He's just waiting for Chivas USA to be resurrected so he can just coach them.
Absolutely.
That would be amazing. Bring everybody back. Question, Brad Kuzan, bring everybody back. That's what we want. So the big topic here for us on this part of the show is, has our golden generation fallen behind because we don't have anyone on the top 100 footballers for 2023 for the Guardian? Should we be worried, Jesse Marsh, or I'm not that worried.
How many did we have in 2010 or 2014? Top 100. I would tell you zero.
Wikipedia?
I would tell you zero is my thing.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, and we were each to make a top 100 list, we wouldn't put an American on there right now. You know, so I don't think.
You don't think Christian Pulisic right there though?
I mean, he'd be the player that would be on the cusp. And if you went on Tyler's performances at Leeds, then maybe he would as well. But in reality, you know, the top 100 players, just take the top best clubs in the world and take their lineups. and none of our players are playing at the top 10 clubs in the world. And when they have been at the top 10 clubs in the world, they're usually on the bench. So it's not an indictment necessarily on where we are with this player pool. It's more what kind of performances are we getting out of our best players? Obviously, it's unfortunate that we have some injuries and some injury problems. But we want our players to go to Europe. We want them to challenge themselves. We want them to be in over their heads. I think that one of the things about our players is they're so built to fight and run and do whatever they can to establish themselves in every training session, in every game, that sometimes they're a little overzealous and don't always manage themselves professionally so that they can get the best performances out of matches. Tyler Adams is a good example of that. Like, when I was at Leipzig, Tyler Adams was by far the hardest trainer or the player that would train the hardest every day. And there were some days where I would say to him, not that he needed to go easy, but he needed to calculate based on what was happening in the week and where he was, what was best for him to get the maximum potential out of what he could deliver on match day. So there's a balance in there. You know, I mean, a big thing that you'll hear in Europe is that, that he doesn't train well, right? But that those players also, the reason they're always in the lineup is because they perform on match day and they know how to manage themselves. Americans right now, they don't always have that liberty, right? They don't always have the leeway within a team to say, I'm not going to train that hard today because I know I'm going to play on the weekend. So I don't think our players are soft. I actually would go the other way and say they're guys that are willing to put it all on the line every day in training, and sometimes that leads to them being hurt. But, you know, obviously we need them to be on the pitch. We need them to be at top form. We need them at big clubs and playing in big matches, and this is the best way for our national team to make progress.
All right, we're going to take our last break of Call It What You Want. When we come back, we're going to get into our 2024 predictions. We're going to get the crystal ball out and make some predictions, and because we're all smart and handsome, we're probably going to get all of them right. So don't go anywhere. And we are at the very end of Call It What You Want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Davies and Jesse Marsh, and we're going to give you some of our predictions for 2024. We got 5 in total of these predictions. And the first one I think is it's a bit of an easy one. A softball thrown out to the guys. But who is going to win the CONCACAF Nations League? I'm going to go first, U.S. men's national team. Jesse, what are you thinking?
USA.
Yes. Good choice. Charlie?
USA.
I mean, if anybody said Mexico, that'd be blasphemous. I don't know if we can be allowed to say that.
I am in Mexico.
You are in Mexico. At Barracuda. Shout out to Barracuda.
Hey, how much you getting paid to say that?
All right, so that was an easy one, slam dunk for us. Here's a fun one. Charlie, coming to you first. How many goals will Christian Pulisic end this final season, or at the end of the season here in Serie A? He currently is on 6. How many do you think he's going to end up with?
11.
So he's got 5 more in his bag, even though he just scored the winner.
11.
Going into the break. Yeah?
I'd say 11.
Okay, confidence is a hell of a drug. Jesse, what do you got?
15.
15! Holy crap, I love that. That means he's getting a lot of minutes and he's staying healthy. That's a good. I said 12. I think he's just going to match that. So Charlie, I give you a hard time, but I'm closer to you than Jesse. Wow, I'm an
optimist. I'm an optimist.
He clearly drinking the good
adapting,
stuff.
He's adapting more and more. Christian's ready to. He just needs to stay healthy. Stay healthy, Christian, and he'll deliver.
All right, I'm calling it. The show is over. So thank you for listening and watching. As always, make sure to follow Call It What You Want wherever you get your podcasts. And please take a few seconds to leave us a rating. We'd really appreciate it. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review as well. And then catch us on the CBS Sports Golazo Network, because we rule. And we'll see you next week. Thanks. See you soon.
Hasta luego. Hasta luego.
See.
Bienvenidos a otro video de los futbolitos. Hoy vamos a analizar el mercado de fichajes de enero, los fichajes que deben de hacer los equipos grandes en este mercado de enero, ¿cierto?
Sí, vamos a decir cada uno un jugador que creemos que sería un gran fichaje para reforzar el equipo en este mercado de invierno y que, oye, va a conseguir los objetivos que se espera de esta temporada.
Sí. Usualmente estamos ahora mismo en directo, tú estás viendo un clip del show de los futbolitos que está en directo, vamos a ver esta cita a 10 de la noche para el fútbol americano. Dime el único fichaje que tú crees que debería ser Barça en el equipo.
Perfecto, el Barcelona lo tengo claro. Estaba viendo las opciones y yo estaba en que el Barça estaba. Lo que más necesita el Barça ahora mismo, en mi parecer, son dos cosas. O un pivote defensivo titular o un hombre gol arriba. ¿Qué pasa? Voy a quitar el hombre gol arriba porque prefiero soñar y pensar que Víctor Roque va a ser ese hombre, ¿verdad? Entonces ya el Barça lo fichó.
Bicho Lover al fin.
Bicho Lover al fin. Voy a pensar en el pivote defensivo y el nombre que ha sonado fue un hombre que ya elogió Xavi en su momento. Está haciendo un temporada espectacular. No creo que este equipo lo venda, pero como estamos soñando y estamos hablando de fichajes que, oye, ojalá se den, te voy a decir Alex, el jugador del Girona.
Alex. Ok. Veo mucha gente en el chat poniendo Mbappé. Si tú estás poniendo Mbappé y tú eres fan del Barça y pensaste que el fichaje que el Barça va a hacer en enero es Mbappé.
La verdad es que no.
Abajo hay un link para una pastilla que se llama Ubicatex, que es para que te la bebas y te puedas ubicar. Ya que eres un desubicado, sí, te estoy hablando directamente a ti, futbolista.
Realmente Alex y Douglas Luiz, que sonó también con pivote defensivo.
Douglas Luiz, me gusta el pivote defensivo. Lo que pasa es que para mí el pivote defensivo del Barça ya tiene nombre y apellido, que es Frankie Diñón. Entonces yo no te voy a fichar un pivote defensivo.
Diñón necesita más libertad, ¿verdad?
Sí, pero yo me voy a quedar con Frankie Diñón y yo me voy a ir con un jugador un poco del Girona también, pero no es Alex y es Sabio.
Ok.
Sabio, el brasileño, yo siento que en ataque necesitan, bro, porque la verdad que Rafinha y la verdad que Joao Félix y
no.
La verdad es que el Barça en winger está un poquito, un Sabio que puede jugar en ambas bandas, izquierda, derecha. Así que yo me quedo con Sabio del Girona, que no debería salir tan caro al Barça. Si tú pensaste en Mbappé, pudiste pensar quizá, no sé, en otro 9, otro jugador más caro. Yo creo que Sabio también, tú te quedaste con Alex. O sea, 2 jugadores del Girona.
Fíjate ahí, 2 jugadores del Girona. No creo que vendan a ninguno de los dos, la verdad. Lo veo muy inviable, pero bueno, esos son los nombres que tienen.
¿Y del Atleti, bro? ¿Quién debería fichar al Atleti en enero?
El Atleti, la verdad que es un equipo que no está haciendo más de temporada, pero donde más se ha visto que ha sufrido es un central, o sea, en la defensa. Tú necesitas un central con garantía. Tú necesitas tener nuevamente ese jugador que sea literalmente el jefe de la defensa, como lo fue Godín en su momento, como lo fue Josema Jiménez en su momento, fue el líder de la defensa y era de los mejores del mundo. Y ahora tú necesitas de nuevo ese jugador que sea el estándar de la defensa. ¿Quién puede ser? Yo elijo soñar, me voy a ir, la verdad, un poco lejos, no te voy a decir que no, pero es un jugador que no está teniendo minutos en su equipo. No sé si él daría el paso al Athletic, yo lo haría si fuera él porque sigue siendo un equipo top que compite en la liga y juega en Champions y tú vas a jugar. Estoy hablando de League. Estoy hablando de League.
What the fuck? ¿Y ese fichaje en modo carrera es color?
La verdad que un poco random, pero si tú lo piensas, el League no juega en el Bayern, literalmente no juega nada. Kimilleo y Pamecano juegan todos los partidos y tú seguirías jugando en equipo Champions de la top 5 ligas y fuera titular en el equipo.
Hay gente que no está teniendo banco.
Banco, mira.
Yo
banco.
te voy a decir algo, bro. Yo también me fui por central y yo me fui por central que está hecho, bro.
Ok. O sea que es uruguayo, argentino.
Es argentino. Y da piñas.
Ah, mira, muy Atlético de Madrid.
Cuti Romero tiene que jugar en Atlético de Madrid, sí.
Tú no le vas a quitar el Tottenham a Cuti Romero, imposible.
Bro, para mí el Atlético es más que el Tottenham.
Sí.
Para mí yo tirar a la nevera, el freezer, la cocina, la cama, todo por el Cuti.
Con la ventana.
Es que es demasiado Atlético de Madrid. Yo nunca he visto un jugador más Atlético de Madrid que el Cuti Romero.
El Cuti es muy Atlético de Madrid, ¿no?
O sea, literalmente tiene todo lo que es Atlético de Madrid. Da piñas,
Sí,
es argentino,
sí.
tiene garra
Es canchero.
y no tiene grandeza. O sea, tiene todo lo que tiene Atlético de Madrid.
No tiene gran... Skriniar, no, Skriniar es más fumada que Dele, 100%.
Claro, porque Skriniar acaba de llegar, parece.
Skriniar es más
El
fumada.
que puso el Skriniar ahí, bro, menos FIFA y más.
Ugarte es muy atlético, pero,
Ugarte también
pero
atlético.
él es muy titular en el PSG.
Pero tú vas a decir, ¿verdad? Todos los uruguayos y argentinos son muy atléticos.
Son muy atléticos. Por el Cholo. La verdad es que es porque el Cholo le da esa insignia.
Bro, ¿y Real Madrid?
Real
El fichaje
Madrid.
de Real Madrid en enero. El Madrid ya tiene varios fichajes en enero, hay que decir.
Claro,
Porque viene Arda Güler, que es un fichaje.
literal.
Que ya vi video del entrenamiento y... ¡Ojito!
Ojalá, ojalá, yo nada más quiero que él juegue. Yo no espero nada, que juegue ya. O sea, literal, esto ya flow. Cuando Hazard tú crees que él jugara, no era simplemente que Hazard
What the
se no,
fuck
que
is
juegue
this?
ya, juega.
Pero porque tú haces la verdad, loco. Yo sé que el líder del humo en Madrid es Gigi,
Gigi,
pero yo creo que el líder del humo...
Oh, come on.
ya.
Yo me voy a convertir en el líder de humo. Bro, no hay forma que ese tipo entrene con los mejores jugadores del mundo todos los días. Y en cada día que él entrena y está saludable salen 2 o 3 clips en el que él se baila a Camavinga, él se baila a Valverde, mete gol a Lunin, que es un porterazo. Mete gol a Kepa, que es un porterazo. O sea, no puede ser que un tipo sea tan crack. O sea, si estuviera entrenando contra Latam,
Ok.
si estuviera entrenando contra Pelicanger,
Sí.
La zapa.
Literalmente antes de empezar el partido hicimos ¿cómo se dice eso? Una ronda de pase y cuando le llegaba la pelota a cualquier jugador de la town que la quería controlar, la pelota rebotaba 10.
Exacto. Si yo estuviera entrenando con esos jugadores, pero él entrena contra Valverde, Bellingham, Kroos, Modric, Rudiger, Nacho. Y él cada día que entrena sale un clip en el que él mete un golazo. Ese es un fichaje que viene porque no ha jugado. Dime cuál fichaje en serio que va a hacer Madrid. ¿Qué debe hacer?
Fichaje del Madrid. Yo tenía las siguientes posiciones anotadas. Un central, debido a las lesiones. Quizá laterales, porque la verdad es que los laterales del Madrid son malos. Esa verdad, son malos. Y un delantero quizá. Pero José Lu, lo que pasa es que digo quizá porque realmente, si tú fichas un delantero top, realmente va a jugar. Esa es la duda. Esa es la duda que yo tengo. ¿Realmente jugaría un delantero en este Madrid? Yo no lo sé. Entonces, me voy a quedar con... Creo que me voy a quedar con lateral. Me voy a quedar con lateral. No, me voy a quedar con central, que tú necesitas un central.
David, ¿qué es central? ¿Qué es central?
Si tuviera que decirte un nombre, ¿tú sabes quién yo ficharía? No me sé el nombre del...
Es raro que tú no me digas Mateo Celita ahora mismo.
De Ligt no fuera mala, la verdad. De Ligt no fuera mala, la verdad. Yo... Saliba renovó, ¿verdad? Saliba renovó, si no me equivoco.
No sé.
Si Saliba renovado, yo tiraré la casa, como tú dijiste, yo tiraré la casa por la ventana por Saliba.
Bueno, pero ahora mismo Gabriel Magalhães no lo sabía.
Pero...
What the fuck?
¿Tú estás viendo la segunda temporada? Gabriel Magalhães está jugando mejor que Saliba esta temporada. Sin duda, ¿no? ¿Verdad? O sea, Gabriel Magalhães está jugando mejor que Saliba.
No,
Pero
hell
Saliba
no.
mejor que él.
¿En qué?
Literalmente salía del balón sin duda, o sea, salía parece un centrocampista, literal.
Ok, el central de España era Mustafapi, el central de la TAM era Will. ¿Tú crees que yo soy mejor que Mustafapi?
No,
¿Qué te hace pensar que Saliba es mejor que Gabriel?
porque lo hemos visto a los dos en su mejor nivel y Saliba mejor que Gabriel. O sea, ¿por qué tú dudas de Saliba ahora? O sea, el Saliba jugó 3 partidos malos y ya ahora Gabriel es mejor que él.
Yo te voy a decir la verdad, a mí no me importa que yo dude de Saliba, a mí me importa que tú dudas de mí.
No dudo de ti, bro. Ajá, si tú me dices Mustafapi, que acuérdate que lo contó que fue
Que él era
profesional.
de islas gabonesas de
O
fútbol
sea,
sala.
compárate con Guanya, no con Mustafapi.
Y Guayer también es bueno. Es que
No.
España robaron, loco.
Robado, la verdad.
Guayer era bueno también. Will, sos pelado. ¿Y? O sea, ¿what? ¿Cómo? Ok, el fichaje que yo tengo en Real Madrid, tú acabas de decir William Saliba, claro que no hiciste Matías Telic.
Bien, easy.
Para mí el Madrid lo que tiene que hacer en enero es asegurar a Mbappé, pero hoy. O sea, si el fichaje de Mbappé no se asegura el 1 de enero.
No, pero tú tienes que decir un fichaje que sea para ahora, no en invierno. O sea, en verano.
Pero es que no hay nada más importante que eso, loco. No hay nada más importante que la muela que le va a meter Florentino a Kylian le tiene Mbappé. Si Florentino lo llama y le dice, Kylian,
Ya fichó.
No,
si yo me levanto mañana con un video de Ramón Álvarez de Mon diciendo, está firmado, viene, Mbappé 2024, yo me voy a sentir mal. Yo todos los días voy a estar refreshing así.
Whoa, what
Ramón
the...
Álvarez de Mon. A ver, ¿qué sabe?
O sea, tú eres una víctima del humo, loco. ¿Por qué tú
Sí,
te
sí.
sometes a eso?
Que yo vivo de eso. Es que me encanta el humo de Mbappé. Es que tú no entiendes, bro. Cuando yo veo un video de Mbappé, el de... ¿Cómo es? El de...
Diablo, qué duro ese video.
Mbappé ahí es que lo que Mbappé es the GOAT. Entonces cada vez que yo me
Pero,
tengo
es que yo siempre veo el video de cuando él celebra. O sea, cuando él se celebra. ¿Tú te imaginas que él haga esa celebración al Barça? Que él le metió al Barça y haga.
Es que literalmente Mbappé y el Madrid tienen que juntarse porque él es el villano del fútbol.
El
Señores,
villano.
imagínense el Madrid está ganando 2-0 en el Camp Nou, en Spotify. Y viene Mbappé, mete el tercero.
4.
Y hace así. Y después, es que nada más que te haga así, arrivederci, loco. Que te diga bye, loco. Para mí que eso ya, loco. Es que un tipo te celebre y que adiós.
No, en serio, entonces dije.
What the fuck?
Es como cuando él le metió el hat-trick al Madrid en Champions, que él se tiró y hacía de que bye. O el Madrid que lo quería.
No, y por suerte le anularon 700 goles, porque si no, ese se hubiese quedado palito. Era el Mbappé así, frente a la.
Vamos a la Premier.
Premier.
¿Qué debe hacer el United en enero? Además de votar a Fraude Hat.
Tú, el United es el equipo más difícil, porque el United necesita todo. El United necesita defensa, lateral, centrocampista, delantero, extremo, necesita todo. Si tengo que quedarme con algo específico, te voy a decir. Yo te voy a decir gol. El Real Madrid, el United necesita gol y tú eres un delantero. Tú tienes que tirar la casa por la ventana por Osimhen. Está claro.
Oh, por Osimhen. Pero todo el equipo de la Premier tiene que pedir Osimhen, básicamente. Osimhen literalmente va. No hay 9 en la Premier, básicamente.
Literal, no hay nada en la Premier.
Además está Holland.
O un extremo, o por lo menos un extremo con gol. Ahora, un extremo con gol no es fácil de buscar. O sea, eso es difícil de conseguir, la verdad.
Mira, de extremo, yo para el Manchester United pensé en Leroy Sané, por ejemplo. Que en la derecha tienen a Anthony Sancho.
No está mal, no está
Pero
mal.
la verdad es que, evidentemente, hay un jugador que juega en la Premier League que pudiera jugar en un mejor club para lo que es.
Ah, mira. Estoy hablando, no creo que estábamos pensando en el mismo, pero me llegó uno ahora.
Y que juega en una posición en la que esa posición en United de temporada, la verdad, que ha dado mucho pena.
A ver.
De hecho,
Si el mismo, esto va a ser.
What the fuck are you
de hecho,
doing?
vi un video hoy
Why
de
did you do
highlights
that
de ese
bullshit?
mismo jugador, pero negativos, de más de 15 minutos.
Negativo.
Para el campo de mitad de temporada.
What the fuck?
Eran 15 minutos de errores.
Ah, estamos hablando de.
Evidentemente estoy hablando del Dibu Martínez.
Dios,
O sea, tu fichaje es un portero. La verdad es que Onana es horrible,
La
pero.
posición más importante del fútbol 7.
Ah, porque el United juega fútbol 7.
Es que con Anthony en la cancha, Rasmus Højlund, Amrabat y juega fútbol 7. Garnacho. No, básicamente juega fútbol 7.
La verdad
Yo digo que el Dibu
fue Michael Olise. Fichajón.
es que Michael Lee se renovó. El año pasado.
Jodido.
Es que tiene que jugar.
Tengan-
Entonces yo creo que el Dibu al United es la clave. Obvio, sigamos con el Liverpool.
Liverpool, ok, el Liverpool yo lo tengo claro, el Liverpool necesita un central, suplente, porque los titulares tú lo
Alguien
tienes.
acaba de decir Julián, o sea, banco. Perfecto, gracias, bro.
Julián Banco, ok. Un central, yo diría un central, un quinto central que pueda estar ahí en caso de lesiones, ahora que tú no tienes a Matip y tal, Juanza, ese jovencito que la verdad es que no creo que juegue nada y están los dos titulares. Un central que esté ahí, que entre a la rotación, te juegue copa, te juegue no sé qué, un central.
Para mí el fichaje del Liverpool tiene que ser el francés Martín de la Real Sociedad. Quitarle su mente a la Real, sabemos que no es francés, yo no sé por qué yo digo que es francés.
No sé por qué dice que eres francés ahora.
Quitárselo a la Real y llevárselo. ¿Tú te imaginas Subimendi, McAllister y Szoboszlai?
No, el fichaje es súper top, pero tú no le vas a quitar su media Real,
¿Por qué?
porque la Real te va a pedir 70 millones.
Ajá, pero el Liverpool dio 70 por McAllister. No, en verdad no dio menos. Pero el
Dio
Liverpool
mucho menos.
iba a dar 80 por Tchouaméni, iba a dar 80 por Bellingham, puede dar 70 por Subimendi.
Bueno, pero con todo el amor del mundo a Subimendi, que me
Subimendi.
encanta. A Subimendi.
Subimendi.
Que me encanta, él no es Tchouaméni, no es. ¿Cuál fue el otro día? Y Bellingham.
No es Tchouaméni, no es Bellingham, pero es mejor que Endo.
Bueno, por Mrs. Caicedo le iban a pagar
Es mejor
100
que
millones.
Caicedo, chat.
Chat.
Subimendi es mejor que Caicedo.
Ah, por
Dígalo
fin,
ahora.
fuck.
Subimendi, que
Takes you
Subimendi.
forever to score
Yo
these
me quedo con
fucking goals.
Subimendi. ¿Tú todavía tienes algún... ¿Ya pensaste en el nombre del libro?
Sí, me voy a quedar con Maguire.
¿Qué serio?
Pero hay quinto central, es que él no va a jugar. Por eso tienes que
O sea, para ti el fichaje va a ser Liverpool un quinto central.
quinto central.
Perfecto.
O sea,
Tiene una plantilla perfecta para ti. Está bien.
¿Tú estás acordando?
Chelsea.
Chelsea, ok, el Chelsea, vamos a ver qué tengo el Chelsea. El Chelsea
De Banco Dominicano. Por favor, producción, banean a esa que es
Khaled R. Chelsea, lo tengo claro. Chelsea necesita un delantero centro con mucho gol. Y el fichaje es. No es Osimhen.
No, digo Osimhen otra vez.
Ya se le
Digo
deja al United.
Osimhen.
Ya se le deja al United. El delantero titular del Sporting. Víctor Gyökeres.
O sea, tú querías decir otro Víctor.
Víctor Gyökeres.
No hay forma que Víctor Gokil sea mejor que Nicholas Jackson.
Es mejor. Mira los números, mira los
No
números.
hay mejor. Este tipo se metió en Transfer Market, ya estoy seguro. ¿Qué tipo se metió en Transfer Market?
No.
Puso a ver, ¿cómo yo puse en Indy? El primer episodio de Los Futbolistas. Buscó a alguien del Sporting.
Chequea.
Nunca yo he escuchado de Víctor Szoboszlai. Nunca he escuchado de ese tigre.
Víctor Szoboszlai, en serio.
Víctor Lewandowski.
Míralo ahí. Víctor
Szoboszlai.
Gyökeres.
Víctor, oye, eso, Víctor Joker.
Víctor Joker.
Víctor Joker.
Víctor Joker.
Banco a la rubia.
En Liga Portuguesa, 14 partidos, 11 goles, 5 asistencias.
That's pretty good.
¿En dónde?
Y en Europa League, 5 partidos, 3 goles y 1 asistencia.
Damn.
Ok, ¿cómo tú conociste a ese tigre? ¿Fucking Football Manager?
Que el tipo es durísimo. O sea, yo me.
Bro.
Él es duro.
Está bien, ¿cuántos minutos tú has visto de un partido del Sporting de la temporada?
Como partido no he visto, pero me he visto highlights.
Yo de Chelsea tengo a...
Ah, mira.
Pero yo no lo había dicho, yo no lo había
No,
dicho.
tenía que llegar.
Tenía que llegar
Tenía que llegar.
Aquí teníamos a Pablo Espinosa que había puesto a Ivan Toney,
Ivan Toney.
un apostador, un tipo que apuesta. Un tipo que
Som-
apuesta con... Todavía no tenemos patrocinio.
Pero...
Era pronto, era pronto. Ey, qué bueno hubiera sido esa. Dije, I'm Anthony, que seguro apostaba con Casa de Apuestas Willy Vincent. Nah, todavía, tranqui. Entonces, Chelsea, yo tengo Osimhen para ti, otro quinto central. Ah, el Víctor Lewandowski es.
Víctor Gyökeres.
Perfecto. Arsenal, yo tengo una sorpresa en el Arsenal.
Ok.
Para mí el Arsenal necesita un interior por izquierda.
Interior por izquierda, ok.
Y hay un interior por izquierda que
Después de que
no se puede hacer en
defendiste,
enero.
después de que defendiste a Havertz el año entero.
Sí, pero la realidad es que tampoco. Hay un jugador que van a sorprender que diga este pick.
Ok.
Interior por la izquierda, lesionado en la actualidad, pero que volverá muy crack. A mí dame a Gavi. Para Arsenal.
Es un fichazo.
Luego yo siento que Gavi fue un fichajazo para
Hell
Ok,
no.
pues vale pues. Primero juega de interior por la izquierda y puede jugar avanzado. Ya sabemos como Xavi a veces la foto como hasta de cuarto, como mediocampista y juega muy bien esta Es un perro físicamente.
Sí.
Se vio en el Barça que cuando salió lesionado Gavi y el Barça cayó un poco.
Cayó un poco.
Así que te voy a decir algo. A mí dame a Gavi al Arsenal después que se recupere del ACL.
Me parece que, o sea, lo que pasa es que tú me estás diciendo nombre, o por lo menos ahora me diste un nombre que es literalmente ideal. Yo pensaba que tú me decías un nombre más realista, de oye, puede ser que lleguen, no sé qué, pero está bien, está bien. Yo tenía el Arsenal un lateral izquierdo.
¿Y es?
El nombre que tengo, te voy a decir la verdad, me llevé bastante de un invitado que ya tuvimos ahorita, que fue uno de la media inglesa. Vi ese programa que te dije que ellos recomendaban un jugador para cada equipo de la Premier y recomendaron un lateral de un perfil más defensivo en la posición en la que va Zinchenko, que tiene lesiones, pero que al final su rol cuando juegan es mega ofensivo y a partir de eso necesita más solidez defensiva. Lloyd Kelly, del Bournemouth. Lloyd Kelly.
Ya. Lo que él dijo del Sporting, lo que dijo Lloyd Kelly fue lo que dijo la media inglesa.
No, en la media inglesa dijeron Osimhen.
Sí, alguien dijo Víctor Kelly para otro equipo.
¿Cómo Víctor
Está bien. ¿Tú no conociste al Víctor Lewandowski en la media inglesa?
No, yo no, es que yo, mira,
Viste.
te lo juro, oye, están mirando.
Si yo pongo la media inglesa ahora mismo ese video,
Dale,
te recomendaba fichaje, que yo sé que tú lo buscaste para ver qué tú podías decir.
obvio.
Nadie dijo Víctor Lewandowski.
No me acuerdo, yo sé que era Osimhen o Iván
Nadie dijo
Toney.
Víctor Lewandowski.
No me acuerdo. Que no me acuerdo.
Deja de decir no me acuerdo, ¿ves? Si tú sabes que si tú lo viste ahorita, no puedes... Alguien
Pero
dijo Víctor
antes,
Lewandowski.
ok, vamos a decir que lo
Está bien,
dijeron.
vamos a decir que
Vamos
no
a decir que
dijeron.
Vamos a decir que lo dijeron. Yo había oído el nombre de antes.
¿Eres fan de la media inglesa?
Obvio. Es un canal mega top. El mejor canal en español de la Premier League.
Está bien, ¿tú has visto algún minuto de Lloyd Kelly?
Obvio. ¿Qué tú crees? ¿Que yo no vi al Bournemouth de ir ahora?
No, yo creo que tú viste el video de la media inglesa. Que decía Lloyd Kelly. Pero también, hey, al final la media inglesa sabe más que por lo menos que tú en la Premier. Por lo menos que tú. Yo en el Arsenal tengo a Gavi, en el City, vamos al City. Mira, la verdad que yo estaba buscando la plantilla del City, para mí el City tiene una plantilla perfecta.
O sea,
Es casi imposible. Yo recomendé un
yo
mediocampista.
sé que yo te voy a decir.
Yo recomendé un mediocampista nada más porque Mateus Nunes la está cagando y recomendé un mediocampista joven. Puse el del PSG, el Warren Zaire Emery.
Ok, no está mal.
Puse un
O
mediocampista.
sea, no va a jugar nunca, pero no está mal.
Va a jugar más que tú en el partido.
Y quizá no, porque lo mismo decían de Calvin Phillips y yo jugué más que Calvin Phillips, la verdad.
Pero, ¿quién está donde Calvin Phillips?
O sea, tú vas a vender a Calvin Phillips para comprar un Calvin Phillips francés.
Si tú crees que White and Side Emery es un Calvin Phillips francés, tú evidentemente no sabes eso.
Bueno, lo que pasa es que es muy fácil de olvidar, pero antes de que Calvin Phillips llegara al City, lo querían media Europa, porque era mega top en el Leeds.
Calvin Phillips era defensivo y White and Side Emery es ofensivo.
Él es defensivo.
Él es ofensivo.
Vamos a jugar que él es defensivo. Él
Pero
llega
que
atrás,
yo no
pero
vea la media francesa no significa que yo no sé de White and Side Emery.
White and Sarri Emery.
Warren Side Emery. Para mí él es ofensivo, yo lo veo ofensivo y yo sé más de fútbol que tú.
Definitivamente no.
¿Quién es tu fichaje para el City?
Fichaje para el City lo tengo claro. Tú te gusta el mercado argentino. Apuestas por la juventud.
Mercado argentino, yo te voy a decir la verdad, yo fui a Argentina y me cambiaron el dólar por la mitad y me atracaron. El mercado argentino.
Pero
me
el
gusta
City
para
no.
nada.
Al City
Es
no.
el mercado del fútbol.
Obvio.
Ay,
¿Te gusta el mercado del fútbol argentino?
Ok.
¿Te gusta apostar por el talento joven argentino?
ok.
Si tú fichaste a
Julián y Echeverry.
Echeverry, nada más te falta la última pieza en el guante de Thanos. Tiene que ser Colo Barco.
Acaba de meter un fucking jugador de Boca en un fucking video de
Tiene que
jugadores.
ser él. Es que tú digas que el jugador de Boca no quiere decir que él sea malo. O sea, tú los otros días pusiste al Advíncula, que es jugador de Boca, en el mejor 11 histórico de selecciones. O sea, que yo sé que tú estás hablando.
Bro, si Advíncula es el mejor lateral derecho en la historia de Perú, ¿qué tú quieres que yo fucking haga?
Ajá, y si jugó un Teofúncula Martínez en el 83, tú no quisiste poner.
Es que esa es la diferencia de tú y yo. Yo digo factors, tú dices factors. Teofúncula Martínez no fucking existe.
No, yo me inventé un nombre, obviamente.
Como te acabas de inventar la mayoría de información que ustedes diciendo te pasa. Bueno, yo tengo al City Side Emery. Vamos al Tottenham. Al Tottenham para mí tiene nombre y apellido. Necesito un atacante, necesito un extremo, necesito...
Para nada, el Tottenham necesita un central.
Ya, es que en verdad tú te fuiste a lo que necesitan, ¿no?
Si te vas fichando en el mercado de invierno, te vas a fichar que tú necesitas.
Bro, es que para mí no es justo si tú te viste un video de la media inglesa y yo no me lo vi. Si tú viste un medio...
Entonces ahora el problema es que yo estoy más informado que tú.
Es que tú no estás informado.
Okay,
es que tú no estás informado. Es que tú te viste un video de la media inglesa donde vino un tipo que dijo, el Tottenham necesita un central y ahora mismo tú eres eco de la media. Tú estás repitiendo lo que dijeron la media inglesa.
Que le llegue este clip de la media inglesa. Que vengan al canal Nacho y...
No, bro, no me importa Nacho.
¿Y cómo se llama? Eli...
El Ilia Topuria, el peleador de la UFC. A mí no me importa Nacho.
Ilie.
A mí no me importa Nacho. A mí me importa que tú estás repitiendo lo de la media inglesa.
A mí me importa que tú quieres decir que le falta un atacante cuando lo que ya se mete goles y lo que le falta es
dime el extremo izquierdo del Tottenham.
Son.
Hey guys, this is Will.
Son Richarlison Kulusevski, dime que no.
Bro, para ti, ok. Yo pienso, y tú me vas a decir, ahora yo te voy a hacer el fichaje, tú vas a decir, y sí, en verdad sabe más que yo. Yo pienso que yo me voy a son para el medio como lo hicieron en inicio de temporada, donde él está dando un mejor nivel que ahora de extremo izquierdo. Y medio extremo izquierdo.
Increíble,
¿Tú sabes quién? Medio extremo izquierdo. Y ficho a Nico Williams. Saco a Nico Williams del Athletic Pill Pal y le meto en Tottenham.
Es que tu fichaje es literalmente en modo carrera. Gaby, Nico Williams.
Top.
O sea, puro modo carrera.
Aquí está hablando la media Vincent ahora mismo.
A media Vincent.
Está bien, dime el jugador que tú vas a decir, dale. Ahora tú vas a decir un jugador que juega.
No, el que ha sonado.
El
El que ha sonado. No, el que ha sonado. Todivo. El que ha sonado. Todivo.
Entonces, ¿qué está sonando para el Chelsea, bro?
Es para el Tottenham.
Una pregunta, te lo juro por mi vida, que yo voy a terminar de diré. Si yo veo el video de la
Ellos dijeron Todivo, sí.
y dijeron Todivo.
Ellos dijeron Todivo, sí.
Bro, tú necesitas ser creativo, bro. Tú necesitas pensar por ti mismo,
el video. O sea, imposible que tú digas que lo visite el Tottenham es un delantero cuando ellos lo que hacen es goles y donde más sufrió en los centrales. O sea, ¿cómo tú vas a fichar un delantero?
Yo estoy ahora hablando con ¿cómo se llama la media inglés? Nacho, yo estoy hablando con Nacho.
O sea, no sé si está hablando con Nacho.
¿De casualidad viste a alguien de la Bundesliga? ¿Viste la media alemana, de casualidad?
La media alemana todavía no existe. ¿No?
Perfecto. Vamos a hablar de la Bundesliga. Nada más tú puedes decir un equipo. Yo, bueno, no voy a decirme, vamos a ver qué tú vas.
No, di el tuyo primero.
No,
No, es que yo tengo claro, di el tuyo.
O sea, disculpen, en este programa tenemos guión, pero obviamente aquí no se prepararon tanto. Vieron un video de la media inglesa, ¿no? Yo, de la Bundesliga, voy a hablar solamente de un equipo y de Leverkusen.
Ok.
Para mí Leverkusen debe de simplemente en enero blindarse. No dejar que se vaya nada. No dejar que se vaya nada. Es el movimiento que va a hacer Leverkusen en enero. Yo no voy a escuchar, yo no voy a decir que no pueden hacer nada. O sea, no se puede ir Boniface, no se puede ir Grimaldo.
O sea, ese es tu fichaje, que no se haya
Sí,
y después tú me criticas a mí. Es el
bro, pero es que yo hablé con Ilia Tupuria ahora mismo, bro.
Ili Olea, que tu furia. Si yo tuviera que decirte uno, no te voy a decir nada de Leverkusen, porque como te decía algo de Leverkusen cuando era un equipo que no ha perdido ni un partido. O sea, lo único que tienes que hacer es dejarlo tranquilo, que fue lo que tú hiciste, y estamos hablando de fichar, tú estás fichando. Yo ficharía probablemente en el Bayern. Ficharía por el Bayern.
¿Está bien quién? Como
Un
ahora
portero.
tú vas a pensar,
No,
como
un
tú
portero.
viste la media alemana,
Portero.
tienes que pensar.
Portero. Yo ficharía un portero. Y si...
Qué risa, madame. Me tira el video de la media inglesa, o sea, Víctor Lewandowski, Todivo, Deli. Dale.
Yo ficharía para el Bayern un portero. Y si tuviera que decirte uno top, yo me fichaba a Diogo Costa.
Digo, Costa es mejor que Granada.
Obviamente.
Portugal es mejor que Costa Rica.
Sí. Que ahora te voy a decir que Costa Rica es top 3 países, que no debería hablar de Costa Rica.
Brian Ruiz era top. Brian Ruiz era
Put some respect on his name.
Serie A. Serie A.
No viste medio italiano.
No hay medio italiano. No hay medio italiano. Es que, para mí, te voy a decir la verdad, lo que pasa con este equipo fuera de...
Aquí acabo de ver a alguien en el chat que puso Courtois al Dortmund. Loco, banean, loco. El maldito Cale ese, hace rato que hay que banearlo, loco.
Pero ¿cómo Courtois al Dortmund? Literal, Kovel fue de los mejores porteros de la Champions y tú vas a fichar a Courtois al Dortmund.
No, te digo la forma fichaje para loco.
Guay. Será al
No, estoy moderador, estoy relajando. No voy a pensar, estoy relajando. No, Franco, tranquilo, no lo banes, bro. Franco, no lo banes.
No vale.
Tranquilo. Lo siento, Cale, volverá. Lo siento, volverá, no lo banes. Para mí es el jugador que se debe mover de aquí.
Ok.
Paulo Dybala
Ah, mira.
al Milan.
Dybala al Milan.
Dybala al Milan para que Leao meta gol. Leao no tiene gol en 100 partidos, no hay nada. Sí, él tiene una estadística horrible.
100 partidos.
No sé si 100, ahí termino porque no vi la medida.
Tiene que ser menos.
Sí, o sea, pero él tiene una sequía y yo ficharía a Dybala para el Milan.
Es un buen fichaje, es un buen fichaje, un buen fichaje. Y le haría, yo creo que además de ser buen fichaje, es literalmente súper estético de la Roma, porque tú le quitas a Dybala a la Roma, que es el mejor jugador de la Roma con diferencia.
Dime del Paris Saint-Germain. Vámonos a la Liga.
Paris Saint-Germain.
Para mí solamente hay una cosa que el Paris Saint-Germain puede hacer en esta temporada.
No,
y
está
es...
claro. No, si estamos hablando de fichar y no fichar, lo que tú tienes que hacer es asegurarte que eres Mbappé, obviamente.
Yo tengo mi dog vender a Mbappé.
Eso es lo que tiene que hacer.
Sí, bro. Te voy a argumentar por qué el PSG le conviene meter a Cristiano.
Ok. Que en este caso no es vender, porque ya tú no lo puedes vender. No lo puedes vender.
Al PSG le conviene vender a Mbappé. Porque
Ajá.
si no lo vende, free, libre, gratuito. ¿Entendiste?
Ah, tú dices, ok, ya.
Ah.
Ya en enero, ya, que llega en enero. Pero yo estaba en esa situación y Mbappé renovó. Literalmente en la misma situación y Mbappé renovó. ¿Por qué ahora te hace pensar que él...
Porque antes Mbappé era un niño, ahora un hombre.
Ah, ya.
Entonces, si tú no quieres que él se vaya free, libre, gratuito,
Ya.
yo vendería a Mbappé si fuera el Paris Saint-Germain. Al menos que tenga otro equipo en la liga. Me imagino que tú hablaste de Todivo para decir que lo mueva, ¿no? O que hablaste de Loic Remy.
De Loic Remy. Lo que tiene que hacer el PSG sin terminar es quedarse con Mbappé. Tiene que asegurar Mbappé.
¿Tiene que asegurar que Kylian lo tiene Mbappé?
¿Qué es lo que va a pasar? Es lo que va a pasar.
¿Qué es lo que va a pasar? Perfecto, perfecto. Bueno, otro video de YouTube. Bienvenidos al canal de los favoritos. Hoy toca hacer 11 combinados de rivalidades históricas, como el Madrid de la Champions y como el Barça del Sextete.
Como el Bayern del Sextete o el Dortmund que llegó a la final de la Champions.
Exacto.
Como el Arsenal del Invencible y el Chelsea que además recibió 15 goles cuando ganó la Premier League.
Exacto.
Como el City de Pep Guardiola y el United de, ¿cómo se llama? Sir Alex Ferguson,
Como el River de Gallardo y Boca de Leche.
por ejemplo.
Así que vamos a hacer 11 combinados. Si estás viendo esto en YouTube, nosotros estamos ahora mismo en Twitch en directo en el show de los favoritos. Un clip del show de los favoritos, estamos en directo de lunes a viernes. Vamos a darle con lo primero. ¿Quiénes van primero? ¿Quiénes tenemos primero?
Primero tenemos el Sextete
What
del
the
Barça
f-
contra el
bro,
del
what
Madrid.
the-
11 combinado entre el
Just
Barça
hit
del
that bitch. Why
Sextete
do that?
y
Bien.
el Madrid de Champions. Veamos primero el Barça del Sextete, el 11. ¿Tú lo puedes leer, Vince?
El 11 del Barça del Sextete temporada 2008-2009 es Víctor Valdés en portería, centrales
Fuck.
Puyol y Gerard Piqué, lateral derecho Dani Alves, lateral izquierdo a Vidal, en el medio del campo jugaba tanto Touré como
Damn.
Busquets, los interiores Xavi e Iniesta, extremo izquierdo Henry, extremo derecho Messi y en la punta de ataque Samuelito Eto'o. El León
Buen 11.
es un equipazo brutal.
Para mí, Erika Vidal.
El que más flojea.
Ey, loco, Pep Guardiola con un Sextete con tres Willys en el equipo. Me sorprende, la verdad.
Con 3 Willys y 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 canteranos.
Ay, yo tuve decir 5-20, te lo juro por mi vida que me iba a parar de esta mesa.
Sí, 5.
Y vamos ahora al 11 del Madrid, que es el Madrid que ganó las 3 Champions seguidas, es especialmente el Madrid de la 16-17. Y es el Madrid de...
Ahí se ve.
Exacto, ahí se
Muy
ve.
bien.
Es el Madrid de Keylor Navas en portería, Sergio Ramos, yo no lo tengo que leer, Sergio Ramos, Varane, Carvajal lateral derecho, Marcelo lateral izquierdo, Casemiro, Kroos, Modric, Isco, Cristiano Ronaldo y Karim Benzema.
Karim the Dream Benzema.
Vamos a armar el 11 combinado. Aquí ya no necesitamos imagen de producción, gracias. Vamos a armar el 11 combinado. Portería. Keylor Navas de las 3 Champions o Valdés del Sextete.
Guau, este es muy difícil. Yo creo que Keylor Navas tenía mejor reflejo que Valdés, pero Valdés era obviamente mejor con la pelota en los pies y yo creo que era más consistente.
¡Ah, pégale esa mierda!
Keylor Navas ganó 3 Champions seguidas.
Ganó 3 Champions seguidas, pero Valdés ganó un sextete. O sea, no es como
Fuck,
que
what
Valdés no
the
ganó nada.
hell?
Pero un Sextete un año.
What the
No un
hell?
año, pero,
Sigue consistencia que Keylor Navas fue 3 años seguidos.
pero le metieron goles, no fue como que esos 3 años al Madrid no le hicieron goles.
Bueno, el Sextete a Valdés le metieron goles. Y déjame decirte algo, que los goles que le metieron a Valdés cuentan aún más, porque al Barça le llegaban poco.
Llegaban poco. Yo me voy a quedar con. Yo me voy a quedar con el. Es muy difícil, es
What
muy
the
para. Yo me voy a quedar
hell's
con el
going
team.
on,
Voy a
man?
decir que los Navas.
Va a decir
What
Keylor
the
Navas.
fuck going on?
Creo que voy a decir que los Navas.
Yo me quedo con Keylor Navas, también un portero que a mí en lo personal no me gusta mucho. Un portero que le gustaría tener un equipo en la Kings League.
¿Es verdad?
Así que podemos quizá tirar. No me gusta mucho Keylor Navas, para mí no es mejor que Courtois ni mejor que Casillas. Lo siento, hijos de RD. Cuando digo hijos de RD, no lo puse ahí. Pero me quedo con Keylor Navas, lateral derecho, Carvajal o Dani Alves.
Dani Alves es muy fácil.
¿Por qué tal?
Porque es mejor jugador.
Aunque este es el Carvajal del C17, imaginémonos que es el Carvajal sin Nico.
Imaginémonos. No, tiene que ser Dani Alves. ¿Cómo tú lo acuerdas a Dani Alves?
Bro, a mí
Literalmente, lo único que tú tienes que saber, porque para saber que tú tienes que coger a Dani Alves, es buscar en YouTube, creo que se llama exactamente así el video. Paredes entre Messi y Dani Alves.
Pero que yo no voy con Messi. Buscan
Who the
YouTube,
fuck is
Paredes,
that guy?
Modric y Carvajal.
¿Qué
No va
puta?
a salir ese video.
Está bien. Daniel pidió una asistencia en la final de Champions. Porque Carvajal dio 2.
Dio 2 asistencias en la final de Champions.
Y metió un golazo en la Supercopa Europea.
Brother, no hay forma que tú me defiendas a Carvajal contra Dani.
Está bien. Dani Creira ganó. Ok, Dani Alves, centrales. Puyol y Piqué, Ramos Varane. Para mí es obvia que la dupla central. 1, 2, 3, Ramos Varane.
1, 2, 3, Ramos Piqué. Ramos Piqué.
Dame Piqué. Dale, presa. Lateral izquierdo, Erika Vidal.
Marcelo, o sea, por favor. Es lo mismo que Carvajal Dani Alves. Lo mismo.
Aquí es donde entra la chulería. Primero, ¿qué vamos a jugar? Porque el Barça jugó 4-3-3
Sí.
y el Madrid jugaba 4-1-2-1-2.
4-4-2, rombo.
Si hay que unir un mediocampo combinado de estos dos, para mí, sin duda, el mediocampo de Madrid de la 3 Champions fue mejor que el mediocampo de City.
No.
What?
Para mí tiene que entrar Modric,
Sí. Sí.
y Kroos.
Motherfucker.
No.
God damn, that guy's
Bro,
hilarious.
este mediocampo ganó 3 Champions seguidas, bro. Y ganaron 4 Champions juntos.
Tengo
man.
para quitar Xavi.
Ganaron 4 Champions juntos de mediocampo, bro.
Mira, si tú quieres hacer la triquiñuela, te acepto cross pivote, Xavi Modric.
Mierda, le quitamos a Iniesta y Busquets.
A Iniesta, yo creo que Modric ha superado a Iniesta. Por decirla, por más que Iniesta me encante, pero Xavi tiene que estar, tú no puedes quitar a Xavi. Y en verdad quitar Busquets es duro, quitar Busquets. Pero este Busquets no es Busquets Prime, en verdad.
Ahora ese Busquets hizo una final asasasa contra el United.
No, este Busquets es buenísimo, pero este no es el prime de
No,
Busquets.
Kroos era mejor. Kroos, Busquets, Xavi. Kroos, Xavi, Modric.
Yo puedo bancarte Kroos, Xavi Modric, puedo bancarlo.
Y arriba, Cristiano,
Chris por izquierda,
Chris por Titi Henry, obviamente.
Chris por Titi Henry,
Messi o Gareth Bale.
Messi.
Aquí hay debate, bro.
What the fuck is this? Oh my god.
Gareth Bale o Messi. Real.
Sí,
¿Quién es más rápido?
Messi.
Bale.
Está bien, Bale.
¿Quién es más físico? Bale.
Ok.
¿Quién tiene mejor derecho? Bale.
No sé yo.
I don't know about that.
Ok, ahora voy yo. ¿Quién la pasa mejor?
¿Quién juega mejor al golf?
Bale. ¿Quién la pasa mejor?
¿Quién habla mejor español?
Messi, bro. What the fuck?
Duró 11 años y no jugó y no sabe decir tres
Yo me quedo con
palabras.
Bale, yo me quedo con Bale.
Messi, dale.
Y de 9, Eto'o o Karim Benzema. El de la 3 Champions, hay que ponerlo.
Te iba a decir, a mí dame todo, la verdad.
Si es de la 3 Champions, la verdad que ese Karim Benzema de la 3 Champions.
As.
A ver, te voy a decir algo, ese Karim Benzema de la 3 Champions bailó al Atlético,
Bailó al Atlético.
le metió gol al Bayern,
Le robó un balón a Karius.
metió gol en la final. Espérate.
Ah, esto. Dame
Bro,
al león.
espérate, bro.
Dame al león.
Dame
Fuck.
al gato.
No, dame al león.
A mí dame al gato.
Entre el gato y el león tiene que ganar el león.
¿Qué te prefieres, un gato o un león?
Un león.
A mí dame al gato.
Ah, dale, bro, león.
Bueno, vamos ahora.
¿Cómo queda el 11? El 11 queda con Keylor Navas en portería,
Ah,
central
shocker.
Ramos Piqué, lateral derecho Dani Alves, lateral izquierdo Marcelo, medio del campo hicimos trampa, pusimos Kroos, Xavi, Modric, arriba Messi, Cristiano y Eto'o.
Ese es tu 11. Así que tu 11.
Como mi 11.
Vamos ahora a el Bayern Múnich del sexteto o al Borussia Dortmund que llegó a la final. El 11 del Bayern Múnich es el siguiente. Tienen a Iván Perisic, Goretzka, Alfonso Davies, Alaba, Boateng. Ok, vamos del principio. Neuer en la portería. Kimmich de lateral derecho, Boateng, Alaba y Alfonso Davies. Pivote de Thiago y Goretzka. Y Müller media punta, Gnabry, Perisic y Lewandowski.
Equipazo.
Es el de
equipazo
Bayern.
brutal.
Hay que decir que metió gol como Alfa. Pero bueno, vámonos ahora al del Borussia Dortmund, el que llegó a la final de la Champions. Tú me dices 11.
el 11 del Dortmund es el siguiente. Weidenfeller en portería, lateral derecho Piszczek, centrales Hummels y Subotic, lateral izquierdo Schmelzer, el medio del campo para Bender, Gundogan y Götze, aquí hay cositas. Extremo derecho Blachikowski, que era top,
Bro, what
que era
the
top.
fuck?
Extremo izquierdo Royce, en su prime, y en la punta de ataque Lewandowski. Maybe no Lewandowski prime, pero este Lewandowski era bomba. Lewandowski era bomba.
Ok, vamos a la portería. Vamos primero a la portería. Roman Weidenfeller contra Manuel Neuer.
Neuer.
Que es raro que no dijiste Weidenfeller.
Me
Fuck,
gusta
I could have had
Weidenfeller,
that
pero
shit.
Neuer.
Vamos a poner
Neuer.
Neuer.
Ah.
Piszczek o Kimmich.
Kimmich.
Aquí se puede ir bajar
How
la
the-
vaina, ¿verdad?
No, espérate, tranquilo.
Subotic, Hummels contra Alaba y Boateng.
Voy a decir la verdad. A mí dame a Subotic Hummels.
A mí dame Alaba Hummels. Pero Subotic que fue muy bueno, que sacó el gol en la final
Fue
del
muy
Roma.
bueno.
Pero a mí dame Alaba Hummels.
Está bien. Alaba Hummels está bien.
Ese Alaba de central es bueno, loco.
Alaba Hummels está bien. Alaba Hummels está bien.
Ese Alaba de central es bueno. ¿Schmelzer o Alfonso Davies?
Alfonso Davies.
Ey, Schmelzer era bueno también.
Era bueno, pero Alfonso Davies es otra cosa.
Alfonso Davies se bailó ¿a qué fue? A Semedo.
A Semedo.
Bender Gundogan contra Goretzka Thiago.
A mí dame.
Let's go.
Juegan la misma formación de.
Dame Thiago Gundogan.
Ese Goretzka. ¿Te acuerdas el Goretzka de la foto que salió así? Ese Goretzka estaba apoyado.
Estaba apoyado, pero a mí dame Goretz, Thiago Gundogan.
Es que yo te voy a decir algo, loco. Para mí ese Gundogan era bueno. De hecho, mete gol en la final. Penal. Pero la mejor versión la vimos mucho.
No, la vimos en el sitio, obviamente la vimos en el sitio.
Y esa versión de Goretzka era bro.
¿Qué dice el chat? Goretzka, Gundogan, Thiago. Nada, Gundogan, que son los del City, Goretzka. Elijan uno y uno. ¿Tú quieres poner Goretzka, Thiago? No te voy a llorar por Gundogan. Yo hubiese puesto porque Gundogan me gusta.
Yo pongo Goretzka. Arriba. Reus contra Pérez.
Reus. Royce.
José Lu.
José Lu.
Götze contra Thomas Müller. Este Götze era crack, bro. Este Götze fue el que después le metió un gol a Argentina en la final.
Ya.
Y ese Müller, aunque era bueno.
Müller le metió 2 al Barça, creo que fueron.
Pero este Götze, bro, que este Götze era vibras. ¿Quién se acuerda de Götze en FIFA 14?
Vamos a decir Götze por las vibras, dale.
Yo voy a poner aquí a Müller. La verdad es que Müller es muy bueno. Blachikowski, Gnabry.
Ese Blachikowski era top, en verdad. Y Gnabry fue muy bueno en la fase de grupo y después se fue deshinchando, o sea que...
Ya, loco, este Dortmund era el mejor equipo para coger modo carrera en FIFA 3.
Literal.
Estaba Lewandowski, Götze, Gundogan, Perisic. Estaba Perisic,
O el
porque
Málaga.
Perisic estaba en el Bayern, pero Perisic estaba aquí también.
Dame a Blachikowski.
Dame a Blachikowski. Arriba Lewandowski, contra Lewandowski hay que elegir al mejor Lewandowski.
El del Bayern.
El del Dortmund.
El del Bayern.
No, el del Bayern era el mejor. Sí. Vámonos ahora al Chelsea del 2004-2005 contra el Arsenal de los Invencibles. El 11 del Chelsea dice así: Peter Sech en la portería,
Top.
Ferreira lateral derecho, Carvalho, John Terry, Galas, Makelele, Duf, ¿cómo se llama? Duf, Arjen Robben, Lampard en la media punta, Drogba y Good Johnson. ¿Y el del Arsenal cuál es? ¿Cuál de los Invencibles?
El Arsenal de lo Invencible iba así: Lehmann en portería, Joel Campbell, Touré, Lauren y Ashley Cole en defensa. El medio de campo para Gilberto y Vieira, Patrick Vieira. Gilberto. En una banda Pires, Roberto Pires, top. En la otra Ljungberg, otro jugador top. Y en la punta de ataque Bergkamp, locura total, y Henry.
Paso, loco.
Que para ahí Invencible tú tienes que tener un equipazo.
Oh my god, un equipazo feo, loco.
También te digo, fueron invencibles y es locura, pero lo de ese Chelsea también es una locura. O sea, no hay ningún equipo en la Premier League ahora mismo que va en la mitad de temporada, le han metido a todos más de 15 goles y el Chelsea ganó una liga solamente metiéndole 15 goles.
Bueno, vamos a empezar. Peter Sech
Fácil.
o Lehmann.
Peter Sech. Peter Sech es probablemente el mejor portero de la historia de la Premier League. Muy probablemente.
Nash Michael, Van der Sar.
Muy probablemente sea Peter Sech. O top 3 aseguradísimo.
Hasta el top de la segunda. Ferreira o Lauren, en verdad no tengo ni puta idea de quién
Aquí la verdad que no tengo ni puta idea.
son. Elige el chat. Campbell, Colo Touré y John Terry Carvalho.
John Terry tiene que entrar.
Para mí John Terry Carvalho. John Terry Sol Campbell. Esa es.
John Terry el mamut.
No sé por qué me da tantas vibras, tanto vintage. Yo decía John Terry Sol Campbell. No sé por qué. Lateral izquierdo, Ashley Cole o William Gallas. Hay que poner Ashley Cole.
Ashley Cole.
En el mediocampo, el Chelsea tenía a Makelele, Robben, Lampard. Bueno, vamos a poner Makelele, Lampard, Gilberto Vieira. Yo pongo a Vieira y a Lampard. Vieira y Lampard. Y hacemos 4-4.
Vieira y Lampard. Makelele era increíble, pero sí, Vieira y Lampard.
Vieira, sí, pero para mí Vieira es mejor que Makelele.
Sí, Vieira es mejor que Makelele.
Para mí
sí.
Patrick Vieira es mejor que Makelele. Ljungberg o Robben. Para mí este Ljungberg es mejor que ese Arjen Robben, loco. El Arjen Robben vino a ser duro en el Bayern, bro. Este no es el Arjen
Pero no
Robben
era malo
duro.
ese Robben.
No era malo, pero este Ljungberg era muy bueno, loco. El sueco.
Puede ser Ljungberg, está bien. A mí me gusta Robben.
Robert Pires o un tigre se llama Doug. Yo no tengo ni puta idea quién es Doug.
No, pero Robert Pires era top.
Yo no tengo ni puta idea quién es Doug.
Robert
Ese Robben era buenísimo. Vieira es mucho mejor que Makelele. Ljungberg tampoco era nada del otro mundo. No, por algo fue al Madrid. Yo pondría a Gattuso, Robert Pires. Damián Duf.
Puede ser ese Robben, ¿verdad? Yo creo que va a ser Robben.
Arriba, Drogba, Gudjohnsen, Henry Bergkamp. Te digo la verdad, aquí Drogba no entra. A mí dame a Titi Henry y a Dennis Bergkamp. Sin duda, bro. Aquí Drogba no entra.
Claro, pero es que ¿cómo tú te puedes dejar Drogba afuera? loco?
Aquí Drogba no entra.
Drogba, Henry.
Aquí Drogba. Para mí Titi Henry y Dennis Bergkamp. Loco, Dennis Bergkamp era calite.
¿Qué dice el chat? ¿Drogba más que Bergkamp o Bergkamp más que Drogba? ¿Qué dice el chat?
El
Will.
Drogas fuera, what?
¿Drogba o me voy?
No, bro, es que
Drogba,
pa-
Henry,
es que
Drogba,
para mí Dennis
Bergkamp.
Bergkamp, chat, de que Dennis Bergkamp era...
No, era clase. Era literalmente clase.
Para mí Drogba no sale aquí.
No, está bien. Lo puedo bancar. Puedo bancar Henry Bergkamp. Está bien.
Un 4-3-3 y entran los tres.
Ah, mira.
Es verdad, y quitamos a Ljungberg.
Y
Y
quitamos
ponemos
a
a
Ljungberg.
Pires en el medio campo.
Y quitamos a Ljungberg.
Y quitamos a Ljungberg. Así queda el otro 11. Pasemos, ¿a quién tenemos ahora, Vince?
El Manchester United campeón de la Champions 2008 con Sir Alex Ferguson y el City Guardiola campeón de la Champions del año pasado. El 11 del United...
Ahí yo veo que hay un Liverpool también.
Hay un Liverpool. Yo puse Liverpool por si queríamos cambiarlo.
Bueno, después vamos a comparar City y después Liverpool. O sea, primero United y después City y después ponemos el mismo sitio donde está el Liverpool.
Dale. El United, el 11 es el siguiente. Portería Van der Sar, top. Defensa para Vidic Ferdinand, defensa increíble. Lateral izquierdo de lateral derecho Neville. O sea, por ahora equipazo. Extremo derecho, en este caso, medio derecho, Ronaldo. Ese Ronaldo 2008 que es de los mejores jugadores que hemos visto en la historia. Medio campo para Scholes y Carrick, top también. Giggs en izquierda bien. Y en punta Rooney Tevez. Es un equipazo, en verdad. O sea, es un equipazo.
La verdad, con buen equipo.
O sea, es brutal este equipo.
La verdad, con buen equipo, bro. Ahí está Chris, está Rooney.
No, yo te digo la verdad. Ahora vamos a comparar con el City. Me huele a mí que el City entra quizás 3 jugadores, ¿eh?
Bueno, en el Manchester City está Ederson en la portería. En defensa tienen a Kanji, Rubén Díaz, Ake. Un doble pivote con John Stones y Rodri. Kevin De Bruyne en el medio campo, acompañado de Bernardo Silva, Jack Grealish y de 9 a Erling Haaland.
Erling Braut Haaland.
Ok, Ederson o Van der Sar. Van der Sar.
No hay liga.
Pero ojo que aquí puede haber barrida. Ojo
No
que
hay
aquí puede
liga.
haber barrida. Aquí un poco trampa por los,
Porque, claro.
por los laterales, pero yo te voy a decir la verdad. Evra, Vidic, Ferdinand, Neville son mejores que Akanji, Rubén Díaz, Ake y John Stones.
Fact.
Pero fuera.
Fact.
El único que pelearía ahí fuera John Stones y no puede entrar porque está Vidic y Ferdinand.
No
O sea,
puede entrar. No puede entrar.
Aquí se pone interesante. Rodri, De Bruyne, Gundogan contra Michael Carrick, Scholes y vamos a meter quizá ahí a...
Giggs.
No, vamos, o sea que vamos a meter a Rooney de media punta.
Ok.
Mira, Carrick o Rodri. Carrick.
Rodri.
No, bro.
Rodri.
Loco, tú no sabes lo que es Michael Carrick.
No, pero Rodri.
No, bro, Michael Carrick era top.
No, bro, Rodri.
Bro, Michael Carrick
Rodri.
era vibras.
¿Qué dice el chat? Rodri.
Bro, Michael Carrick era vibras.
Rodri es mucho mejor. Rodri, bro. Rodri.
Bro, yo no sé si Rodri era la uña de Michael Carrick.
Carrick top. What? No, está terminando Rodri.
Pero también va a poner Rodri. Scholes o Gundogan. Scholes.
Scholes. No, Scholes.
Es Paul
Scholes.
Scholes que se llama.
Paul Scholes.
Y ya después para mí tiene que entrar Kevin De Bruyne. Para mí yo saco a Giggs y meto a Kevin De Bruyne.
Tú dijiste que tú ibas a poner a Rooney, ¿eh?
No, porque oye que yo prefiero así. Yo prefiero Scholes, Rodri,
Scholes, Rodri.
Scholes,
De
Rodri,
Bruyne.
De Bruyne,
Bien.
Ronaldo en la izquierda, saco a Grealish de ahí.
Ok.
Y en la derecha.
Ajá. Parece-
Espérate. 4-3-1-2. Rooney media punta, Chris y Haaland.
Chris y Haaland.
Rooney de media punta, Chris y Haaland.
Chris y Haaland.
Rooney de media punta, Chris y Haaland.
Chris y Haaland.
O sea, Rodri, De Bruyne, Scholes, Rooney media punta, Ronaldo y Haaland.
Ok.
Ronaldo y Haaland. God.
Aquí la verdad que ganó United. Pero
No, nos fumamos a Tevez.
no fumamos a Tevez. Sí, nos fumamos a Tevez.
Tevez,
Rooney mejor que Haaland. Y...
pero Rooney está en el equipo, o sea que
Pero
no.
Rooney está dentro.
Rooney está en el equipo, Rooney está en el equipo.
Ahora, este ganó el United por goleada, en verdad. Ganó el United por goleada. Pero si hacemos City-Liverpool,
Vamos a ver City y Liverpool para que no se vayan a poner Liverpool, el 11 de Liverpool en pantalla, el de la 19-20, que tiene Alisson en portería, Trent Alexander-Arnold lateral derecho, Matip, Van Dijk, Robertson, Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Henderson, Salah, Firmino, Mané. Ugh.
te voy a decir la verdad, yo creo que aquí el Liverpool también, cuidado.
Ugh. Vamos a ver. Ederson, Alisson.
Alisson fácil.
Trent o... Aquí en verdad Trent Akanji,
Trent.
Matip, Van Dijk contra Stones, Rubén Díaz. Mira, aquí yo pongo Stones y Van Dijk.
Sí.
Stones y Van Dijk.
Sí, está
Stones es un jugadorazo. Stones y Van Dijk. ¿A ti no te gusta John Stones?
No mucho.
¿Por qué?
No sé, como central no me gusta, la verdad. Y estamos poniéndolo como central aquí.
Muy crack. Vamos a ver, lateral izquierdo Robertson o Ake. Vamos a poner Robertson, este Robertson es muy bueno. Fabinho, Rodri.
Rodri.
Wijnaldum, Henderson contra De Bruyne y Gundogan. De Bruyne y Gundogan. Para mí gana el City de medio campo.
Sí.
Rodri, De Bruyne y Gundogan.
Sí.
Ese medio campo.
Es mejor.
Mané,
El problema está aquí ahora.
Firmino, Salah. Para mí es fácil.
Contra Bernardo Silva, Grealish,
Para mí
Haaland.
es fácil. Salah, Mané y Haaland.
Salah manejar.
Sí, para mí es fácil.
Al final entraron entonces.
Pa'
Entraron
mí.
más de Liverpool.
Entra arma de Liverpool, sí.
Como
la
quiera.
defensa entra del Liverpool, en medio
Sí.
campo entra del City, pero después tiene el ataque mayoritario del Liverpool.
Ganó como quiera. Oye, fíjate ahí. El City ganó un sextete y como quiera, si tú coges los jugadores individualmente, el Liverpool de 19-20 tiene mejores jugadores.
Sí, sin duda. Ahora vamos al Inter de Mourinho, el Milan de Caleto, solamente quedan 2 shots, que es el Inter de Mo contra el Milan de Caleto y el 11 de River de Gallardo y el Boca Juniors. Dime la gente del Inter.
El Inter con Julio César en portería, la defensa para Samuel, Lucio, Maicon y Chibu. ¿Por qué está Chibu y no está, cómo se llama? El argentino, ¿cómo se llama? Zanetti. Debería estar Zanetti. Yo voy a decir Zanetti. Zanetti, Samuel, Lucio y Maicon. Ay, que está en el medio. Pusieron, aquí está Chibu de lateral izquierdo. Está
Es que
Zanetti.
era así, bro.
Es verdad, está Zanetti en el medio con cambiazo. Snyder en la media punta, entonces por izquierda, Pandés por derecha y Milito arriba. Gabriel Milito.
El Milan tiene, el de la final de la Champions 2017 tiene a Dida en la portería,
Top.
Nesta, Maldini, Odo y Jankulovski. ¿Cómo te llamas Jankulovski? ¿Cómo tú tienes culo en tu nombre?
¿Quién se llama Jan
¿Cómo te llamas
Kulowski?
Kulowski? ¿Cómo te llamas Kulowski? Pirlo, Ambrosini, Gattuso,
Top.
Kaká, Seedorf, Inzaghi. Mira, Dida, Julio César,
Dida.
Odo o Maicon.
Maicon.
Icon.
Ike.
I'm just an icon. Maldini, Nesta, Samuel Lucio. Maldini,
Está fácil.
Ey, está ganando el Milan aquí.
Está ganando el Milan.
Kulowski o Chibu.
Kulowski.
Kulowski.
Vamos para Kulowski. Vamos para la vibra.
Por la vibra.
Yo también pongo a Kulowski.
Kulowski por la vida. Chivo
también pongo a Kulowski.
era muy bueno.
Chibu era muy bueno, pero está bien, pero hay que poner a Kulowski.
Pero y Kulowski.
¿Te acuerdas que el Chibu ese fue el que tú no pudiste decir en el 11?
Es
¿Te
verdad.
acuerdas con usted una vez?
Es verdad.
Kulowski. Que después tú dijiste, no se llamaba como Chibu o algo así. Pirlo, Ambrosini, Gattuso contra Cambiaso, Snyder, Zanetti. Mira, yo te voy a decir algo.
Pirlo
Aquí.
tienen que entrar obligado.
Y Snyder. Pirlo, Gattuso, Snyder.
Bien.
Zanetti no entra. Yo mandaría a Zanetti de lateral izquierdo.
Está bien, sale de lateral izquierdo.
Claro. Y entonces queda todo Milito, Pandev contra Seedorf, Kaká, Inzaghi.
Está fácil. Seedorf, Kaká, Milito.
¿Y esto?
Nah, entonces no le gana ni a Seedorf ni a Kaká.
¿Y esto?
Digo, para mí.
Yo meto a Kaká en media punta y arriba meto todo a Milito.
Ok, ustedes ponen Seedorf, Kaká, Milito o Kaká, Eto'o, Milito.
Yo pongo Kaká, esto Milito, en verdad. Yo
¿Qué
pongo
dice?
a Kaká de media punta y
Kaká Eto'o Milito. Kaká Eto'o Milito o Seedorf Kaká Milito.
Chat, al final es Eto'o o Seedorf.
Literal, Eto'o o Seedorf.
Eto'o o
Kaká
Seedorf.
Milito, Kaká Eto'o Milito. Seedorf era muy bueno, En verdad está muy peleado por lo que estoy viendo. Eto'o.
Dice que ponga a Kaká por el Kulowski.
Kaká por el Kulowski. Bueno, ganó Eto'o. Viendo la votación, ganó Eto'o.
Vamos a ver el de River ahora. El 11 de River, que alta foto que conseguiste del 11 de River, bro.
La verdad es que no había nada. O sea, no encontré
11 de River que tenía a Montiel, Armani, Maldana, Pinola, Casco, Enzo Pérez, Poncio, Ignacio Fernández, Palacio, Peter Martínez y Prato. Ahora me encantaría que tú digas los nombres de los de Boca.
El nombre de los de Boca, te voy a decir ahora mismo, bro. El nombre de los de Boca son Oscar Córdoba en la portería, Hugo Ibarra, Walter Samuel, que fue el que cogió Cobra una vez, Jorge Bermúdez, Rodolfo Arruabarrena, José Basualdo, Mauricio Serna, Sebastián Bataglia, Juan Román Riquelme, Guillermo Schelotto y Martín Palermo.
Vamos a darle, Armani, bro.
Armani contra Oscar Córdoba.
Armani.
Aquí tengo que coger, ¿cómo se llama esto? Advice del chat, consejo del chat. Chat, ¿Armani o Córdoba?
No, Armani, bro.
Córdoba es mejor, Córdoba es 100 veces mejor. Todo el mundo dice Córdoba, bro. Dale, déjame terminar con Armani sin mano.
Córdoba jugó en el Inter y era lateral.
Llame a alguien que controle. Córdoba, dale.
Montiel o la chat, la verdad no tengo ni puta idea, o sea, real. O sea, yo no sé, ni yo no conozco a nadie.
No conozco.
Palermo. Danos saber tú, ustedes en el 11, porque de verdad que yo no sé, no se puede decir.
Yo te puedo decir, mira, los que tienen que entrar de Boca seguro son Palermo.
Ajá, es lo que tú conoces, Palermo y Riquelme.
Riquelme y Bataglia.
¿Riquelme está ahí?
Sí.
¿Tú dijiste Riquelme?
Sí, yo dije Riquelme.
Igual de Samuel.
Igual de Samuel.
Pero Riquelme no está en la foto que tú pusiste.
¿Él no está en la foto?
No.
Déjame ver. Es verdad, no está ahí en la foto.
O sea, ahí literalmente van a tener que ayudarnos ustedes. Vamos a tener que ayudarnos ustedes.
Oh my gosh.
Hola señores, estamos viendo un nuevo video para mi canal de YouTube. Hoy chicos no estaré solo, hoy será un debate más que esperado con el señor Davo Ceneice, chicos. Debate de jugadores. ¿Quién te gusta más? ¿Este o este? Lo único que tienen que hacer a modo de agradecimiento y para que siga haciendo este tipo de videos es que primero ustedes comenten el video y me digan en el mano a mano con quién se quedaron. También que se suscriban al canal, así que si este tipo de debate, por favor, dejen su like y vamos a mandarle al debate de jugadores. Yo el otro día vi un video de Coco Basile, que sé que más grande de todo el tiempo era Pelé, y que era visto Messi y Maradona obviamente. Y también vi un video de
Coco dijo que Pelé es más grande que Maradona y Messi.
Pelé dijo el más grande de todo, que vio Pelé.
Bueno, muchos dicen eso. El Papa Francisco también.
Sí, no, y también ahora me sale el nombre, boludo, el jugador de River, a mí no me sale el nombre, por Dios. Beto Alonso. Dijo que el bar de la Pelé también.
Pero te lo dije, Beto Alonso.
Pues, bueno, no sé. Hagan un verso de jugadores, ya tiren este o este cuando elegimos. ¿Martial o Morata? ¿Martial o Morata? Morata.
Sin duda, Álvaro Morata.
Bien, voy a hacerte rapidito, Davo, no puedes pensar mucho, ¿eh? Kane o Lewandowski, hoy.
Hoy Kane, por diferencia.
Obviamente. Darwin o Haaland.
Haaland.
Banco, Haaland. Zidane o Cruyff. Obviamente Cruyff no vi nada, pero sí Cruyff. Modric o Kevin De Bruyne. No, ese McAllister dijo De Bruyne. Y es un tipo, puede decirlo, ¿no?
Es que es contraproducente esa pregunta, porque todos sabemos que Modric como jugador, en cuanto a la carrera que tuvo, es más que Kevin De Bruyne, pero en los últimos años para mí Kevin De Bruyne fue más que Modric. Y eso que Modric tuvo niveles altísimos, la Champions que gana es una locura.
¿El 2022?
Zarpado, pero contando los últimos 3 años, si querés, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, esos 4 años.
Se rompió, sí, también con De Bruyne.
Pero
Alexis o Hazard. Yo Alexis o Hazard, de verdad, Davito, si me tenés que decir uno u otro que estar obligatorio elegir uno, yo me voy con Alex Sánchez. Después, seguimos con... Igual también hay que entender que en el mundo del fútbol están los gustos, boludo. Bueno, me gusta, Osil o Xabi Alonso. Yo Osil, igual.
Xabi Alonso. Igual son jugadores muy distintos.
Muy diferentes. Di María o Salah, Di María.
Hoy Salah.
Y mañana, y pasado y antes.
Para, hoy Di María o Salah, hoy.
No, Di María.
Bueno, yo hoy Salah.
¿Neymar o Ronaldinho?
Ronaldinho Gaúcho.
Me duele, Ronaldinho. Que Ney lo quiero mucho.
¿Cómo te va a valer, boludo?
No, amigo, Ney me cae demasiado bien, lo quiero mucho.
Ronaldinho es la sonrisa del fútbol.
No, pero Neymar lo quiero mucho.
Pero Ronaldinho es un semidios del fútbol, literalmente. Ya está en ese sillón.
Antes yo dije, ¿quién es más? ¿Ronaldo sin lesiones o Ronaldinho sin fiesta?
Ronaldo sin lesiones.
También, comparto.
Amigo, el gordo Ronaldo es Dios. Como te dije, el Ronaldinho es un semidios, el gordo es Dios.
Muy bien. ¿Araujo o Rudiger? Araujo.
A mí me gusta más Araujo.
Muy bien. ¿Alexis Sánchez o James Rodríguez? Alexis Sánchez. Dale, deja de hacerte el raro. Deja de hacerte lo popular, boludo, Alexis. ¿Te gusta más James?
¿Te haría mal?
No le bajo, pero para mí Alexis es... Pero Alexis, boludo, pero Alexis.
Sí, boludo. Este James en Banfield, James en...
Sí, Mónaco la rompió, pero no sé si es más que coso.
A mí me encanta James Rodríguez, mal.
No te quedas con James. Tu equipo juega James.
Sí. Mi equipo Alexis o James juega James.
Bien. ¿Bati o Crespo? Yo, Bati.
Gabriel Omar Batistuta.
¿Foden o Rashford?
Duele, pero bueno.
Pero para, no sé si está tan fácil, No, hoy sí.
Hoy Foden.
Hoy Foden, ¿y en general?
También. La mentira. No sé, qué sé yo.
Guarda, porque Foden tiene muchas premias, pero no sé si fue tan determinante en todas las premias que ganó.
Rashford es un crack, pero es medio irregular, boludo.
El mejor Rashford es mejor que el mejor Foden para mí igual,
Es que el mejor Rashford te gana un partido solo.
Sí, boludo, de verdad.
Te gana un partido solo el mejor Rashford. Vos lo sabés bien.
Sí, no, de verdad, de verdad. No, aparte porque a mí es un jugador
Ahora
crack, boludo.
cuando Rashford fue al Camp Nou este año, al 2023, ¿te acordás o no te acordás?
Tenés que decir que en el año 2019 fue y se cagó, pateó un penal, pateó un palo ahí, cagó, se cagó todo.
¿Te acordás mucho de lo que jugó ese día?
Jugó bien, amigo, jugó bien. Igual es increíble cómo todo el tiempo el máximo éxito del United ganarle al Barça. Amigo, paró un poco, por favor, pará, boludo. No te
Pará. Vos siempre decís que el Barça le gana al Madrid, el Barça le gana al Madrid. También como
seguimos con la versión. ¿Agüero o Benzema? No sé.
¿Agüero o Benzema?
Sí, porque para mí, Agüero siempre fue clave en las victorias del City y en todo lo que ganó el City en su carrera. No sé si Benzema fue siempre clave. El Prime, bueno, te van a decir el Prime de la Champions, ¿entendés?
Igual, qué sé yo, Benzema...
Para mí Benzema igual es un poco más. Es un poco más Benzema. ¿Claudio Bravo o Keylor Navas?
Keylor Navas.
Keylor ganó, jugó 4 finales de Champions y ganó 3. Pero Bravo ganó 2. Navas. Para mí Bravo se muy bueno. Navas.
Keylor.
¿Piqué o Puyol?
Un popular opinion.
Yo me hago con Puyol.
Un popular opinion.
Ok.
Gerard
Piqué. Muy bien. Yo creo que Puyol se hubiera agarrado una camada un poco mejor del Barça, porque viste que le arrancó mucho, o sea, como Xavi. No agarró la época, no pudo agarrar tanto, pero bueno.
Yo como jugador, porque después con Puyol tiene el club de...
La capitanía.
Liderazgo, capitán, manejar la defensa. Pero como jugador, a mí Piqué me parecía... Yo siento que la aposta, te lo digo, la versión de Piqué futbolista está muy infravalorada, boludo.
No, 2011, 2009, animal.
Es una pregunta. Parece que no saben que Piqué fue el mejor defensor del mundo, boludo. Un animal, una bestia. Pero bueno, viste que también, qué sé yo, no sé.
Bueno, ahí tenés el ejemplo, como dijiste antes, con el tema que hablaste de Vidal. Por ahí mucha gente le agarró meme o joda a Piqué por lo futbolista. Pero te quiero decir, o por la chicana, por ejemplo, al Madrid, eso de que quiero que me caren, que me jodan.
La gente pone el cine y me pregunta, boludo, ¿qué?
No, amigo. Era crack. Después quedó para mí lo que hizo Piqué fue que estuvo un tiempo en el Barça donde ya realmente estaba jugando muy mal, amigo. Si se viva antes, quizás. Acá preguntan, ¿Eto'o Drogba? Para mí Eto'o. Y eso que me gusta mucho Drogba, ¿Tú tomas Drogba? ¿Griezmann o Benzema?
Antoine. ¿Es quién te gusta más o no?
Sí, ¿quién te gusta más? ¿Quién te parece? Sí.
Es que no es el mismo gusto que el mejor. A mí me lo habría matado la vida, boludo.
Sí, no, que Griezmann sí. Griezmann más jugador.
No sé a cuántos futbolistas, si yo puedo ser entrenador, le daría la libertad de ser el líder de mi equipo más que a Griezmann. No sé cuántos futbolistas en el mundo diría, dámelo a este antes que a Griezmann, para que darme el equipo, para que el equipo juegue para él. De verdad te lo digo,
Sí.
Es un jugador ideal, boludo. Sí. Ideal. Obviamente su mejor versión fue con el Cholo Simeone respecto.
No, bueno, ahora no digo si es su mejor versión la de ahora, pero debe ser top 13.
Es el máximo goleador de la historia del Atlético de Madrid.
No, pero ahora, boludo. Ahora debe ser está muy bien.
Está rompiendo toda. Pero con el Cholo. La rompió toda con el Cholo. Le fue mal el Barça, la rompió toda con el Cholo. El que arruina jugadores.
Hay muchos jugadores que no le fueron bien.
Sí, pero los que le fueron mal, todo el mundo lo dice. Los que le fueron bien, nadie lo dice.
No, le rompió.
Para vos, Arda Turán era bueno. Para vos, Arda Turán era bueno.
No.
Bueno, el Atlético de Madrid entra.
Sí, rompió. ¿Vidal o Casemiro? Yo Casemiro.
Carlos Enrique.
Es que Casemiro, boludo, es muy bueno. ¿Shevchenko o Adriano? Única sola respuesta posible. Adriano. Dale. Dale, vos querés discutir a mí,
Pero,
nada más,
boludo,
boludo.
Adriano,
crack.
un animal. No, pero Adriano tenía, o sea, como jugador capaz fue mejor, pero contando todo Shevchenko.
Ahora pasaste de que me gusta más, contando todo, quién juega en mi equipo, dale, boludo, la comés como vos querés. A ver.
Tampoco que Shevchenko lo muerto, boludo.
Boludo, pero Adriano era God, Adriano. A ver, esperá. Esta me gusta y esta es eterna. ¿Frank Lampard o Steven Gerrard? Steven Gerrard. A ver, no puede ser que discrepemos en todo, boludo.
Sin dudas, Frank Lampard.
No,
sin duda.
Gerrard, sin duda Gerrard. ¿Robben o Ribery? Esas son buenas preguntas, no me sirve. Yo Robben.
Sorry, no, tío, Robben.
Dale.
No, pero Robben era mi jugador favorito. Yo siempre digo lo mismo. Del 2010 al 2014, el tercer mejor jugador del mundo. Contá únicamente 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. Son 5 años que te estoy dando,
Sí.
Messi, Cristiano, Robben. Contando los 5 años. Pero después me dicen Falcao. Falcao fue uno de esos 5 años. Robben fue crack mundial de los 5 años.
Pero tuvo más tiempo, sí, obvio.
Metió 3 finales de Champions, una final del mundo, una semifinal del mundo, ligas, campeón de Champions también, campeón de un triplete.
Bueno, estuvo en el equipo ideal del mundo del fútbol, Tony Messi. Estuvo ahí, boludo.
Malada.
Bueno. Ibrahimovic o Giroud, amigo, dale, dejate joder. Mucha diferencia, Ibrahimovic o Giroud, hay mucha diferencia. Dale, vos te con Giroud.
¡Pará!
Vos estás buscando los likes, dale, boludo.
Pará, goles importantes.
Claro.
Goles importantes. Top 3 goles más importantes de Zlatan, decime.
No, muy poco. Cuarto de final de Champions quieren uno y nada más.
Perú, tiene goles. Final de Europa League. Zlatan también. Bueno, final de Europa League. Tiene gol,
goles, le saca como 350 goles, boludo, de la libra, Giroud. De verdad, amigo, los buscados de tío son muy fuertes ahí, amigo.
Mundial.
El mundial que ganó, ¿cuántos goles hizo? Ya que habla de goles.
Una asistencia.
Sí, contra Argentina, ¿sabes? Si esa picadita la dejó pasar. Dale, boludo.
Hola, ¿y en Qatar?
En Qatar la rompió. En Qatar hizo 5 goles.
¿5 goles hizo?
Sí, creo que Julián, ¿cuántos hizo Julián? ¿Julián hizo 4 o 5? Digo que Julián hizo.
Julián hizo 4.
Listo, igual que Giroud, 4.
4. Bueno, entonces Giroud. Nah, igual te estoy diciendo. Claramente Ibrahimovic es más que Giroud, sin duda.
Van Persie y Nino Torres.
Mirá, me voy a poner en contra de mucha población española,
No, Van Persie.
Roy. Van Persie, el holandés.
Bueno, ahora vos, David, que vos seguís mucho al United. Van Persie no estaba rompiendo el Arsenal y se fue al United para literalmente ganar títulos y la rompió el United.
Sí, ganó una Premier siendo el goleador del United. En ese famoso gol que mete Bolea, que es una locura, mete un hat-trick. Gol al City de tiro libre de último minuto para ganar un clásico 3-2. Animal, total. Van Persie en United es muy querido. Hace poco fue al Trafford con Van der Sar y lo aplaudieron en todo el estadio. Jugó 2 temporadas nomás, 3.
Nada más.
Así que dejó huella en el Arsenal, dejó huella en el United, dejó huella en la selección holandesa. Crack.
Van Basten o Ronaldo Nazario.
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo. ¿Qué es tu ídolo realmente, chico? Van Basten ahora. No es así, boludo, tu ídolo. Es ídolo, es uno de tus ídolos.
Es la perfección de delantero centro, sin duda. Un día haces un análisis de Van Basten, buscate video, hace un video únicamente de Van Basten. Yo capaz lo hago para que la gente sepa más de Van Basten. Es la perfección de delantero. Si vos querés perfeccionar un delantero centro, es Van Basten. Boludo, se retiró con 28 años. Con 28 años. Ganó 3 balones de oro, 2 botas de oro, ganó Champions siendo goleador, Eurocopa con ese gol en la final. Boludo, Van Basten es una bestia, pero bueno, Ronaldo de Ronaldo, ¿qué se le va a hacer? Pero después de Ronaldo sí Van Basten,
Mascherano o Rudiger. Pero lo que tiene es que Mascherano era 5 en Argentina y era central en el Barça. Mache igual, a mí Mache cuando vos quieras.
Igual Mache te parece un buen jugador a vos.
Sí, boludo.
Un jugadorazo.
Muy bueno, a mí muy bueno.
¿Es mejor que Enzo Fernández, Mascherano?
No, pero igual son muy diferentes, boludo, igual. Como el Mascherano, el mejor Mascherano era central, boludo, en el Barça. Era central, boludo.
¿Es mejor que el Cuti Romero como central?
No, pero para mí era un jugador muy completo. Era muy completo de jugar a los 2 lugares. Para mí es importante eso, amigo. El fútbol de hoy para mí es importante. Para mí Mascherano sería como una, obviamente, la comparación, pero es como un Lisandro Martínez. Porque te juega de 5, te juega de central, es petizo.
¿Jugó de 5?
Mascherano sí.
Licha.
En el Ajax y en Lisandro, en defensa también jugó de 5. Falcao o Lautaro Martínez. Y bueno, el ídolo de Lautaro es Falcao. Pero, a ver, yo lo que pienso es que Lautaro Martínez, el prime de Falcao, ¿ya superó el número de goles al prime de Lautaro? Sí, ¿no? Sí. Creo que sí. Yo creo que en prime no hay faltó más.
Pero a Lautaro le falta un montón.
Claro, boludo, eso es lo que tiene. ¿Van der Sar o Sech?
¿Vos con qué te quedas?
Sech.
A mí me gusta más Van der Sar.
Estás terminando con la United, boludo.
No, me gusta más Van der Sar, un arquerazo, boludo.
Bueno, está bien. A ver, Ugarte o Enzo Fernández. Ugarte de Uruguay.
Lo conozco, boludo, jugador de PSG, nada, Ugarte. Muy completo. Una garra, charrúa, tiene. Me encanta como 5 Ugarte.
¿Qué onda, vos? Estás todo el tiempo con los uruguayos en este tema. Todo uruguayo te queda. Te vas con todos los uruguayos. Te dije Forlán o Ciudad, dijiste Forlán, boludo.
Quedaste caliente por el 2-0.
No me caliente, boludo, pero veo que estás a full con Uruguay, amigo. Estás a full con Uruguay. Suárez o Hernando Nazario.
Depende cómo lo vea.
Neymar o Salah. Neymar.
Salah.
Salah.
Hoy Salah.
Para, basta con el tema de hoy de mierda, amigo. En carreras, Neymar es más que Salah, ¿o no?
Hoy Salah.
¿Y ayer?
Salah. Gol.
A ver esto. Cavani o Higuaín. Esa es muy picante, Esa es muy picante, pero los dos.
Cavani, bro.
El Napoli. Cavani y Higuaín en el Madrid o en la Juve.
El River te la campeón, Higuaín. Cavani, te da en Boca.
Sí, igual jugó muy poco Higuaín en River, 6 meses.
No, me hizo con la boca, pero.
2.
Yo me quedo, si me tenés que obligar, el mejor, para mí mejor, Higuaín le gana mejor Cavani, para mí. Higuaín de los 36 goles que de partido en el Napoli o algo así, es una locura, amigo.
36 goles en una serie de récord histórico en una liga italiana. Nadie hizo más goles que él en una serie.
Obligás a no quedarte de pico del pipa, pero. Romano o Ronaldinho.
Romano Ronaldinho, nada, ¿quién es mejor Ronaldinho? ¿Quién me gusta más a mí, Riquelme?
¿El equipo que juega? ¿El equipo que es titular?
Riquelme.
¿La casa Ronaldinho suplente? Sí, yo soy suplente.
El equipo ideal iría en torno a Riquelme, boludo. Son los jugadores que a mí me gustan. Mi equipo juega Riquelme, juega Zidane, juega Perón.
Tiro libre para Argentina. ¿Tu equipo patea Messi o Román? Está Messi, Román y Maradona alrededor de la pelota. Vos el técnico le decís, che, déjenlo a Messi.
Y me hace falta que se lo diga. Cuando fuera un libre, Messi y Maradona van al área a buscar el rebote. Apenas lo cobran,
Está bien. Cacó Rivaldo.
Rivaldo.
Muy bien, Rivaldo. Muy bien, sí, Rivaldo.
Jugó Rivaldo porque jugó en el Barcelona, boludo.
Pará, boludo, cuando yo tiro un jugador decimos jugador United, boludo, que te van a dar a Rosech, dale, boludo.
Igual, boludo, la mejor versión de Kaká, asquerosidad,
Y en el 2007, sí, obvio.
El mejor momento Kaká, pero...
Bueno, pero Rivaldo el 2002 con el Barça, con el Mundial, también.
El gol que mete bien a Rivaldo.
Al Valencia, sí, claro.
Sí. ¿Hay un hack de Rivaldo al Real Madrid también o no? Estoy flasheando, a ver si uno sabe. ¿No hubo un Barça 5 Real Madrid 0 contra el Rivaldo? Estoy tirando cualquiera.
Barça 5 Real Madrid 0 3 Rivaldo, no me acuerdo, de verdad que no me acuerdo, amigo, sinceramente. Yo sé que el hat-trick que hace es un hat-trick perfecto. Yo no me acuerdo, la verdad.
No, Romario dice, no Rivaldo.
Romario sí.
Romario sí.
Romario, amigo, le tomaste una banda igual que vosotros.
No, Romario, boludo, re infravalorado, o sea, ¿viste? No es tan... Pero, boludo, Romario, cada vez que veo cosas de Romario no puedo creer.
No, amigo, aparte amigo, Romario jugó, creo que en el brasileño tenía 41 años, hizo creo que 35 goles. No, amigo, de verdad,
Bueno, hoy estamos viendo un dato terrible, boludo. No está comprobado este dato, pero puede ser, probablemente Pedro sea el único jugador en la historia en meter un gol en final de Champions, Europa League, Supercopa Europea, Mundial de Clubes. No está chequeado, pero justo estamos viendo goles y nos dimos cuenta que Pedro le metió un gol al Arsenal en la final de la Europa League 2019.
¿Qué le hizo la Europea?
No, Supercopa Europea, el que yo recuerdo es al Sevilla en el 5-4, el quinto. Después tenés a Estudiantes 2009 y después tenés a United 2011.
Sí, puede ser.
No sé si es el único, hay que chequearlo, pero
no
boludo, metió en 4 finales internacionales distintas.
Igual había un dato, boludo, creo, en el 70 del Barça, creo que Pedro hace un gol en 4 o 6 finales. Ahí ya tenés bastante ya.
Puede ser, si no Pedro, jugador de finales. Acá dice Falcao de Uruguay.
Falcao de Uruguay.
Didier.
Sí, Didier. Te quiero mostrar este dato, porque estoy retirado. Mira, en sus últimas 2 temporadas en el Brasileirao, el señor Romario hizo 32 goles en 43 partidos.
Pero pará, ¿estás seguro que es Brasileirao? Porque mirá que en Brasil, chequealo bien, mirá que en Brasil juegan mucho, torneo, boludo.
No, boludo, dice primera, dice división primera.
¿Qué año es?
2006.
Ah, hace nada. En 2006 estaba Carlitos.
Quisiera saber la edad que tenía Romario, eso, la edad que tenía Romario ahí. Hay que ver la edad que tenía. No.
Hace poco vi un partido de Ronaldo Nazario en el Corinthians, todo gordo.
Todo gordo, sí. Con el pelo así, medio como rulo.
Erraba todo, dijo.
Sí, erraba todo, amigo.
Mierda, boludo.
Acá preguntan mucho, todo tiempo la tiran. ¿Paolo Guerrero o Marcelo Moreno Martins? Paolo Guerrero.
Paolo Guerrero, sin duda.
Ok.
Sin duda.
¿Scholes o Toni Kroos?
¿Toni Kroos o quién?
O Paul Scholes, del
¿Sabes
United.
que para mí Kroos sale, pero...
Sí. No, por
¿Cuál
no,
Scholes?
Y bueno, todos los jugadores hablan muy bien de Paul Scholes. A mí me encanta ver esas...
Todos, boludo. Todo, Forlán, Verón, todos le tiran muchos locos a él.
Tevez.
11 Premier ganó Scholes. Te gustó ese dato. 11 Premier League ganó, amigo. 11.
Soy muy fan de esos datos, boludo. ¿Quién es el que ganó más? Bueno, él de estar de los demás. O Giggs se ganó más que él, ¿no? No sé.
Bueno, 11 Premier League, ganó Champions, mediocampista perfecto. Una vez al final le preguntaron, ¿qué se siente ser el mejor mediocampista del mundo? Y él contestó, eso preguntóselo a Scholes. Amigo, Zidane,
Mira, aparte Scholes es el más importante de la historia de United.
de los más importantes de la época reciente.
Más para mí es importante. Es el objetivo más importante. Que contra el Barça se mide Champions. Para mí.
¿Te dolió?
Un poco dolió, un poco dolió. Luego
¿Cómo
fue
dolió?
como golazo,
Y
golazo.
el Champions 2008,
Fue golazo, fue golazo.
esa camiseta horrible que tenía el Barça, boludo.
Buah,
Era, ¿qué color era? Celeste.
es este. Pero yo lo que te digo es. Para, igual te iba a barrer para tener razón. Amigo. Últimamente las casacas de United están muy facheras. La casaca de United esa que tiene el collito está re facha, amigo. Está muy facha esa casaca, amigo.
El Barça admití que son horribles.
Nah, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué sacas al Barça? ¿Por qué no le United le al Barça?
No, pero admití que es una poronga.
Pareces un mexicano hablando de Argentina, amigo. Tenés que meter eso.
La-
Un hincha de
la
United.
única-
Cuando el Barça con un mexicano cuando habla de Argentina, que es la verdad.
La única buena ¿cuál fue la última gran camiseta del Barça?
Para mí la 2021 estaba fachera.
¿Cuál?
La 2021.
Barcelona 2021 camiseta. Otra, 2022. Admití que la última, que creo que sigue siendo esta, es muy mala. La que dice Spotify.
Está bien, sí, o sea, está bien. No, la Barcelona 2020 está fachera, amigo. La Barcelona 2020, que es la última que usó Messi, las líneas largas, está fachera. Pone Messi 2020 Barcelona. Está fachera esa, boludo.
Bueno,
La
esa
cagaron con
y
los
la
porromitos.
Es más, te voy a decir algo. Las camisetas que sacó el Barça en ese año son las tres buenísimas. Tenés esa que vos me decías Messi, la negra es alta camiseta.
Sí, con la
la
letra.
rosa, la rosa la tengo.
La rosa también. Igual a mí me gustaría conseguir. ¿Te acordás el partido, no sé si te acordás, el partido que Messi casi hace un golazo contra Atlético de Madrid, que engancha a Pernilla, lo dejó en ridículo, patea y le pegan el palo? Esa casaca es tremenda.
Verde.
Medio fosforescente, medio verde fosforescente. Esa por no zarpa, gustaría conseguir.
Camisetón, boludo.
Conseguirla,
Camisetón.
terrible.
Creo que esa la usan en la final mundial de clubes.
Gustaría conseguirla, pero sé que me es imposible.
Verde agua era.
Estamos de acuerdo, Gabo, que se tiene que pensar siendo realista, ¿no? ¿Quién es el jugador con el mejor palmarés de la historia? ¿Vos o Messi? Sí, ¿no?
Es que, a ver, para mí cuando se habla de qué jugador es el que mejor palmarés tiene, también se habla de la influencia que tuvo en los títulos, ¿o no? O solamente
Sí.
el título.
No, sí, está bien.
Bueno, contando eso, sin duda, Messi, boludo, pero sin duda.
No, igual saquemos de escenario los títulos individuales, ¿eh? No contemos con el
No,
eso no,
los colectivos.
Colectivos.
Ganó un mundial siendo figura y 4 Champions siendo en 3 figuras.
Y
¿Quién
vamos
va a
con
superar?
Toni Kroos, por ejemplo.
Pero no tuvo ni en pedo la importancia que tuvo Messi. Ni en pedo, boludo.
Cafú, por
Toni
ejemplo.
Kroos jamás ganó una Champions siendo la figura de su equipo.
No, bueno, pero no pensaste también que es un poco la función de él, tipo, como el delantero.
Bueno, jodete, macho, hacerte delantero, ¿qué querés que te diga?
Claro. Por ejemplo, Cafú, por ejemplo, tiene 2 Champions, 2 Libertadores. Bueno, una Champions.
Cafú
No.
mejor.
No, estoy diciendo, solo palmarés de los jugadores.
No, boludo. Si cuenta la influencia en títulos, sin duda Messi.
¿Y si no cuenta?
Ahí puede ser otro.
Ok.
Ahí es más debatible.
Para vos Pelé lo mata todo, para vos. Con el 3 mundiales mata todo. Todo. Por ejemplo, Pelé tiene, creo que se me equivoco, 2 Libertadores y tiene 3 mundiales.
Por favor, 2 intercontinentales, 3 mundiales.
3 mundiales. Bueno, Cafú tiene 2 Libertadores igual que Pelé. Tiene 2 mundiales. Pelé tiene 2. Tiene una Champions, tiene 2 Copa América. 2 Copa América, tiene 0 Pelé, por ejemplo. Yo
Pero
digo.
no se juega. Pero la Copa América entre nosotros, Cobrita, es una realidad. Vamos a ser sinceros, con una mano en el corazón, en confianza. Una charla mano a mano, 6 AM, no hay ninguna cámara, no hay micrófono. Entre nosotros.
¿Torneo sobrevalorado?
No es sobrevalorado, pero la emoción del momento de ganarlo es listo, no más que eso.
¿No sentís que lo decís ahora porque la ganaste?
Puede ser, es que cuando Argentina gana la Copa América se festejó más por el hecho de no ganar una mierda, por el hecho de que Messi sea campeón. Para la Copa América sí.
Sí.
Se da porque fue la final a Brasil. Pero para mí, boludo, Brasil gana la Copa América, no la saben a festejar.
No, no sabes.
Para mí tiene que aspirar a eso Argentina, boludo.
No.
Argentina si gana hasta la Copa América que viene, eso.
Sería un lindo broche si Messi juega al Mundial, obviamente mucho mejor, pero si gana esta Copa América sería bueno que se quedó Argentina con 16, amigo. Ya como ya...
Igual por el simple hecho de que todas las veces lo vimos perder, ¿entendés lo que te digo? Como, hemos perdido tantas finales que vos decís, la vamos a festejar cuando la ganemos. O sea, si me puse tan mal cuando perdimos, me tengo que poner feliz cuando la ganamos. Pero a la vez siento que la Copa América, en líneas generales, es importante, pero no es tan importante para analizar la grandeza de una selección.
Okay.
Yo creo que en selecciones el Mundial carrea mucho. Yo creo en serio que llegar a una semifinal de un Mundial vale más que ganar una Copa América.
Sí,
de verdad.
ni
Pero
hablar.
mucha gente te dice, no, boludo.
No, nadie. Bueno, a mí en Uruguayo me decían que no, boludo. Decían, yo dame un título. Y yo decía, título, no, ¿qué título, amigo? Más semi-mundial, pero más semi-mundial.
De cada selección.
Pero por ejemplo, vos decís que seguro hasta un argentino, amigo. Un argentino te firma la Copa América. No jugarla y tener cuarto mundial.
El 100% de los argentinos recuerda más los cuartos de final con Holanda que la final con Brasil.
El cuarto de final de Holanda de el 98. Ah, no, 2022.
clasificamos a la semi.
Sí, obvio.
Todos recordamos más cuando clasificamos a la semi que cuando ganamos la Copa América. Preguntale a tu viejo, ¿qué se acuerda más? ¿Los cuartos de Inglaterra en el 86 o la final de la Copa América con México en el 93?
No, obvio, no, nadie por Copa América.
Estamos
No, pero que a ver.
Estamos serios.
Pero vos decís que le damos más.
El mundial mata todo.
Pero decís que le damos más. Vos decís que le damos más importancia a la que tienen los sudamericanos. ¿Y qué pensás de la Eurocopa? ¿La Eurocopa le da más
Y es
importancia?
otra cosa porque es más, mucho más países, más competitivo, más difícil de ganar, otro formato.
Bueno, no sé, fue Munier, creo que una vez dijo, bueno, es Munier, de Bélgica, que dijo que la Eurocopa es como un mundial sin Brasil.
Ah, eso se no lo banco. Pero sí que la Eurocopa es más difícil que la Copa América, eso seguro.
Y yo creo que sí, que es más importante, más difícil. Pero para vos, de verdad, ¿no falta un torneo, amigo? O por lo menos estamos viendo torneos. Vos tenés la Copa América, Eurocopa y Mundial, bueno, y Copa Asia, Copa África, pero vos tenés su torneo y que tenga un Mundial, o por vos tiene que haber un torneo que los una, que los vuelva a enfrentar una vez más. Fíjate que a veces hacen este torneo ahora que ganó Argentina contra Italia, pero no sé si lo van a seguir haciendo.
Para mí Mundial y si querés eso, la Euroamericana, ¿no? El Mundial está muy bien. Si no pierde la gracia el Mundial.
Pero bueno, por vos está bien porque no sé si Argentina gana la Copa América y la Europa la gana Alemania. Vos tenés que haber un partido. Sí, eso tiene que haber un partido.
Sí, hasta me gustaría que sea ida y vuelta. A Argentina uno y a Alemania otro. Pero es viable, ¿viste? Así que sí, final única en Wembley y a la mierda.
¿Rival europeo que te gustaría ganarle?
Ah, boludo.
Bien, banco, bien. ¿Rival sudamericano que te gustaría ganarle?
Brasil.
¿Ganarle una vez a Brasil o ganarle 3 veces a Uruguay?
Una vez a Brasil. En 2021 le ganamos 3 veces a Uruguay y una vez a Brasil. ¿Con cuál te quedas?
Buena respuesta, buena respuesta.
Ahí tenés la respuesta, boludo. No, ganarle a Brasil es lo único que me importa como selección. Es lo único que digo, hay que ganar como sea.
Está bien. Perfecto. ¿Firmabas para ese partido, por ejemplo, de Copa América contra Uruguay, a cambio de, como se dio ahora, ganarle a Brasil el Maracaná? Las eliminatorias, no la Copa América, las eliminatorias.
¿La ganamos?
Sacar el espíritu histórico, sí.
No te lo firmaba porque sentía que le íbamos a ganar igual sin firmarlo.
Ah, yo estaba medio cagado, sentía como que no sé si le íbamos a ganar. Estaba confiado de la vez contra
Uruguay. No se suspendió el 2021, también le ganábamos.
Sí, eso le ganamos.
Y ahora el 2020 éramos mejores que el 2021, boludo.
No, pero ese partido, bueno, para mí lo que me generó duda era que ese partido 2021 ellos ni siquiera venían a jugar el premio. Tenían acá, bueno, tenían. Es del pedorro, pero el que tenía, boludo.
Bueno, a ver.
Escuchame una cosa, David, son las 4 de la mañana, ¿te parece si cortamos? Yo estoy medio matado. ¿Vos cómo estás con sueño? ¿Estás bien con el sueño o te levantás a las 5 de la tarde?
Un poquito más tarde.
Dale, boludo.
Me levanté y me empezó a ver al Liverpool. Acá empezó el Liverpool.
¿Y no jugó a la tarde? No,
sí.
Ok.
Bueno, para vos Di María es el padre de Garrincha.
Obvio, amigo, obvio.
En el fútbol existen las top 5 ligas: la Premier League, la Liga, la Serie A, la Bundesliga y la Liga Árabe.
No, Willy. No, Teletubby, no. Hoy toca debatir de las mejores ligas de la historia del fútbol y hay liga europea, pero ¿pudiera entrar una liga sudamericana?
Es una buena pregunta, por eso hoy traemos el debate de cuál es la mejor liga de la historia y obviamente no podíamos hacer ese debate sin el regateador de verduras, la Cobra.
Ahí tiene que invitar a Lauti.
Había que invitar a la Cobra, disfruten del debate. Ok, empecemos. ¿Cómo estás, Cobra? ¿Todo bien? ¿Todo bien, Lauti?
Muchísimas gracias por estar en el canal de Futbolito, es un placer enorme, muy grande y he venido a domar y a tirar factos, como siempre, obvio.
Cambiaste el arbolito, veo.
Tengo arbolito nuevo, tengo lentes nuevos para tener un poquito de flow, para tener el flow de Will, perdón, Vince. Epa, es verdad. Quiero tener el flow.
La palabra flow en vez de facha, me gustó,
Un poquito de flow. Estoy con dominicanos, tengo que adaptarme, un poquito de flow. Tengo mi arbolito listo y bueno, preparado para venir a soltar verdades y en este debate que va a ser muy acalorado.
Ok, acalorado, perfecto, muy buena palabra. Para definir este debate, lo que vamos a hacer es que cada uno al principio va a decir con qué viene a la mesa, cuál es su postura, cuál es la mejor liga de la historia. Vince, para ti, ¿cuál es?
No hay duda, este debate lo hemos tenido innumerables veces en este canal, siempre no, nunca estamos de acuerdo, o sea, literalmente yo nunca se le daba a Ángelo, ni Ángelo nunca me le daba a mí. Yo obviamente apoyo y banco, y siempre bancaré, la Liga Española.
Hostia, tío, Liga Española.
Aquí.
Ok, yo me quedo. Primero tengo que decir que lo que acaba de decir Vincent es una terminada. La liga no es la mejor liga de la historia. La mejor liga de la historia es la Premier League. Es la liga inglesa. Es la liga con más campeones de Champions. Es la liga que todo el mundo se levanta a ver los fines de semana. Yo me levanto a ver un Crystal Palace Aston Villa, no un Cádiz Mallorca. Creo que esa es la que todo el mundo está de acuerdo.
Siempre dice el mismo partido. Siempre el mismo partido.
Bro, el que se siente de un Cádiz Mallorca un sábado en la mañana está mal de la cabeza.
Pero para el Mallorca está en primera, ¿no?
Sí,
no
está en primera.
¿Está en primera? Ah, ok, dije nada, perdón.
Lo que pasa es que ya no tiene sus tracks, pero no está en primera.
Igual eso valida tu fortuna, lo que está diciendo ahora Will. Que yo no sepa que está en primera Mallorca significa el poco conocimiento de la liga.
Y hablando de poco conocimiento de ligas, la Cobra, ¿para ti cuál es la mejor liga de la historia?
A ver, yo no quiero pecar de tibio en este debate, pero me sorprende porque, a ver, lo que ustedes están diciendo, entiendo que la Premier es una liga muy importante, la liga española también. A ver, estoy un poco por el lado de Will, ¿en qué? En que la Premier es la liga además más longeva de la historia. Lleva muchísimos años, todo el tiempo, jugándose. El tema es, mejores jugadores, ¿dónde vimos? ¿En la Premier o en la liga española?
Bro, pero es que ahí donde a mí más me quilla, loco. Ahí donde para mí la gente se pierde en el debate. Messi. Primero, Cristiano jugó en la Premier League. También jugó en la liga española.
Y en la española.
Segundo.
Entre los 11.
Estamos hablando de ligas, bro. ¿Dónde estaban los mejores jugadores de la liga? En el Real Madrid y en el Barça. En la Premier, los mejores jugadores de la Premier estaban repartidos en todos. Porque ahí lo que... yo no puedo decir que una liga es mejor que la otra porque una liga tuvo mejores jugadores por un tiempo, porque también es otra cosa. La gente quiere poner y debatir con la liga como que si la liga fue nada más del 2000 al 2020. Eso no es así, bro. En el 1980, dime el equipo del Barça en el 80. Dale, dímelo. ¿A qué no me lo dices?
No, bueno, está bien, pero ahí me sorprende, pero tengo que ir acá abrir el debate en esto y permitime, Vince, si me dejas, el hecho de que me sorprende que no hablen de ligas anteriores. Perdón, ¿el fútbol nació en el 80, Will?
Y no, si el GOAT es Pelé y el Pelé está de oro, no puede estar 80.
Ah, ok. Entonces, justamente, hablando de Pelé, hay que hablar de las ligas anteriores. No quiero acá ser termo uruguayo, pero Uruguay, Brasil, Argentina dominaron el fútbol del año 30 al año 70, ¿eh?
Pero tú vas a decir que la liga uruguaya es la mejor del mundo, en serio.
el Brasileirao.
O sea, donde juega Nacional y Peñarol es la mejor liga de la historia.
Bueno, yo te recuerdo que Peñarol jugó 3 finales del mundo y ganó las 3. Peñarol también fue 3 veces campeón del mundo, ¿eh? Te recuerdo también ese dato para que sepas, por las dudas.
¿En
no
serio?
Te digo para que Sí, señor.
Buen facto.
Alto.
Bueno, entonces, además sabías, por ejemplo, que de la creación de la Copa Intercontinental hasta que terminó en el 94, ganaron más equipos sudamericanos que europeos del torneo.
El debate no es Premier League o la Liga, el debate es Premier League o el Brasileirao, o la Liga de Argentina.
O la Liga Argentina.
O la Liga Argentina. A ver, te recuerdo, voy a empezar a soltar acá factos en esta noche. Independiente de Avellaneda le ganó al Liverpool. Independiente de Avellaneda le ganó a la Juventus. Racing le ganó al Celtic. Boca al Real Madrid, al Milan. Vélez al Milan. Guarda, Guarda con la Liga Argentina porque...
Guarda, Vince. Bueno, la Cobra está tirando aquí muchos factos. Y tú que eres el defensor de la Liga Española aquí, o sea, ¿qué tú crees sobre eso? Porque yo ya estoy pensando que no solamente el Brasileirao y la Liga Argentina, hasta la Uruguaya es más que la Liga.
Definitivamente la Liga Uruguaya, sin querer ofender a mis hermosos seguidores uruguayos, pero hablando de la Liga Española, ya le empezó, él iba por un buen debate ahí, que tú lo quisiste cortar de una vez, porque ahí desde que te meten los jugadores, te da algo así como te entra el quickie. La verdad que te entra el quickie y te entra el miedo. Porque si nosotros hacemos, porque tú hablas también de que los mejores jugadores de la Premier están repartidos. Si tú haces un 11 en la Premier League de los mejores jugadores, te aseguro que no salen más de 3 equipos. 4 como mucho. 4.
Es un facto.
Bro, pero ¿tú crees que del Madrid ¿tú crees que el de la Liga van a salir más de 2 equipos?
3, pueden salir 3.
O sea, no entiendo tu argumento cuando el de la Premier League van a salir más que el de la Liga seguro. O sea, si tú vas a que tu 11 es mejor porque tiene más equipo, es un infarto, porque tú no vas a meter al Valencia ahí.
No, yo te estoy diciendo por cantidad de equipos. A veces dice repartido, como que tú vas a mencionar que el mejor 11 de la Premier hay es del top 6, cuando no hay 4 o 3.
La Cobra, Lautaro del Campo, señor objetivo en este debate. Él acaba de decir, tú hablas de los jugadores, pero si tú haces un 11 de la liga, no se reparten más de 4 equipos, fue que él dijo, ¿no?
Sí, eso es verdad, pero en la Premier, ¿cuántos se reparten?
Pilas, bro. Nada más el mejor portero de la historia, y tan Aston Villa.
O sea,
mira, yo tengo a uno de Aston Villa.
Se rió él. Se rió él.
Tengo a uno de Aston Villa, tengo el City, tengo el Newcastle, tengo al United, o sea, bro, tengo el top 6 entero ahí en la vuelta.
Yo dice que es un debate serio.
¿El Tottenham a quién pones? ¿Al Guti Romero?
Del Tottenham pongo a Harry Kane, con Alan Shearer. Ahí ya Tottenham, Newcastle, Aston Villa y mi equipo. De Liverpool tengo a Salah.
No, tú no vas a poner al Divo, por favor.
Pero si yo lo quiero poner, o sea ¿tienes algo en contra del Divo?
No, está bien, pues ya yo sé a quién me va a poner en la de la liga, tranquilo.
A alguien del Madrid o del Barça, sin duda, eso es muy predecible. Tengo
Cañizares del Valencia, del Valencia.
Real Sociedad, Griezmann, Real Sociedad, pero Griezmann de Real Sociedad, no el del Atlético de Madrid, el de Real Sociedad.
El Xabi Alonso de la Real Sociedad. Oye, tranquilo,
Claro.
que aquí no, hombre, podemos tirar. Joaquín del Betis, tranquilo.
O sea, tú de verdad crees que, ustedes de verdad creen que decir que la liga tuvo mejores jugadores por un tiempo es un dato, porque yo te voy a decir algo. O sea, es argumento válido, porque está bien, es cierto que lo tuvo del 2000 y pico, en los 2000, del 2000 al 2010 al 2020. Pero ¿y ahora? Ahora el 11 del Burnley es mejor que el 11 del Valencia. O sea, ahora literalmente la Premier League tiene muchos mejores jugadores que la liga, pero muchos mejores jugadores que la liga.
Sin embargo, estoy hablando de la actualidad. ¿Tú sabes cuántos equipos de la Liga Española se clasificaron a octavos de Champions League?
Todos, si no me equivoco.
Todos.
¿Y de la Premier?
Pero es que estamos hablando de la
Opa.
historia. Estamos hablando de
¡Opa!
Para el que está viendo este video por primera vez y no nos conoce, uno, somos el mejor trío del internet. Dos, Vincent es literalmente el señor 2000. O sea, para él la historia empezó en el 2000. O sea, todo lo de Vincent es...
Tengo que tromparte Will de acá entonces. Si no arrancó en el 2000, como acá Will hace una aseveración muy correcta. ¿No vamos a meter en el debate la Serie A? Con el Milan, la Juventus, el Inter. Recordemos que la Serie A tuvo época donde jugaba Platini, Van Basten, Ruud Gullit, Maradona. Claro, Zidane, obviamente, pero me refiero a años 80,
Cristiano.
todo era Serie A. Maldini.
Es que para mí la Serie A es la segunda. Es que para mí la Serie A es la segunda. Para mí es Premier League 1, Serie A 2, Brasileirao 3.
Ya, ok, dale.
Bro, pero es que tú tienes que entender algo, bro, real. Es que para mí este debate, por eso es que siempre termino ganando yo. Porque es que como liga, o sea, es la liga, estamos hablando del producto de liga, de ser liga. La Premier League es más entretenida. Ha sido y siempre será más entretenida. La Premier League hay más competitividad.
Siempre no.
Siempre no. Yo me gusta saber la Premier League años 70, por ejemplo. Era la liga más divertida de ver.
Claro, bro.
¿Sí?
¿Cuál es el mejor partido de los 70?
Vos que soy de mirar mucha pelea, Will. Esa época cómo era.
Un United Liverpool, Bobby Moore versus Charlton. Bobby Moore versus Bobby Charlton.
Ok. Y voy a decir algo acá y voy a defender a los uruguayos porque recién Vince, con un tono medio por encima, dijo: no quiero hablar de la liga uruguaya cuando no la liga española. ¿Vos sabés, Vince, qué pasó en 1966?
No, la verdad es que yo no era como Willy, no veía fútbol en esa edad, ¿no?
Ok. Peñarol de Uruguay de una final intercontinental del Real Madrid.
Me encantaría saber quién estaba en ese 11 del Real Madrid. Me encantaría saber por qué en ese 11 estaba los que recogían el agua, los nietos del presidente en aquel tiempo. O sea, me encantaría saber.
Bueno. A ver, siendo igual realista y hablando de las ligas europeas, en los últimos años yo creo que la Premier es la más competitiva. Acá yo estoy de acuerdo con Will, de verdad. Para mí la más divertida,
Pero
no solamente por el nivel, porque puede ser que el Real Madrid, por ejemplo, y el Barça sean más en los últimos años, yo que sé, que el Liverpool o el United. Pero de ver, hay 15 equipos de la liga inglesa que es lindo de ver. En cambio, en la liga española ves 2 partidos seguro. Decí la verdad, Vince, ¿vos te ves 5 partidos de la liga española por semana?
5 partidos por semana. Sí, yo puedo verme 4 o 5 partidos.
Sí, pero como quiera, es que el caso Vince es un caso aparte, el caso Vince es un caso friki. O sea, el aficionado normal. Bro, si hay un tipo que viene a la Tierra un extraterrestre, quiere conocer el fútbol. Después tú enseñarle un video de Cristiano Ronaldo, tú tienes que enseñarle alguna liga. O la Premier o la liga o la que sea. Un partido, ¿tú en serio le vas a poner la liga antes que la Premier? O sea, un sábado random, porque el clásico pasan 2 veces al año. Un sábado random, cuando el Madrid está jugando contra el Getafe y el Barça está jugando contra Cádiz, y en la Premier está jugando Liverpool-Fulham, que quedó 5-3 los otros días, Tottenham Newcastle, que quedó 4-1. O sea, si tú le tienes que vender un producto a alguien que no sepa de fútbol, hay que venderle la Premier League obligado. Y se la vendemos.
Aston Villa Arsenal también, ganó el Divo.
Aston Villa Arsenal, fuck Divo. O sea, hay que venderle, o sea, esos son los productos que yo le vendo. Yo lo voy a vender y que, bro, para mí, ¿qué es una mejor liga? Se define así. ¿Cuál es más entretenida? ¿Cuál es más competitiva? ¿Cuál como liga para mí, o sea, tiene más variedad de ganadores? La Premier League, aunque en la liga haya más Champions que la Premier League tiene más campeones de Champions que la liga. Porque uno dice, no, que la liga
tiene...
La liga tiene 20 Champions. 14 son del Madrid, bro. 14 son de Madrid. En la Premier League hay como 5 campeones
¿En
de
la
Champions,
liga?
casi sé. Sí, pero la liga son 20 equipos. La liga son 20 equipos, el Madrid es uno.
Obvio, pero es lo que yo
Tú
siempre digo,
quitas el City y el United de la Premier League y sigues en la liga. Tú puedes quitar 2 equipos de la Premier League y sigues en la mejor liga del mundo. Tú quitas al Madrid y al Barça de la liga. Irrelevante. La Farmers League.
Y creo que de hecho no hay Champions. Si vos sacás al Madrid y al Barça, no hay Champions en la liga. ¿O me
No,
equivoco?
no hay. No hay.
Atlético de Madrid ganó.
Valencia.
No, que era Champions.
Sí, Valencia llegó a 2 finales, Atleti llegó creo que a 3 o a 2.
No, y por eso te digo, creo que no hay Champions. Yo creo que también la diferencia ahí, si uno es realista, es como dice Will, boludo. Vos, por ejemplo, podés verte un Fulham Manchester United. Yo te pregunto de verdad, sin terminar, Vince. Viernes 15 de diciembre. Juega Osasuna Rayo Vallecano, ¿lo ves?
¿Tú sabes qué es lo peor?
Ahí va.
No,
Dale.
él me dice, lo que pasa es que él dice lo siguiente, él no me dijo Cádiz-Mallorca, porque literalmente el Cádiz y el Mallorca tienen que ser de los dos equipos más defensivos de la historia. Pero si tú me dices Osasuna-Rayo, que los dos proponen una idea de juego, se puede ver, es un partido que se puede ver.
Este tipo. O
No,
sea,
no,
es
pero
un
mira,
Rayo
en
Vallecano,
serio,
bro.
pero mira, siéndote honesto, hay mucho equipo ahora mismo que tú puedes ver en la liga y te diviertes viendo el partido. Tú puedes ver un partido del Betis perfectamente y te lo pasa bien. Tú puedes ver un partido del Girona, que tiene que ser top 3 de los mejores equipos del mundo en cuanto a juego. Madrid y Barça te va a entretener. Atlético de Madrid te va súper bien. Athletic Club está jugando súper bien también. Tienes ese equipo ya que tú te vas a pasar bien viendo los partidos.
Perfecto. Tú sabes que yo estoy de acuerdo contigo. Ahora, te digo un dato, bro. Primera vez en la historia que pasa en la liga. La Premier League lleva haciendo eso mismo, como por 50 años. Te puede ver un partido del Liverpool, te puede ver un partido del City, te puede ver un partido del United, te puede ver un partido del Arsenal, te puede ver un partido del Chelsea.
Bueno, primera vez no es verdad.
Del Tottenham.
No es verdad que es primera vez.
Y
Pero así como tú hablas de campeones de Champions, Valencia ha ganado Liga, Real Sociedad ha ganado Liga, Sevilla,
¿Cuándo fue la última
Deportivo
vez?
de Coruña.
¿Cuándo fue la última vez?
El último fue el Valencia en 2004.
¿Cómo es el Auti? ¿Cómo es?
No, y
Y Atleti 2014.
Pero aparte hay que decir algo, Vince. Fíjate, boludo, cuando el Madrid o el Barça están recontra despegados de puntos, tienen 100 puntos y el Barça, no sé, 97. Y el tercero tiene 76. Si vos te das cuenta, la Premier está siempre peleadísimo de puntos. Boludo, para Liverpool ganar una Premier tiene que hacer 250 puntos. Y sale segundo y le sale tercero. Yo creo que también es eso donde recae y también como recién yo di el ejemplo. A ver, acá simplemente yendo a los datos, viernes, tienen que elegir los dos, Osasuna, hay un partido en cada liga, en Premier y en Liga Española.
Exacto, y vamos a hacerlo así perfectamente. Dime los equipos y yo te voy a decir la tabla de posición de su equipo y vamos a comparar los mismos equipos que están en la misma tabla de la Premier League, ¿te parece?
Juega viernes 15 de diciembre, Osasuna Rayo Vallecano y en la Premier juega Nottingham Forest Tottenham. ¿Cuál miran?
Bro.
Nada, pero no venda humo.
O sea, pero ¿cómo que vender humo? O sea, vender humo sería ver el Rayo Vallecano Osasuna. De hecho, el que está viendo este video y decida ver Rayo Vallecano Osasuna, en la descripción te voy a dejar un link de terapia. Puedes ir ahí, no pasa nada, está todo bien. Tú dijiste Osasuna Rayo Vallecano, ¿cierto? O sea,
sí, señor.
El 10º contra el 14º. Perfecto.
Sí.
En la Premier League el 10º es el Fulham y el 14º el Burnley. Ey, son dos equipos que... Yo prefiero ver un Fulham Bournemouth con un Osasuna Rayo Vallecano sin duda. ¿Por qué?
Pero no lo va a ver. No lo va a ver.
Ah, no lo voy a ver, te digo un dato, bro.
Sí, que viste Fulham Bournemouth los otros días, dale.
No, bro. ¿Tú sabes cuánto? No, bro. ¿Tú sabes cuántos goles ha metido el Fulham en sus últimos 2 partidos de Premier League?
Sí, 10 goles. Sí, yo sé.
10 goles. ¿Tú sabes cuántos goles ha metido el Osasuna en sus últimos 2 partidos de la liga?
Probablemente uno con mucha suerte.
El partido pasado contra el Cádiz quedó 1-1 y el antepasado contra el Real Sociedad quedó 1-1. Ah, y te digo otro dato, bro. En los últimos 4 partidos de los Osasuna, 3 han quedado 1-1, bro.
Sí, pero el Osasuna está pasando por un mal momento ahora mismo. Lo que pasa es que usted dice, no, hombre, que oye, el fútbol va de racha. Pero espérate, esto es quitando el punto. Yo le dije a él, porque es lo que estamos hablando, ¿verdad? En la actualidad no hay ningún tipo de debate. Aquí, mira, me quito mi poloche de la liga, me pongo uno de la Premier. La actualidad Premier es mejor. Pero él está hablando de la mejor liga de historia. Esto incluye toda la historia, no solamente la actualidad. Yo defiendo la historia. En la actualidad la Premier es mejor. Y si nos vamos a enfrentamiento 1 contra 1, equipo de la liga contra equipo de la Premier, tú sabes que la liga gana, ¿verdad?
La liga gana, pero por afano. Ahí sí.
Pero de goleada gana la liga.
Pero ¿de qué tú hablas? ¿En qué gana la liga?
O sea, cuando se enfrentan equipos de la Liga Española contra la Premier en torneo europeo, la liga tiene más victorias que la Premier League.
Pero eso no tiene nada que ver con cuál liga es mejor.
Oye, yo te suelto datos que te van añadiendo. Mejores jugadores, mejores enfrentamientos directos.
El Sevilla toma siempre la Premier. El Sevilla toma siempre la Premier. El Sevilla, por ejemplo, es uno. El Madrid también. El Barça casi siempre.
Está bien. Pues te digo algo. te digo algo. Basado en ese dato que tú dices que tú traes, esa factura que tú traes, pues sí, así la Liga Argentina es más que la Liga. Porque él acaba de decir que Peñarol le ganó al Madrid, que Independiente ganó al Liverpool, que van o sea, si lo vamos a pasar en enfrentamiento directo en competiciones internacionales, pues la Liga Uruguaya es más que la Liga Argentina es más que la Premier, o sea, eso no tiene nada que ver.
Eso fue un añadido, y si tú ves que históricamente yo te aseguro que hay mucho de la Liga Española que le han ganado a equipos de la Liga Argentina. O sea, que el Barça le ganó a Estudiantes, creo que fue, el Madrid en un año... Bueno, pero le ganó.
Y, dale, a ver, y dame más ejemplo, ¿verdad? Más ejemplo. No, amigo, fuera de joda, el Brasileirao también lo tenía de hijo, boludo. Sao Paulo le ganó al Milan también un montón de veces. Amigo, fuera de joda, te estoy diciendo.
Te digo, si he basado en esa info de enfrentamiento directo, pues Sudamérica le gana a Europa, entonces. Y yo no voy a decir la Liga Sudamericana que es la mejor de la historia, yo no voy a decir eso. Yo no voy a venir aquí a faltar el respeto a la audiencia.
Si yo me tengo que basar en esa factura, Brasileirao, Liga Argentina, Liga Española, Premier League. Es lo que hay.
Yo creo que el gran debate igual para mí, no hay que hablar sobre solamente, como creo que Will en un momento lo dijo, que es el tema de nivel. Porque estamos de acuerdo que es verdad, el Madrid y el Barça probablemente sean más que el Liverpool y el Manchester City. El City de ahora no, pero ustedes me entienden. Sino simplemente con el nivel de los equipos. Para mí hay más equipos competitivos, porque aparte hay que decir algo, hay que hablar de los equipos de mitad de tabla de la Liga Española contra los de mitad de tabla de la Premier. A mí me gustaría ver eso, qué pasaría. Para mí la Premier los arrasa, boludo.
Pero...
Para mí el Chelsea agarra, boludo, a los Osasuna. El Chelsea va a 12avo de la Premier, lo liquida a los Osasuna, amigo.
No sé yo, El Osasuna empate ese partido seguro. Seguro.
Es que te digo, o sea, para mí, ni siquiera es sobre eso el debate. Para mí es que simplemente la Premier League es mejor producto. Si nada más no tuviéramos que quedar con una liga en la historia del fútbol, tiene que ser la Premier League, loco. Óyeme, que el Madrid-Barça tuviera los mejores jugadores por mucho tiempo, durante una época, totalmente cierto. No se puede competir con la misma liga. Tú tenías a Cristiano Ronaldo y a Messi jugando contra ellos todos los fines de semana. O sea, no se puede competir ahí. Ahora, en ese mismo tiempo, donde tú dices que la liga tuvo mejores jugadores, tú no te refieres a la liga, tú te refieres al Madrid y al Barça, que es el 20% de la liga. O sea, el Madrid y el Barça, aunque son los más de la liga, no es ni la mitad, ni cerca de la mitad de lo que es la liga. La liga son muchas cosas. Y si tú te pones a decir solamente Madrid y Barça, pero los otros equipos en ese tiempo, o sea, no tenían tanto equipo como la Premier League, que siempre hay calidad. Y además, aquí hay algo que nos ha dicho en este debate. Pero la Premier League nunca tuvo un caso Negreira, por ejemplo. La Liga Española sí.
Bueno, el City lo está investigando.
El City está investigado por 121 fraudes. 121 fraudes. No pasó nada, amigo.
O sea que, cuidado.
Pero nada tiene que ver con árbitros. Lo del City era compra de menores.
Igual te voy a decir algo. También es raro que el Real Madrid jugó 17 finales de Champions y ganó 14. También es raro.
Es raro si tú eres el mejor club de la historia, ¿no?
Es rara la grandeza.
Para ti, tú que vas a boxear, para ti es raro que Mayweather haya ganado 50 peleas, que haya perdido un total de 0, es raro.
Eso es raro, la verdad es que eso es raro.
Es raro porque a una pelea le costó. A una pelea le costó.
Faqueado, es raro.
Es raro. No, pero también hay que decir algo, perdón, Will, pero para mí hay que decir algo. Si hablamos de nivel de futbolistas, para mí la Premier League, y acá voy a atacar a la Premier de Will, para mí está tercero. Para mí, históricamente, la Liga Española tuvo mejores jugadores que la Liga de la Premier y también en calidad de jugadores, y segundo la Serie A. Nunca tuvo los dos mejores jugadores del mundo en la Premier, nunca existieron. Que yo me acuerdo, quizás me equivoco, porque la Liga Española tuvo a Messi y Cristiano, la Serie A tuvo a Platini y Maradona, y la Premier, ¿cuándo tuvo a los dos mejores?
No los tuvo.
De Bruyne y Agüero.
No, la verdad es que no.
Además, Cristiano jugó en la Premier. Ustedes hablan si Cristiano ganó un Balón de Oro en la Premier League. No sé de qué ustedes.
¿Pero contra quién competía? ¿Contra un jugador que qué liga jugaba? ¿En la
contra
Premier?
Forlán.
Pero Forlán de Villarreal.
Contra Luisito Suárez.
Pero solo juega en el Ajax, no la Premier.
O sea, está bien. Tú dices que a nivel de jugadores que han pasado por la liga, tú crees que está primero la Liga Española, después la Serie A y después la Premier.
Y yo creo que sí, amigo. En cantidad tienen mejores jugadores la Premier. Como es lo que vos estás diciendo recién antes en el análisis. ¿Qué hace que la Premier sea tan linda de ver? Que no hay tanta disparidad de niveles. Casi cualquiera le puede ganar a cualquiera. Eso en la Serie A no pasa. En la Liga Española no pasa. Esa que es la gran verdad. Sacando al Barça de Xavi, que últimamente es un papelón lo que está pasando en la... Pero más allá de eso, no pasa. No pasa, boludo. Si vos te das cuenta, vamos a decir la verdad. Si ves al Madrid, Will, vos que soy hincha del Madrid, ves al Madrid. Y el Madrid juega contra los Osasuna. Es muy difícil que pierda. Es muy difícil. En cambio, en la Premier juega quizás el Chelsea contra el City. Chelsea de local, decís, epa, quizás acá pierden. Quizás puede pasar. Sí,
Pero
claro.
el Chelsea le ganó 4-1 al Tottenham, el Newcastle le ganó 4-1 al Chelsea y el Tottenham le ganó 4-1 al Newcastle.
Claro, ahí te das cuenta, es un ciclo. En cambio, si vos, por ejemplo, que pasó otro día, el Girona le ganó al Barça. Bueno, el Barça igual técnicamente perdió con el Madrid. Pero bueno, si hubiera sido al revés, servía. Ahí el ejemplo me salía, la puta madre. Bueno, voy a hacer ahora sí. El Girona jugó mejor que el Barça. El Barça jugó mejor que el Madrid y el Madrid jugó mejor que el Girona. Está bien.
Bro, y yo te voy a decir algo. Una de las razones por las que este debate se trae a la mesa es porque hoy en día el primero en la liga no es ni el Madrid ni el Barça, el Girona. El primero en la Bundesliga no es el Bayern ni el Dortmund, es el Leverkusen. El Aston Villa está a 2 puntos del Liverpool. El City está de cuarto. O sea, en la actualidad se está picando ahora mismo en las ligas, realmente.
Igual, es verdad, hay que meterlo en colación. ¿Qué opinamos, bro, de el Leverkusen puntero de la Bundesliga? Eso realmente está haciendo que la Bundesliga sea más competitiva. Por fin. Porque es una liga que creo que perdió el atractivo. O sea,
pero la
eso
Bundesliga ya la
Bayern.
temporada pasada era bien competitiva, en verdad. Mira como el Bayern la ganó para el último minuto.
No, y en Europa siempre compiten. De hecho, en este año la Champions creo que se clasificaron todo el equipo de la Bundesliga a octavos de final. Se clasificó el Leipzig, el Dortmund y el Bayern.
Y una pregunta, Cobra. ¿Hay algún chance ya real de la Liga Argentina, Brasileirao, vamos a decir, top 5 mejor liga de la historia? ¿Entra una liga sudamericana?
Estoy seguro, amigo. Estoy segurísimo que te
Yo creo que sí.
Amigos, que si vos te das cuenta y lo haces en años de verdad, para mí está peleado, boludo. Si vos agarrás el fútbol del año 30 al año 70, que es más o menos la época más fuerte de fútbol y la etapa donde se empezaron a enfrentar entre ellos, boludo, Sudamérica domaba a Europa, pero zarpado.
Y bueno,
amigo,
del 30 al
zarpado.
70 había más campeones del mundo sudamericano, ¿no?
Sí, Chacarita, un equipo que está en la B ahora, le ganó el Bayern. No, boludo, de verdad.
Bueno,
Te estoy diciendo,
el mío
amigo.
con todos los factos.
No, boludo, pero aparte, así hay un montón de casos que haya pasado, de situaciones de que en Sudamérica realmente. Yo a veces pienso y digo, imagínense si todos los jugadores de cada país que nacen juegan en su país. Es una muy buena pregunta. ¿Cuál será la mejor liga del mundo? Yo creo que la francesa igual. Pero probablemente.
Cada jugador que nace...
Claro, juega en su liga, no puedes migrar a otras ligas. Sos argentino, juegas en la liga argentina, sí, Yo creo que Francia probablemente sea la mejor liga. Porque tienen más jugadores que la demás.
Puede ser que España, Cuidado con la española.
Oye, loco, que este tigre, loco, tiene una adicción con España.
Brother, pero mira el medio del campo y ya. Mira el medio del campo y ya.
Pero Francia tiene a Zidane.
No, pero aparte, pero yo me refiero hoy en día en cantidad de jugadores, boludo.
Platini.
Hijo de Busquets.
Pero aparte en cantidad de jugadores, Vince. Boludo, para vos hay 40 españoles mega cracks. Para mí hay una banda de franceses, boludo. Si te das cuenta hay un montón de franceses.
40 españoles mega cracks. Si
yo,
te cuentas la
yo estaba formando un 11 era. Oye, un 11 te compite, Te compite un 11 español, un 11
Argentina,
francés.
boludo. Argentina también.
Igual,
compite.
un 11 argentino
O
también.
Brasil.
Pero Argentina tiene Maradona, Messi y Stefano.
Es una locura.
No, yo pienso, sinceramente, si hablamos después lo podemos hacer en otro debate, pero Sudamérica contra Europa no tiene nada que envidiar. Históricamente, de verdad, boludo. Mira, ¿quieren que les tire un par de datos de equipos de enfrentamientos sudamericanos con europeos? Para que sorprendan. Van a decir qué pasó acá. Miren esto, Peñarol le ganó al Benfica de Eusebio. Santos de Pelé le ganó al Benfica de Eusebio. Después, Peñarol le ganó al Madrid. Racing de Argentina le ganó al Celtic. Estudiante le ganó la final al Manchester United.
Por lo que sea, él no va a decir de quién era ese Madrid, ¿verdad? Porque nadie lo sabe.
Boludo, de 66, no sé, Will acá debería ser el experto de decirnos qué pasó con ese Madrid, pero bueno, 66 perdió contra Peñarol. Independiente le ganó a la Juventus. Boca al Borussia Mönchengladbach, obviamente esa es la más conocida. Después, Peñarol le ganó la final a Aston Villa. Flamengo le ganó 3-0 al Liverpool. Amigo, ¿ves lo que te digo? Independiente le ganó al Liverpool. Juventus le empató 2-2 por penales y fue 4-2 a penales contra Argentinos Juniors. El equipo de Maradona, del 82, contra Argentinos Juniors, muchachos. Que es un equipo hoy tranqui, pobre argentino, amigo.
Bro, y una pregunta, cuando Brasil ganó los mundiales del 58 al 70, que ganó 3,
sí.
Me acuerdo que todos los jugadores de esa Brasil jugaban en la liga brasileña.
Sí, claro que sí. Obvio que sí, boludo. Obvio que sí. Y Brasil le ganó a Suecia y le ganó a Italia.
Okay.
Todos jugadores de
Top
Brasil.
5 mejores en la liga de la historia. Top 5 mejores liga de la historia. Cobris, dale.
Puesto número 1, Premier League. Puesto número 2, Liga Española. Puesto número 3, Liga Brasileña. Puesto número 4, Serie A. Puesto número 5, voy a repetir mi top 1 porque tengo que equivocarme. Dije puesto número 1, Premier League. Puesto número 2, ¿cuál dije antes?
La Liga.
Ah, muy bien. La Liga. Puesto número 3, Liga Brasileña. Puesto número 4, Serie A. Puesto número 5, Liga Argentina.
Ok. Puesto número 1, sin ninguna duda, la Liga Española. Que suelto otros datos rápido así para que se lo queden. El máximo campeón europeamente de la mejor competición de clubes o en la Liga Española. Y si me vas a decir, bueno, el Madrid, pues te digo del Europa League y también juega en la Liga Española, el Sevilla. Por mucho del segundo. El segundo viene teniendo 3, que por suerte entra el Liverpool, porque si no también está Inter con 3, Juventus con 3, etc. Premier League segunda, Serie A tercera, te voy a decir Bundesliga cuarta y Brasileirao quinta.
Ok, para mí se infravalora lo que pasó en la Bundesliga, porque el tema es que a la Bundesliga le pasa lo mismo que a la Liga Española, que Bayern. Es Bayern y Bayern y Bayern.
No, y
es
no.
Bayern y Bayern y Bayern.
Y no.
Mi top 5 de Liga Histórica, el que no tenga este top 5 creo que no sabe tanto de fútbol. Primero es la Premier League, segundo es la Serie A, tercero es Brasileira, cuarto es Liga Profesional Argentina. Claro, también dice que Peñarol le ganó a quién, le ganó a Peñarol.
Al Madrid, 66.
Al Madrid.
Liga Uruguaya quinta y sexta la Liga Española. Bien.
Yo doy una extra información. Mientras época que se jugaron partidos mano a mano del 30 al 94, 9 títulos para Argentina, 4 para España.
4 1 4. 13. 12. 9-12, señores, gracias a todos los que vieron este video. Le vamos a dejar, lo que tú estás viendo en el medio es el último video que hicimos con la cobra. Bye, adiós, adiós.
Saturday Social brought to you by EA Sports FC with PlayStation 5.
The January transfer window is open. We love this, don't we? A lot of rumours starting, and some deals that have been done as well.
Yeah.
The Saturday Social whiteboard is out. There it is. What is the plan for this item? I'm excited about this.
Very, very simple. We've gone through the week's news. We found some of the biggest transfers and transfer rumours that are said to be happening. You two are going to have the task of saying whether that transfer would be a hit or a miss.
So if it happens.
Exactly. Very simple.
Okay, first up, let's talk about Jadon Sancho to Dortmund. Now, this is progressing all the time. The latest that we believe is that it might be a loan rather than a buy. Obviously, former Dortmund player. Manchester United, Jadon and Dortmund all in conversation. Jimbo, thoughts on this? Do you think this will happen, firstly, and what are your thoughts on if it does?
I think this, yes, I think it will happen.
Yeah.
I think everyone wants it to move forwards, and can't get a look in, eating with the players at this point. So he needs to sort of kick on and play football, and I think if he wants to sort of kick-start it quickly, go to somewhere like Dortmund, where he's obviously knows the areas played, is loved, all those things.
Fans love him there.
It's a safe place for him to go and start again, because he needs to start playing football.
Not in the squad since August the 26th, so it's a long time without football. Of course, Man United have had big injury problems as well, and he's still not featured.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's good enough to, and he should be playing for Manchester United, and whatever's broken down has been a personal issue and between him and Ten Hag.
Should they have solved this? Should he not? This shouldn't even be happening.
His role as a manager is not only is it ensuring that results happen, you've got to manage your playing staff. This situation is ridiculous, and it's part of the reason why Ten Hag should probably be removed from manager of Man United. In my opinion, he should still be out. I think so. I think he shouldn't be there, and that's why a loan option is important. And then ensuring there is an option to buy, because then Ten Hag inevitably leaves.
Would include an option to buy.
I wouldn't. If I was Manchester United, I would do everything to not include any kind of option to buy.
I think so.
If there isn't an option to buy, is that saying something about Erik Ten Hag in terms of his future? Because he's very clear he does not want him anywhere near the squad. So does that put his future in doubt a touch?
Okay. Where are we going to put it then? I don't know. I think that Jadon Sancho obviously is a fantastic player there, and I think he needs, for his own development, given that he's only 23 years old, to be playing football every single week. And at Borussia Dortmund, like you said, he's going to be very, very loved. If he goes there, smashes it, his value suddenly
There's no
right up through the roof, even if he doesn't make up with Erik Ten Hag.
Man United, it doesn't benefit Man United for there to be an option to buy. If they want to sell him in the summer,
I
he's had
agree.
a good summer, then there's no option.
True.
The only benefit
now
is
would be
Dortmund.
much lower than if he had an amazing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have pointed about the price tag, because obviously they bought him for a huge price tag, 73 million. Obviously, the fact that he hasn't played now, his value would be less. So obviously, if he does go on loan and does well, then presumably his value would.
And yeah, you're right actually, and it can't really get any lower, can it?
No,
because he's literally not
It's a hit.
football.
Okay.
I think it's a hit.
I think it's a hit.
Good player. I want to see him playing football. A good player, Joe.
Yeah. Next up,
Might put him slightly higher in case we have two lines, Jim.
Oh, okay.
We'll go to Flav for this one first.
Yeah, next up, and this is kind of almost breaking news. Some people might be waking up and seeing this for the first time. Yeah, hello. No, this isn't Sky Sports News. This is Saturday Social. Timo Werner
could be joining Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
It seems like very, very reliable reports suggesting this is a 6-month loan deal.
That looks like a loan, this one, doesn't it? Yeah.
I don't hate it at all. I think underrated.
Why are you laughing?
I think
there's
it's time.
A lot of people searching their WhatsApps right now, trying to find some receipts.
There are perhaps.
And
Do you agree with Flav?
I talk to Flav a lot, and Flav, believe it or not, doesn't sit on the fence, especially when it's something that he can get his claws into. And I would imagine if I went into my phone and searched, there might be some stuff that we can dig.
All right, I said something in 2020, right? I did say something in 2020 about Timo Werner being a waste of money, right? But that was my job as a Tottenham fan back then. My job now is to look at this in the most positive way. And if the question is Brian Hill and Richarlison for the next 6 months, or the next 6 weeks rather, when Son's away, then why can't he be the answer? I think this is a pragmatic, sensible, free loan with an option to buy, and why not?
It's interesting about this one because we only saw this very quick before we were on air, but a lot of people, Chelsea and Spurs fans particularly, talking about it. A lot of people saying in terms of Ange's system, he can play out on the left, he can play up top as well. So do you think they're almost looking at it, if it is a loan and there's no money that's passing,
6 months,
essentially, there's not a huge transfer fee. Do you almost think there's not a lot to lose here?
What is there to lose? We need bodies. The system that Postecoglou plays is evidently, given the amount of injuries we've had, it does have wear and tear on the squad. So we do need bodies. Son isn't there now. It's an important thing to remember is that Heung-min Son is away, and could he offer something that Brian Hill cannot, and something different from Richarlison up top? And the answer is yes.
Let's ask James what he thinks, not about whether he believes what Flav is saying is true, but what you think as a neutral about this deal.
I think Flav has a point, because the thing with Ange Postecoglou, and I think the players that he's trying to bring in, and we'll get to another one later in the segment, is that he likes people with energy. He wants to play with energy.
Can he press?
Oh, he can press.
Well, if he press, he plays.
Yeah, well, so, and I think if you have a centre forward, he's had it at Celtic, where you have a centre forward who works so hard, and it can create a lot for other players. Also, with the philosophy with Ange, it's about getting bodies in the box, and so as long as he's not the only body in the box, you might not have to worry as much about his finishing prowess. It's more about the energy that he brings to the team. So I don't think there is much to lose. He's not the future, but he could be a good stop. It's a pragmatic sign.
Do you ever hit them?
Yeah.
Okay. Look at that, reacting to news straight away as it happens.
What I will say is there'll be no middle ground. People will go, that's a disaster, or wow, Ange, you've done it again.
Okay, we'll see. Next one's an interesting one, Joe. Calvin Phillips to Newcastle. Only made 4 Premier League sub-appearances this season. That's 89 minutes in total. Forget that he was England Player of the Year only a few years back, wasn't he? Regular for England. But a lot has been made about his game time. Even a fascinating press conference from Pep actually a few weeks back saying about how he feels sorry for him. He rates him, but obviously competition for places.
I'm so bored of Pep Guardiola apologising to Calvin Phillips. Like, you signed him, play him. If you're that sorry, get him some minutes. It's like all you hear, about 4 or 5 occasions, Pep Guardiola's gone, I feel bad about it, I feel sorry for him. Yeah, you should, because you brought him in and haven't played him.
£50 million, sign him.
Yeah, I wonder if the apology is to sort of bump up the price a little bit as well, because he's such a good player, we just can't seem to find.
Do you like the fit in Newcastle though?
So my feeling with the Newcastle thing is, obviously they've had a lot of injuries. I wonder if do they need a right winger a little bit more, or another centre back a bit more than a midfielder. He does make them better, but it would mean maybe Lewis Miley has less minutes. In terms of areas of the pitch where they have enough bodies, that's an area where they do have some bodies. So from that point of view, I don't totally get it. But in terms of a player with energy who is quality, I love him as a player. He does make them better, but I just think they should probably be focusing in a different area if they've only got so much money to spend within everything.
Going back to that one then, hit or a miss, what are you saying for that one?
I think if he goes there, he'll be fine. He'll do well enough. I think he's proven Premier League player. I just don't think they need him more than
I'll put this on the striker. What the fuck?
Don't put a striker.
I think it'd be a hit. I just don't think I need him.
Okay.
Oh
into the hit he goes.
my
I have to say, we're
gosh.
seeing a lot of positivity around the January transfer rumours so far that we've talked about. Next up, Joao Palhinha. What a player. Fantastic player.
Yeah, I mean, always, if you ever go on, stats websites and you can find out tackles and things like that, he's miles out in front. Like the last 2 years with Fulham, it's such a loss for Fulham if he does go. It's interesting because he nearly went, didn't he, in the summer. Great player and good enough for a Bayern.
Good fit for Bayern.
Yeah,
the actual transfer for you.
Yeah, and also I think you've got Kimmich there. Goretzka is good, but I think that's an area where you could bring in a different kind of player, and Palhinha could be that guy, that destroyer that goes and wins the ball, because he's not as good in terms of sort of picking up the ball and starting things, but that's Kimmich's job. So I like it. Is it too much money? He's a little bit older.
The fuck? Why don't I have a better goalie?
According to reports, upwards of £60 million.
Because he signed a contract, didn't he?
Yeah, he signed a contract when the move from Bayern to Bayern collapsed. He signed a new contract, but, you know, some reports saying it's maybe more likely in the summer than January, this one. You're spot on about his stats, though. Most tackles won and duels won in the Premier League last season. Fulham conceded 1.3 goals per game with him starting since his Premier League debut. Concede 2.9 per game when he's missing.
Really?
Huge difference.
Great stat.
No doubt he's an incredible player, and you can understand why they want him. They have just dropped a lot of money on Harry Kane, and they're not. I mean, they're really well run by Munich, but that's a massive investment in January. It'd be interesting. We'll be talking about Eric Dyer, no doubt, in a bit.
When it comes to that,
It may be a stopgap for.
It's another hit for me.
Okay, go on then. Get it out there. It's
a positive start to this Saturday morning.
Great.
No one disagrees with that, though.
I've got to say, great placement from James as well. We're very particular about Joe and I on the show. Next one, we'll come to Flav next. Reveal the magnet, James, because this is one I know Flav wants to talk about. Conor Gallagher linked with Tottenham. Now, he's played 22 of 23 of Chelsea's games this season. Stats-wise, been one of their highest-performing players. Captain as well on many occasions. A lot of people are surprised if this were to happen, because Chelsea and Tottenham don't do a lot of business. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it will happen, personally?
No, I don't think it will. I think Chelsea will end up keeping him, and if there is an option to sell him in the summer, it's the same problem solved. Chelsea do have a situation where they have to generate money each summer because of how much they've invested going forward, and homegrown players count as 100% on the P&L sheet. So selling Gallagher makes sense financially for Chelsea. As a statement, this is huge. If Spurs manage to take Chelsea's captain, that's a massive shift in what Tottenham and Chelsea are as football clubs.
Not their actual captain, though. Obviously, Reece James is their captain.
Sorry, has he not been captain this season?
No, he has been captain this season, but, you know, Reece James is the captain.
But in his absence, who's been captain?
I understand that, but, like, bold statement to me.
If we were to sign him at this moment, he is Chelsea captain. He would be coming to Tottenham. He's good enough to be their captain. He started every game by one.
As a broad idea, it is an odd thing to have, even if he's not the sort of main man captain. Whoever's a captain of a football team is generally one of the top 3-4 players. So for Tottenham to just go and take it,
it's a paradigm shift between what Chelsea Football Club are and what Tottenham have become. And if we can take their captain from them, that is a massive statement for Tottenham. The other issue is no, that's it.
There's other things.
There's nothing else to play. The £40 million is a lot of money, and I think he's a good player. Does
he start for you, Conor Gallagher? Does he start?
If everyone's fit, probably not.
Wow.
It'll be Basuma.
We haven't had one game where everyone's been fit like that.
No, exactly. That is
does get fit, which is obviously going to be the plan.
We've got. It would be him or Bentancur, you'd imagine, that would be competing. Bissouma is our sixth if he's ever fit. Comes back to form, and then you've got Maddison in that three. So it will be, in terms of competition for places, important. Homegrown players also, there's a massive equity in that. And if you look at the ones that are available in midfield, or those that haven't moved recently, there's nothing there other than Conor Gallagher to pick up. And for 40 million, it would solve a lot of problems going forward.
So could this be another hit?
It won't happen, but I can't see anything other. What do you think?
I think if they can do it, it's immense, because it's not an 11 players sport anymore. You need players off the bench, and he has so much energy, and he can play in loads of different positions. If you can do it for 40 million,
I agree with that. When people say where would he play, it's sort of not critiquing the question, it's a valid one, but like no one ever says that when Man City buy a player because they have two good players in different positions. So that's what you want to become if you want to become.
And that midfield at Spurs is constantly moving.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Next one.
Next one. So many hits. Ivan Toney to Arsenal next. Now we have to caveat this with the fact that Brentford have said that we don't want to lose him. Thomas Frank's been very clear. If he's going to be moving, it's going to be for unbelievable fees. Right? Quoted at 100 million. So let's say this is...
Isn't Mbemo injured?
Mbebo's injured, and this is off the AFCON. So let's say this is 100 million. Because I think we've got to be fair to Brentford here and sort of not disrespect them. So
take the price taken into consideration.
I think you've got to, because otherwise we're not going to be talking about Aruba.
£100 million means that he needs to return 20 to 25 league goals.
35 appearances, 21 goals last season. He did score 21 goals for Brentford.
He definitely has the ability to do
Only
it.
Haaland and Kane scored more Premier League goals last season.
He definitely has the ability to do it, and in a team like Arsenal, where he's gets so many chances, he has to deliver that.
Would you pay 100 million in January?
Personally, because of what he's done previously on social media, I wouldn't want him at Tottenham. I wouldn't want him slated off my football club while he played for them, like he has done for Brentford. But Arsenal, I can see it working because.
Those are the thoughts of Flav. James, what are your thoughts?
100 million is a lot. I mean, how many better? Obviously, we haven't seen him for a long time, but over the last couple of years, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
I feel like we watched the game together yesterday. We were chatting about him, and I was saying, like with Declan Rice, when he was at West Ham, there was a lot of people didn't realise just how good he was, and I feel like the same with Ivan Toney.
He's got
a
level.
lot of West Ham fans say that actually about Declan Rice.
And they're frustrated when everyone's going, oh wow, look, he's gone up. And well, he's not. He was amazing there, but you just get a different kind of
Same with
spotlight.
Kane at Bayern actually. A lot of Tottenham fans saying, well, we know this is.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
How many great strikers are there in
Would you rather pay 100 for Tony or a player we're going to come on to later, 130 for Austin?
I think you go Ivan Toney. If you want to guarantee Premier League goals, Ivan Toney.
Okay, so this is another hit for 100 mil.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but he could be the missing piece for Arsenal. That is the thing, isn't it? He's the striker, the guy that you can guarantee goals to get you out of trouble, to be that cheat code when you need a goal. And he really does have everything.
You'd back him for the Golden Boot if you got him into Arsenal.
Do you think Arsenal would win the league if they signed Ivan Toney in January this
That's a
season?
big statement, by the way. You back him for the Golden Boot when Haaland's in the league.
It's close. He's that good.
I would back him for it next year.
All right, is it another? We haven't thought this item through, have we?
Do you know what? If we don't get any misses, then we don't get any misses. But I think we will later on.
Bradley Dragusin for Tottenham, centre-back linked with Spurs, heavily linked, 21 years of age, playing for Genoa. Napoli also linked with him. This has been, every time I read the sort of updates, changing constantly.
Yeah.
Do you think this will happen, Flav?
I think it will happen. I think it's crucial to Tottenham that we bring someone in at centre-back. He's the only one that's actually been linked since to be transfer sort of faded away. I've got to be honest, I don't know a great deal about him before, but I know that he played football with Bentancur and Kulusevski. You've got Paratici there as well. No doubt behind the scenes orchestrating this. If Spurs and Postecoglou want him, then I want him, but it's a risk.
Obviously a risk in that fee.
Yeah, it's not huge.
He's 21.
Well, it's only not a risk if he's good. If it turns out to be average.
Yeah, that's true. Obviously,
He looks good, like in the YouTube videos, he looks good.
Yeah, they always do, don't they? I looked at his stats, and he seems very effective in the opposition box. So from that point of view, obviously that's great to have. The fact that Juventus were having to let him go is a bit of a red flag for
Happy
me.
to let Bentancur go though.
And then it's Genoa who pick him up. That is a bit of an alarm bell. Romanian Player of the Year.
And also, that's a huge markup on 5 million in the summer to 20, 25 million now.
Do you, also, I guess one positive, weirdly, is do you want someone who's going to come in and take Van der Ven? You've got your centre-back option.
Yeah, well,
There really is a backup.
He's a backup, but like they've played 10 games.
Yeah, they're both.
Yeah, the amount of injuries we've got Ben Davies who's just got another hand.
I get you need the numbers, but
let's make a
you want
decision on
someone
this one then, I reckon.
Just to sort of get something over here. So you take it on this. I don't think he's going to change the world. He's not going to change the
Do
world.
what you think's right here.
I don't think he'll change the world.
So the only look, I don't know why I want to help with that, but I'm going to say hit because it's Spurs. But there is a risk with him in that if Van der Ven and Romero do stay fit, that he doesn't get any minutes, and
He
that doesn't
just
mean
get forgotten. That's all. But I don't think. I think profile-wise and him being a backup, I get it. But there's no one there, guys.
No, we've got plenty of time.
Don't fall.
All right.
Right, should we do the next?
I don't see a problem with
Yeah, let's pick up the pace a little bit. We'll go next to Brereton Diaz. Jimbo, you've seen a lot of him Championship.
Yeah,
wise.
Yeah, he's. I mean, he's great if they go back down. He's not played a minute in the Premier League, I don't think. He's a big lad as well on that left-hand side. He's gone to Villarreal and it's not worked at all for them. I like it for him going to Sheffield United. I think it's a good fit there. And what I think it could do, it could facilitate Archer scoring more goals. And so you've got a little bit more quality up there on the left-hand side.
bit part player on a failing sort of Villarreal team.
Yeah, it's not really worked for him. I was listening to a video on him, and he said that generally he doesn't start very quickly at clubs, so that's not great. I don't think he will keep them up, but he'll be great in the Championship when they go back down. And he's big, he's a big lad.
Yeah, 47 goals and 177 apps for Blackburn, but no goals and 20 appearances for Villarreal, so...
He's not really started in
They're only on loan though, remember, so...
Yeah.
We talk about the Championship effects, might not actually see them if he goes back to Villarreal.
That's true, that's true. I don't think he'll keep them up.
Right, then. Is it a hit?
Okay.
Sadly.
Okay.
First miss it is. We'll go to the next one. Eric Dyer to Bayern Munich. This is another one that was bubbling this week. One of a number of centre-backs they're looking at. I did read an interesting report from Thomas Tuchel saying we believe that he wants to get a centre-back that can also play in the DM role, which is why the interest is there. Obviously, Harry Kane's spoken highly of him, but not getting game time for Tottenham. Only one start for Spurs this season compared to 31 last season. Used a lot under the Conte system, not so much so under Postecoglou.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this one, Flo?
Well, yeah, it's a system thing. Is if we're playing a low block, then you find as a squad player for Spurs. Interesting that Bayern Munich would want to bring him over. Is he coming over as we talked about before we started? But
is he the Jonathan Wilkes of Harry Kane? Everyone needs a mate. Maybe Harry Kane just needs a mate. That's going to pop over there. Google it, you young lot.
What the fuck?
If he's he can play as a
crazy.
DM. He hasn't played there for about 4 years, so it'll be interesting.
How the hell you hit that?
One thing I'll say is you know, he's going to potentially go to Bayern Munich, and you know, would be depth. You can look at Ricardo, Kim, you look at Ter Stegen, who's had his injury problems this season, probably fourth choice there. But Tottenham also, like you said, have had injury problems consistently. Is that just another player out in terms of depth, and he's only going there to be depth?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it solves.
What is it solving for you?
In that he's not fit for purpose for Tottenham. There's no point in playing him. In the one game he started against Wolves, and I loathe to criticise him because I'm a big fan of.
You're good for 85 minutes.
This is right. Spurs fans have turned. So many Spurs fans have turned on Eric Dyer. If he's as bad as most Spurs fans say he is, I'm not saying that. That's what most Spurs fans say. Then this will be a disaster.
No, it will be a miss, right? But he's not. It's certainly because Bayern Munich are play open football.
They play just as high line as you, yeah.
Right. So he would, in that system, get exposed. He's too slow to play it.
Okay,
I'm allowed, as a Spurs fan, to say I'm grateful for his service, but he's not quite fitting into this system.
I think Eric Dyer, for the kind of career he's had, gets hammered. He gets hammered by Spurs fans.
All right, let's get him up on the board, then.
You can't say he doesn't get hammered by Spurs.
I think it's okay to critique performances. Hammered is the wrong word.
Right, next up,
who have we got? Victor Osimhen, is it, to Chelsea?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, just signed a new contract, important to point out, but does have a release clause in it, 130 mil.
But again, this is a player that would cost a lot of money, and a club that have spent a lot of money already.
Yeah,
and are having to sell players, reportedly.
Yes. Well, that was it. You know, when we talk about Conor Gallagher, that's the thing that, as much as you're taking the captaincy and changing of the guard, Chelsea they have to sell their homegrown players because you get all the profit from that. It would seem. So to spend 130 million on a guy who is an amazing striker, I think again on paper you would expect it to work. But what about the Chelsea curse, John? What about the Chelsea curse? Time and again it doesn't seem to work. That said, I think that is the kind of striker you want to go and get. 130 million is a lot, though.
Vlad, just quickly, this is the last one we're doing. So.
Yeah, the money doesn't add up for me because of the way the situation that they've got themselves in terms of money committed over the next 8 years or so. But if they can get it, he's world class. One of the best number 9s about. They need Nicholas Jackson the one. So
Gino was a hit. Okay.
If it happens, 100%.
So there we go. There is confirmation of
Jimbo's torn. Jimbo wants to be a miss.
Spend that much money, it could be catastrophic for the club.
Apologies, you want miss, you want hit.
I want miss, I think.
I'll go miss.
Just because if it goes.
Oh, okay.
Just because you can't be spending that kind of money right now.
That was very easily swayed there, by the way.
No, I'm happily
not
swayed.
Because of the player, but you can't be. They can't keep spending that.
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
money. That's not the thing.
And as we say, it's your agreement, your list. There is confirmation. Then we'll have a look at the board of the January transfer / rumours / signings. Who you think's a hit? Who you think's missed? Let us know what you think of them.
Ah, fuck.
Saturday Social brought to you by EA Sports FC with PlayStation 5.
Right, Joe, you can see that our props department have worked very hard to de-rig what was already on the Saturday Social board and put new magnets on. It's the start of the new year. As we have James Walcott on the show, we thought it would be a good time for him to be picking his best player from every age category from 18 to 32, because it's the kind of content we see on this channel. I wanted to tap into your insight, mate, and gain some of that. So hit us with the rules. Hit the rules for this one.
Well, they've got to be the age on the board.
What?
Not the craziest. 18 up to 32.
Good. Thank you for hugging me off. I appreciate it.
Let's start with 18 then. Who you gone for? Best 18-year-old in world flag?
Okay. He is a goal or assist every 63 minutes.
Crazy, isn't it?
Knowledge. Statman Dave's in the building.
Statman James. He is very, very exciting. The only question mark I have around him is the fact that obviously playing for Bayern Munich, you'll get a lot of chances, and he's often coming off the bench. But he is getting minutes for Bayern Munich. You know, you've got Harry Kane coming off, and he's scoring goals. He's super, super exciting. Great finisher. Can play on that left-hand side as well, and run the channels as well. Super, super exciting. You know, getting minutes up top for Bayern Munich.
Rare as an 18-year-old.
So rare, so rare.
Okay, so just to confirm, this is James's list, so we're going to build it out, and then we're going to get Flav's opinion as well.
On some alternates and exactly as we go.
Right, we're going to move on to the 19-year-old. So best 19-year-old currently in world football. Let's have a reveal to the camera. Who you gone with?
I've gone with Gavi.
Okay.
He's a bit of me.
Yeah.
I like Gavi. I like he's so tenacious. He's got a little bit of everything in terms of being able to sort of see a pass, play those passes and assists, and able to wriggle out of trouble with dribbling as well. Small guy, but also loves to sort of crunch through someone, which I really, really like. I think there was the game in El Clasico, and he kept Bellingham really quiet until he just scored a ridiculous goal.
Still Bellingham does what Bellingham does.
Yeah, exactly. I just think he's wonderful. I think injured to the end of the season now, which is a real shame. But yeah, great tenacity for a sort of Barcelona midfielder that you wouldn't expect when you maybe see the outline of him. I think he's fast.
He's already had 111 appearances for Barca in all comps for a 19-year-old.
Yeah, well, some people say that's probably part of the problem behind the injury.
Yeah,
he played a lot of football for such a young.
Yeah, and he's got that. You know, sometimes different midfielders have sort of different sort of attitudes to playing. He's a bit old school in that sense that he does like to get about and make tackles and affect the game. I think he's class.
Yeah, won the Copper Trophy as well, didn't he? Yeah. Best under 21 player, Ballon d'Or. So let's get him up for the 19-year-olds. 20, I think this is where it starts to get a bit spicy, because there are other 19-year-olds you're looking at with the likes of Evan Ferguson and things, whereas at 20, you've got Jude Bellingham, you've got Jamal Musiala, you've got Florian Wirtz.
Pedri in there?
I think Pedri's 21, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the correct answer is Jude Bellingham. We just spoke about him over there. He's the main man for England. He's the main man for Real Madrid. I know it's all come pretty quickly, but I think he's top scorer in La Liga. He's, outright. I think he scored maybe in all of the Champions League games as well.
Yeah,
he's a joke.
La Liga's top scorer, 17 goals and 5 assists. It's his debut season for Real Madrid, ridiculous. And from the 2022 Copper Trophy winner to the 2023 Copper Trophy winner.
Yeah, and for his age to be able to affect games when he wants. And you can see it. I think when you watch him, you can feel that. He can kind of go, I've always said this, he's got a snarl about him that I really, really love. So he'll get a bit, he's in a rush to be great. I love that.
He's unreal. He's
so
unbelievable.
Good.
There's generational talents and there's future Ballon d'Or winners, and he's one of them. Birmingham City fans are still celebrating every goal he scores for Real Madrid. That's how much they love him.
Do you think when you say Ballon d'Or winner, what sort of time frame are we talking?
Can he win it this year?
How soon?
Of course he can win it this year. I mean, it'll be an incredible feat if Real Madrid go far in the Champions League. England do bits in the, I don't know what Wednesday and that. Yeah, England.
Yeah. And it's often in terms of how the voting process works. A lot of the time, obviously, it's an individual award, but it's massively affected by the clubs and the countries that play for as well. A lot of people looking at two of the most informed players now, Kane and Bellingham. England bring it home.
Also,
if England bring it home, Joe.
For him to come into Real Madrid with how established that midfield has been.
Yeah.
Normally in other spheres, when we talk about managers who've been there for ages and then the next guy comes in, they struggle. But he's come in and taken them up a notch. He's unbelievable.
I think everyone would agree with you there. James, great choice. Shout out Musiala as well, by the way.
Stellar year.
Massive fan of Musiala. Let's move on to 21 years old. Now, just to give it context, quite a competitive age bracket. You've got the likes of Pedri, Guardiola, Doku as well. So I imagine this was a tougher one to choose from.
Yeah, you're right. So I had Pedri and this man, Eduardo Camavinga, and I went with Camavinga. This could age badly because I think Pedri's sort of ceiling and ability is just wonderful and vision. He is very injured though, and that is a problem. And Camavinga is generally always available, amazing on the left-hand side if he has to play left back. He can play as a 6, can play as an 8. He's awesome.
I love him.
So well-rounded, and he reads the game brilliantly defensively as well. And then gets the ball and is able to dribble past 2 players to get something moving.
You just know he's going to be at Real Madrid for 10 years, and you know he's going to play consistently because they have these players that are just so reliable, and he's one of them. drop into left back in major games.
Yeah.
And just feel like, all right, yeah, I'll do that, boss, no problem.
Yeah.
6 trophies for Real Madrid already at the age of 20.
And an important part of France as well, who, you know, we talked about England winning the Euros, they'll probably go into the Euros as favourites, really, don't we?
Even 13 caps for France, I know that seems low, but 13 caps for
21-year-old.
For the French team, which arguably has got one of the best squads in world football at 21 years of age, even that's to be applauded.
And yeah, I like his consistency as much as anything. I think, again, Pedri is a wonderful player, but he's just always there. And yeah, he's wonderful.
Cool.
All right,
22, Joe, is another
For me,
competitive
this is one of the most competitive of the whole list. You've got Saka, you've got Kvaradona, you've got Saliba, who may be the outstanding centre-back in European football. You've got Rodrigo as well. Who are you going for?
I'm sticking with Bukayo Saka, and I think this is being done at a moment when Arsenal aren't in the best form. He's not maybe in the best form, but you've got to remember how reliant they have been on this guy for so long. So to just forget that in a couple of weeks just feels incredibly harsh for me. I think he's the most irreplaceable player for Arsenal. I don't think got anyone anywhere near it on that right-hand side who can step in for him. He's played at left back as well. He could play as an 8 if you wanted him to. He can stay wide and dribble with it. He can come short. He's awesome.
It pains me to say it. I think Saliba's almost as crucial as Saka is. There's no world where I would take either of them for Spurs, but if some mental thing happened and I had to take one, I think Saliba.
By the way, I'm a Spurs fan, I would definitely take both. Top player. In terms of ceiling, though, can I just ask? I agree, top player, it's a great shout. Kvaratskhelia, do you think Kvaratskhelia and Saka, in terms of ceiling, who do you think's got the higher ceiling out of those two?
I think
top players.
Yes, I think.
And Rodrigo. Let's throw Rodrigo in there as well.
I think the thing with him, I'd love to see the amount of games all those guys have played. He has played so many games of football. I think he played under Unai Emery for us, so a long time. So I think, again, when it comes to a sort of a full career, it's about consistency. Can he go up to that next level where he's, getting the Golden Boot? I think that's got to be his aim. But I think he can absolutely do that. Sometimes I wonder if he's a little bit too nice. I'd like to maybe see a bit more like ruthlessness from him. But I think he's the best of the lot. I do.
Okay, stick it up.
Put him up there.
26
as well, because if we'd have Rodrigo, we'd have gone.
Good point,
Real Madrid central.
In their recruitment,
9 goals, 10 assists in 26 appearances for after the season. Saka, incidentally. Right, 23 years of age. Again, this is
another Madrid player.
Competitive bracket. Yeah, you've got the likes of Vinicius Junior, Erling Haaland, Phil Foden, Tchouameni, Alphonso Davies. So this is a good competitive.
What you are seeing here is the
category.
Madrid recruit from 20 up to they could have had 22, they could have had 23. Is scary.
Will it be another Madrid player, or I think we might see a City player? We have some other City player.
This is a tap-in, isn't it?
It's got to be Haaland, yes?
It's got to be Erling Haaland. Yeah, I mean, what can you say about him? He's a beast, absolutely. I've been talking about this a couple of times on my channel recently about those cheat codes. Like, who's a cheat code that's going to get you a title? And they're waiting for Kevin De Bruyne to come back, but he is a cheat code as well. And the two of them together are pretty scary. His goals per game is a joke. I think since 2020 he's got a goal every 18 minutes or something. Was amazing at Dortmund, carried it on at Man City. I think the problem he'll have when we're discussing him, it's a bit like Salah, is that you hit such heights, it gets to the point where there's nothing new to kind of say. There's no
those heights.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, he's amazing, isn't he? What, 23 as well?
He's actually got 56 goals. He got 52 goals last season, but 56 goals for club and country in that season, which is phenomenal. Do you think he should have won the Ballon d'Or? Or was Messi right?
No, but I think literally any other year he does.
Do you agree with that, Haaland, for this pick? Tap in for you?
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just a bit of respect on Vinny as well.
I was going to say,
has obviously got bad injury this season, but has decimated the Champions League at times.
I think it won't even be a conversation when they both finish them.
Yeah.
Numbers and things like that. I think.
Okay. 24. Not as many options at 24, but one probable standout.
Probably got him, innit?
What do you mean? Let's not disrespect Declan Rice, who's been one of the best central midfielders in Europe.
Did you say that's what?
Well, got him. I was scrabbling around for any other 24-year-old I could probably bring to this conversation, but
Rafa Leao?
The ones that we look, me and Joe did a bit of research. Rafa Leao's there, Isak, De Ligt, but I think Rice is the standout, isn't he?
I think the fact that he's doing it in the Premier League as opposed to Serie A gives him more credit.
Yeah, I love Declan Rice. I think he's getting better as well. And I was thinking of
misses a game either, does it?
Never missed a game, hasn't missed a game.
No.
He played so many games for West Ham. And remember those years as well. That's those are Europa League years where they got far in those competitions. So every single time, always needed, always ready to step up. He's proven that this year on several occasions. And a better player than people kind of give him credit for, because he can drive with the ball. There's been that stat going around about the progressive passes, which just means he's competent in that area. He can play as a 6, he can play as an 8. I think as time will tell that he's just an awesome player.
Yeah, 184 progressive passes, most in the Premier League season.
I think something like he's not sexy enough. Maybe I don't know the name Declan. No offense to anyone called Declan, but if he's like Brazilian, people would go crazy for him. Yeah. To another level. Yeah, I mean, that's where maybe a bit of disrespect there.
Let's get him on the board then.
Most tackles, interceptions, and passing options for Arsenal Premier League season.
Good luck with 25. Competing with this guy.
Yeah, 25 I think is a tap-in, but as we will, it will give you context of players that you could pick. I think I know you've obviously got Mbappe, which I'm guessing you might pick, but Trent Alexander-Arnold, Victor Osimhen, Valverde, there's a few players, but I'm guessing you've gone with this man here,
yeah. Yeah, so I think obviously only recently, it's 25, isn't it? Yeah.
25, yeah.
So I think Trent was a little bit unlucky there. I think Trent's second for me is probably more the sort of debate here. But yeah, Mbappe's a joke. I mean, the amount of goals that he scored. Excited to see him not playing in Ligue 1 because I think
if that happens, he might stay. I could see him signing a contract extension, given the amount of money that's been
thing. Yeah. But there's a bit of a change for him this year. He's played a bit more centrally, so there's been a sort of 50-50 split in terms of the games he's played centrally or out wide, and his hold-up play has kind of gone up to another level, which is not something you think about when it comes to Kylian Mbappe. I think in terms of who are the best players in the world, he's in the top 3 quite easily. I think.
Yeah. And he was third in the Ballon d'Or, wasn't he?
Second most goals this season of any player in Europe, I think.
Yeah, Harry Kane, just Harry Kane ahead of him in terms of all goals and all comps. Top player. I think we'd all agree with that choice, Joe.
Yeah, 26.
I'm not sure people are like this. I'm interested to know the other nominees.
You've got Bruno G, you've got Lautaro Martinez, Frankie de Jong, Barella.
I think Luis Diaz is 26 as well.
I think that's the outstanding candidate by some distance, given that a lot of people you talk to would say the best centre-back in world football. In fact, we interviewed Saliba, didn't we? And we said he's trying to get to that height.
The best centre-backs, he said currently, Thiago Silva, Ruben Diaz, Virgil van Dijk, and he was singing Diaz's praise.
What do you think, Flav?
Yeah, no, 100%. He gets into any defence in world football.
Some people have sort of been wondering about him a little bit this season in comparison to last season, but last season when obviously won the treble, I think in terms of points per match, he had more than any other Man City player, which shows how important it is for them.
But does that go back to your old point that when a player has such an immense season, they then get judged on that, and it's what everyone's doing with Van Dijk post that season. He came second in the Ballon d'Or. They're saying, but it wasn't as good as last season. He's still playing very well. Yeah. Being judged on your own previous high standards.
True, and then maybe same thing with Van Dijk, where everyone is loving him even more now because they've kind of returned back to that. So yeah, maybe there certainly is something, but very, very good.
Your good friend Flav was nodding his head in agreement with that choice.
And that's all I need.
If you think Haaland and Diaz are kind of stand-up players in that. Actually, like if it's Spurs and you're choosing one, I think Diaz maybe can get them up over Haaland for we might think. So
what an outrageous play.
Wow, okay. 27, you want to chuck a Spurs name in. 27 names available to you here. Sane, Coman, Maddison. I know that you want to shout out for Spurs. You're desperate for Spurs in there. Rodri is also here. Is it going to be back-to-back City? Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone with Rodri. I think Rodri is the right answer. And I think actually when we're talking about Declan Rice as well, just one final thing. He's got a few years to sort of, when you're comparing those guys. But Rodri, I think actually a couple of years ago was good, but wasn't, utterly world class. I think he now is utterly world class. Yeah. Scores goals as well, which is
massive
for a 6 to be doing that. He's just got such a brain on him, and I think he's going to be an amazing manager. Actually.
Yeah, he scores vital goals as well. Massive goals. The final.
Also, we did this stat last week, didn't we, on the games that he doesn't play. Like all of the 5 games that Man City have lost in all comps, he hasn't featured in. Absolutely incredible. Like when he's not playing compared to when he is.
I think he's lost it.
Will his reputation be greater than Roy Keane's when he comes to the end of his career?
Very possibly.
Yeah, possibly. The only thing I think might go against him in that is sort of the narrative around like Keane being the sort of leader. And the galvanizer behind that team, whereas Rodri is almost the understated, orchestrator.
I think leaders are different now as well.
Yeah,
but he is the brain of that team.
A bit like Busquets, I think, but people just don't talk about being the best defensive.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And also when you see all the trophies Man United win, it's the photo of King because he was captain of that, whereas obviously with Rodri, attention often goes to the likes of Haaland.
He could play till he's 39 as well. So
So get him up then. 28 then, maybe a little bit more of a dearth here as well, although one probable standout really in Joshua Kimmich.
Yeah. He's I was trying to compare him to someone. I think he's got a bit more bite than Alonso, but in terms of sort of getting the ball, they're always looking for him at Bayern Munich. The amount of passes he plays, the amount of through balls he plays, the amount of key passes he provides as well. He's an awesome midfielder, and actually probably doesn't get spoken about enough.
I was just about to ask you if you think he's underrated, actually. Because I know we all rate him, but in terms of like the other players you're talking about or on this list, do you think he's a bit underrated?
I think he is. I think he is. I think he's gone through a period of time where Germany have struggled a little bit, and Bayern Munich are maybe not sort of the first team that we talk about, even though they're always up there for being Champions League winners. Of course, he's won that, and he is the guy. He's the league legend of Bayern Munich. He's just wonderful.
Agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Some have to put these up. Talk about him leaving, isn't there? Like recently, bubbling up. Because obviously he's got contracts kind of running down a little bit.
Man City? Put him in Rodri and never get the ball back.
Liverpool were kind of. Yeah, I don't know. Not really. I can't see him leaving Germany, but.
29 years of age, once again. It looks like another Man City player is going to make his way onto the board.
Indeed. Yep, I've gone for Bernardo Silva. Again, incredibly complete. Someone who, again, I think you sort of, I guess if you lined up, you think, is he actually going to hurt you? Jack Grealish speaking recently saying he's really slow, yet somehow he just seems to be everywhere all the time, can play anywhere as well. An amazing sort of brain for that Man City team, and if anyone has a bit of a free roll at times, it's him to go and kind of fix and start things as well. So good.
He's coming off the back of something, he was sort of mooted that he might be interested in leaving Manchester City, and then he's just still performing.
That seems to happen every summer with him.
Yeah,
he wants to go to Barcelona. Never happens. But yes, so good, so complete, so perfect for that system. So many kilometres clocked up as well.
Yeah.
Right,
So there's only a few players that Guardiola trusts to stay a part of his setup over 4 years.
Every game as
and he's there every time, along with Carl Walker.
Do you think by the time he leaves City, he will have surpassed David Silva's legacy?
But I was thinking about that. To lose someone as good as David Silva, and then just to replace him with him. I don't know.
Who's the golden silver?
If you don't, I would say right now I'd say David Silva, just because I actually don't have an answer. I don't know why.
The longevity.
But if the
treble doesn't tip it in his favour.
Yes, it does as well. Yeah.
If you're starting a season and you're building a squad, you're taking him over David Silva.
How important is he? Because there's a lot of Man City players on here. Obviously, Haaland gets a lot of attention. Kevin De Bruyne, quite rightly so. How important do you think he is in this current Man City squad? Because he's been a big game player for them this season.
Yeah, because
for many years.
Do you know what it's about? Often it's about sort of the drop-off rate when you have injuries, which you inevitably have in any team. And so he's unbelievable on the right, or as a 10, or as an 8, or he's played as a defensive midfielder, or he's played as a left back. So it's his ability to fill in the gaps, which is why he probably doesn't have the same star power as David Silva. But why he's so
Let's get him up then. 30.
Next one's a bit of a tap in.
Does even need debate, 30? I mean, the other options here, maybe Edison, but Harry Kane.
Yeah.
What a bit of that.
Amazing, isn't it? Just put it up.
Unless anybody's got a better alternate. I mean, the alternates here are Edison.
Do you think he can win the Ballon d'Or this year if England win the Euros and Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich win the Champions League? Obviously his numbers, he scored more than any other
But by the same conversation you're having about Jude Bellingham, you have to have about Kane if Bayern Munich did it. Yeah, of course. And I mean, it shows you the level of the Premier League when it is a drop down for Harry Kane because he's playing in such a better team. He has all the advantages to do what he's doing this year. I still feel so sad, man. But
we'll move on. Let's go to 31.
Now 31 is a good category. Again, I think I know you're going to pick, but you've got the likes of Salah, which I think you're going to pick. You've also got Alisson, Heung-min Son, Neymar, Ter Stegen. So there's a bit of competition here, but I think I know who you are going to pick.
Yeah, I mean the answer.
Mo Salah.
Yeah, the answer is definitely Mohamed Salah. Again, one of those ones where the ceiling's so high, so consistent. And I'm bad for this. Sometimes if there's a player that I didn't expect to do so well, when we're doing sort of end of year things or player of the season things, you start to forget about Mohamed Salah because when you expect him to score 30 goals every year, always fit. Always. Touch wood. I know he's going to be nervous.
Phenomenal.
So consistent for so many years. He's got to be top 3 Premier League players of all time, doesn't he? You've got Shearer, you've got Henry.
It's in the conversation.
In the conversation. But a tap in for the 31-year-old age bracket. Last one then.
Shout out for Son, but
yeah, last one then. You've gone for KDB and Van Dijk with a battle here, I would suggest.
Yeah, I've got to go with KDB, who I guess is part of that conversation as well. We're talking about those Premier League greats. Could be forgotten about right now when we speak because of the injuries, but I think it was 31 assists last season in all comps. 31. Every year.
Scary thought of him coming back, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and I think that the title race will be decided on not just him coming back, but can he stay fit? Because if he comes back and he stays fit, I can't see Man City being slow.
Okay, sticking on then. There is confirmation of the best players at every age bracket in the world. Enjoyed that, Jimbo. Let us know what you think of that home. They are the players, 18 to 32.
Well, welcome to the second episode of the Obi-Wan podcast, made possible.
Obi-Wan? What the fuck? This one right here.
Huge video this. I am really excited for this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the video that could actually help us decipher who is going to win the league. I believe that whatever business is done in January is going to play a significant effect on who ultimately lifts the Premier League title. Can you do me a favour, just before we get into it, if you like this style of video, will you just give it a like, just so I can monitor it to see if you like what we're trying to do here. And if you do, I'll do more like this. And equally, if it doesn't really resonate and doesn't get the likes, then we will certainly slow down on this sort of content. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. So we are looking at the transfer window as a whole. We have given every single Premier League club the due diligence that they deserve. We have analysed where they are strong. We've analysed the weaknesses. We've analysed the manager, and we've analysed the players that are readily available. We have therefore concluded the player that your club needs to sign in order to have as fruitful and prosperous a second half of the season as possible. Now, we're going to start with Liverpool, and I've given this one a lot of thought. And to be totally frank with you, I am in a quandary because I don't know quite what position they need to strengthen the most. I am torn. I think Jurgen Klopp is a genius. I think the way Liverpool have been playing is truly sensational. They have blown my mind. They are a dazzling team, and Jurgen Klopp is one of the best to have ever done it. However, there is room for improvement, and there are two positions that I believe can be looked at. I'm still on the fence. The two positions that I think we need to look at are centre forward and central midfield. Now, ultimately, Liverpool don't struggle to score goals, but I believe that the profligacy of Darwin Núñez is a problem. The geezer misses sitters, sitter after sitter, and I think that could be a problem. There has been no dramatic improvement. The player that he was when he signed for Liverpool 18 months ago is still the player that he is today. I haven't seen the elevation in his career. I haven't seen the elevation in his performances. And I still believe that the rough diamond, who is full of chaos, is the player that he was when he arrived. Is he ultimately going to be fit to lead the line for Liverpool, for this glorious Liverpool team, to follow in the footsteps of some of the best strikers to have ever done it? Can he, Darwin Núñez, be their Suarez, their Torres, their Rush, their Hunt, their St. John, their Fowler? I'm not sure. We can use a case study here. Think about that game against Newcastle, where Liverpool were devastatingly good. Truly sensational. One of the most iconic performances. A performance, in fact, in which they broke records. XG stats blown out of the water by Jurgen Klopp's brilliance. However, we must acknowledge the performance of Darwin Núñez. It was woeful. People will be kind, people will say that he brought a lot to the team, people will say that he is a striker that can be selfless and whatever else, but let us face the facts. The facts are, he had 8 shots on goal, 5 on target. More than the entire Newcastle team. The geezer didn't score a goal. He himself had a 1.16 XG and didn't score, the highest any player has ever had without registering a goal. Now look, if Núñez can start converting these chances even at a fairly average rate, he doesn't need to be sublime. If he could just put away a decent percentage of the chances that are presented to him, he is going to be a brilliant striker for Liverpool. And Liverpool will win the league. The question is, can he? Can he find that form? Can he hit the back of the net when it most matters? If you believe he can, they don't need to sign anyone else. If you believe that he can't, but it doesn't matter because the weight that Liverpool have in front of goal will ultimately smooth over his mistakes, then they don't need to sign anyone. However, if you think that the lack of ruthlessness in his finishing is going to cost Liverpool the league, surely this is Klopp's one opportunity to put it right. I was so close to saying that they needed to sign another centre forward. And on some level I think they do, but I think they can get away with it with Darwin Núñez, primarily because of the sheer brilliance of Mohamed Salah. The sheer guarantee of Mohamed Salah allows Darwin Núñez to be fairly wasteful in front of goal. Salah is a get-out-jail card. Salah is a cheat code. Salah allows Núñez to miss. And therefore, I think there are enough goals in this Liverpool team. So, to the midfield. Endo, Szoboszlai, Curtis Jones, McAllister, they have all been truly brilliant this season at various points. And Curtis Jones in particular deserves a mention here. He has elevated to a level I didn't think was possible. Truly brilliant, excellent player for Liverpool. Done everything that Klopp has asked him to do and has taken games by the scruff of the neck. He is Liverpool. He is Liverpool's midfielder, and I think he deserves such praise. As does Endo. Again, I didn't anticipate him being this good. I didn't anticipate him scoring the calibre of goal that we have seen him score. Again, it's worked, but I just wonder if there is enough consistency in this midfield. I know that I always bang on about it. Liverpool fans think that I am incorrect because I always focus on their midfield. At the beginning of the season, I said it wasn't possible for them to win the league because of the destruction that happened to that previous midfield. The sheer demolition that happened in one window to the pre-existing midfield meant I didn't think it were capable to win the league this year. I was wrong. They can do it, but I just think that a replenishment in there, somebody to not necessarily take anyone's position away, but just to add an option to Jurgen Klopp as the season progresses, as they go deeper in cup competitions, is the idea of signing a top-tier midfielder who is proven in the Premier League more appealing than signing a top-tier centre-forward. And when you think about what's more possible, I think the central midfielder is more possible. They believe in Darwin Núñez. They aren't ultimately going to replace him mid-season. But could they bring in the player I'm suggesting here, João Paulinho, to amplify their quest for the title? I think so. Therefore, I'm going Liverpool need to sign João Paulinho. Right, next up is Nottingham Forest. Now, I know this is fresh in the memory, but I think their keeper, Matt Turner, is dodgy. Really, really dodgy. And Nuno Espirito Santo has gone in there and changed the culture of the club almost immediately. It is incredible the impact that he has had. Winning away at St James's Park, winning at home against Manchester United is significant. And they are now looking up. Nottingham Forest, I believe, for the first time since their re-arrival into the Premier League, feel like a Premier League club. They are looking up the table, and there is a glass ceiling if they have Turner in goal. We've seen how dodgy he can be time and time again, and in my opinion there is an obvious replacement. The answer to Nottingham Forest woes, the answer to all of their prayers, and the answer to who Nottingham Forest should sign this window, it's Aaron Ramsdale. Aaron Ramsdale is not going to get any game time at Arsenal. Whether he deserves it or not is a completely different question. I rate Ramsdale. I rate Ramsdale higher than I rate Raya, but it's almost irrelevant. He has spoken himself out of an opportunity. Mikel Arteta clearly favours David Raya, and ultimately, for Aaron Ramsdale to have any hope of securing his services in Germany for 2024's Euros, I think he needs to move. Forest could be the perfect club for him. When you think about Ramsdale's limitations, his own admitted words, where he speaks about his own limitations, they won't be under the microscope at Forest the way they are at Arsenal. But Forest are an impressive club, moving in the right direction with some genuine star quality players. Think about Morgan Gibbs-White. He is elite, or at least borderline elite. So Aaron Ramsdale going to Forest makes so much sense to me. Can you see this one happening? Next up is Luton Town. What a club, what a manager Rob Edwards is, and I really hope they stay up. I love the way they play. They feel to me like a modern day crazy game. It's so impressive. I love the two up front. I love the tenacity with which they play. I love the intensity of Kenilworth Road, and I really hope it works out for them. The one quality that I think they are lacking, know-how, nous, experience, proven Premier League calibre players. Just somebody else to do the Ross Barkley thing. What Ross Barkley has done since he's gone into that midfield is very impressive. I think they need a little bit more of that. So you've got to look around. A player that is proven in the Premier League, knows what the Premier League is about, has played at the very top level. Who is that? The answer, I think they should sign Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer wouldn't have to move house. I've really thought about this. I don't think Eric Dyer would have to move house. When you think about where the Tottenham players live, the Tottenham training ground to Luton, very easy commute. Eric Dyer gets no game time at Tottenham. We have heard Ange Postecoglou say the words that he isn't really in his plans. We know that Ange Postecoglou is open to letting Eric Dyer leave. He isn't particularly fussed about keeping him at the club. There is no game time for him. And I think Luton could really do with having a player of his quality, someone who's a fighter, someone who gets stuck in, but also someone who brings a knowledge and a belief to that team. The experience is as valuable as the player himself. Next up's Everton. Everton have done so well this season. They are lacking, though, one particular quality: a bagsman. Dominic Calvert-Lewin cannot keep fit, and the answer is there, staring us in the face. Sean Dyche knows what to do. Everyone associated with Everton knows what they need. The answer is quite clearly Dom Solanke. Dominic Solanke would go to Goodison Park and ping him in, no doubt. He would score in front of the Gladys Street. The Gladys Street would love him. And I think from a club like Bournemouth, despite their own aspiration, I think Everton are a big enough club with enough clout to prize a player like Dom Solanke away from Bournemouth, even in the January transfer window. And you don't know what you got till it's gone when you find paradise. You know that song? That song was written for Marco Silva and the Craven Cottage faithful. They say you don't know what you got till it's gone, but guess what? In certain circumstances, you do know what you've got. You knew when it went that it was brilliant. You knew when it went that you shouldn't let it go, and now it's gone. You can't get it back, but guess what? In the January transfer window, you can. What Fulham need to do is bring back Alexander Mitrovic. He is so obviously suited to the Premier League. We know that he's a guarantee. We know that he will elevate that Fulham team. We know that the fans will love him, despite the fact that it went a little bit sour. I am sure they would forgive him. He would land back in that Fulham team. He would score bundles of goals. And ultimately, it's the answer. Even if it doesn't sit well with Fulham fans, even if it is slightly unpalatable, I know that they don't like the way that he treated the club. I know that they were frustrated with him for what happened at Manchester United in the Cup last year. But ultimately, they sign Mitrovic. They go up at least 4 places in the league. I'm sure they'll make it happen. Brighton. Now, again, I was toying with various different positions here. I thought a defender could come in because they are leaky. They concede goals. They were really struggling, weren't they, at the back? But I think what they actually need is the spark, the creativity. With Mitoma injured, they are lacking. They are lacking that intuition, that clever silk, the originality, the keenness in the pass. Somebody that can do things other mere mortals cannot even see. Who can be their new Mitoma? I think the answer is Emil Smith-Rowe. Smith-Rowe would do so well at Brighton, I'm convinced. I think De Zerbi would love him. We know that there's a player there, and let's face it, the team that Arsenal are today, the options that Arsenal have available, I don't think Smith-Rowe is the answer. If you're vying for the league, are you really going to turn to Emil Smith-Rowe? I think he's a very good player. There was a time fairly recently where Chelsea were linked with him. I wanted him. He's a good player. But is he the best? Is he capable of replacing a player like Gabriel Martinelli to win you the game? My inclination is no. I think Brighton could be the perfect club for him. And I think his career could really be resurrected there. Brentford is so easy, isn't it? 2-2 does make a Christmas cake with regard to Brentford. 2-2 makes a Christmas cake. What am I saying here? Brentford need to. Everyone knows. They need to keep Ivan Toney. It's not about who do they sign. It's about keeping the player that they have that is far and away the best player at that club. Far and away the best player maybe to have ever played for that club. They need to keep him. They need to keep him happy. With him, they stay up. Without him, they potentially get dragged into a relegation battle and go down. That is the significance of Ivan Toney. That is the importance of keeping him at the club. I am convinced not only will he hit the ground running and score goals, but he will elevate the entire tide. He will raise the tide of that club. The fans will rise. They will be galvanised when they see him leading the line. The players will love him. They will be so happy to see him back in that side, and every defender in the Premier League will be fearful of Ivan Toney lining up against them with a point to prove. What Brentford needs to do, and Thomas Frank needs to work his magic, is keep Ivan Toney. Tottenham. Now, it really does hurt me to say this, but what Tottenham need to do, what is best for them, for the furtherance of Tottenham Hotspur, which couldn't ever be further from my agenda, but what they need to do is to sign. It's ridiculous. I'm talking about the Chelsea captain here, Conor Gallagher. Now, that is obviously what Tottenham need to do, looking at it through the lens that favours them, which I'm not inclined to do. But Chelsea have some say over this. Chelsea can obviously not allow this to happen. Not only is Conor Gallagher clearly the best midfielder at Chelsea, but he is also currently our captain. Conor Gallagher has obviously been one of our most important and consistent players this season. His performances have at times been sensational, and he has far outweighed the contribution of the £250 million midfield that were assembled by these idiots upstairs. You can talk about Caicedo being a brilliant player if you like. You can talk about Enzo Fernandez being a brilliant player if you like. I'll disagree on both fronts. Conor Gallagher is, however, brilliant, and somehow, hatefully, odiously, disgustingly, despicably, heinously, Chelsea are considering selling Conor Gallagher to Tottenham. Now, it's actually disgusting that Chelsea would even countenance this. It is hurtful, and it should never, ever occur. But these idiots in charge will consider doing it, because Conor Gallagher represents nothing but profit on our FFP issue. And I'll tell you what, nothing says panic about FFP like selling your captain to a rival, and it's hurtful. It really is. I'll tell you now, a good mate of mine, a geezer that I spent a lot of time with at football. I was in Moscow in 2008 with him. I was in Munich in 2012. He's got 3 sons who all come to Chelsea. His father goes to Chelsea, and the oldest son is now going on his own. Right, he's going home and away on his own. They are a Chelsea family. I got a text message, and I'm going to read it to you to just give you some insight into what this transfer of Gallagher means. I won't set foot inside Stamford Bridge again while they're in charge if this happens. This Gallagher transfer is so pivotal in our history, Will. Even if people don't rate him as a player, what he represents, what it says about our academy, selling him to Tottenham is actually unbelievable. You really couldn't make it up. These geezers in the boardroom are a disgrace. That's how people see this setup. That's what it means to people. But weirdly, it's actually going to happen, isn't it? And I tell you what, obviously, I know that I'm biased. I know that I'm a tribal football fan, but I think that is the point of football fandom. We are irrational. Football fandom, in its very essence, is irrational. And to try and rationalise this doesn't really make any sense, but I'm going to try to. Obviously, everything that I've said about the way I feel about selling Gallagher is about emotion. It isn't about what he'll bring to their team. So let's briefly analyse that. Firstly, we'd be losing our best midfielder, and we'd be losing our captain. So we would be depleted hugely. But think about the team that Tottenham have become. Think about the options that suddenly Postecoglou would have available, rather than having to turn to maybe Sarr or Oliver Skip or Yves Bissouma, who is a liability, by the way. People like to talk about Bissouma in a different way because he had 6 good games at the beginning of the season, but he's a liability. He really is. Sent off far too often, and he costs his team. Suddenly, Postecoglou isn't relying on the likes of Højbjerg or Skip. He's relying on Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher for Postecoglou would be a dream come true. He would love Gallagher, and Gallagher will get an England side going into 2024, I'm convinced. Right, we're now talking about a club, and I have absolutely no idea who they're going to sign, so all I can do is sing this song. Let me tell you, uno, I need a miracle, I need a miracle. Who's that? Sheffield United. I don't know how they survive. I don't know what they need. I don't know what they do. And I think knowing the club the way that we do, the way that it's being run, the way that the owners are feeling about the club, they're not going to do anything spectacular this window. They just need a miracle. Newcastle United, what do they need? Well, they obviously need a new manager. I don't like to say I told you so, but on this one, I did, in fact, tell you so. Eddie Howe, struggling. Who saw that coming? But the player that they are ultimately going to sign, I am sure, it's straight out the copybook of 2 and 2 making a Christmas cake. They are obviously going to sign from PIF-owned Al Hilal to PIF-owned Newcastle United. If that isn't insider trading, I don't know what is. Manchester United. Now this is difficult because they basically need a player in every single position. But the player that I think Manchester United should sign, and like I say, I'm trying to be really fair on this video. I'm trying to see it through the lens of the club, through the lens of the season ticket holder in the Stretford end. Who should Manchester United sign? I think the player that they should sign, and it is certainly the player that Sir Alex Ferguson would have signed when Manchester United were great. The player is Michael Olise. That boy has it. He is sensational. He is Hollywood. He is dazzling. He is razzmatazz, and he belongs playing in front of the Stretford end. Can you imagine the Stretford end singing for Michael Olise? It's so in keeping with who Manchester United once were. The way that they went and signed a precocious young talent from Everton in the form of Wayne Rooney. The way that they went and signed Dwight York when he was doing the business at Aston Villa. The way that they went and signed Cristiano Ronaldo. The way that they went and signed Eric Cantona from their bitter rivals Leeds United, who bought them the Premier League, who bought the Premier League with him from Ellen Road to Old Trafford. Michael Olise is exactly the kind of player that they should be signing. Far better than Anthony, and he has the world at his feet. He is going to be a superstar. Imagine him on one wing, Garnacho on the other, and then all they need to do is sign a half-decent forward and they're away. Manchester City. What do you buy the team that have everything? I've actually got the answer. What they need to do is sign Just Sold My Car to Lucas Paqueta. Just sold my car to Lucas Paqueta. Paqueta is exactly what they need. It would go a long way to smoothing over the mistake of signing Núñez and Kovacic. Kovacic hasn't delivered as I suggested. Núñez hasn't landed at all. I think Lucas Paqueta is exactly what they need. Any more injuries? If Kevin De Bruyne, I know he's back, but if he's injured again, their title challenge could be drastically affected. So they need to make a move, and I think they need to make it fast. Lucas Paqueta is exactly what they need. Think of the silk of that ball. The ball that he played over the top recently for Jared Bowen against Manchester United. He played it over the top, and it is more comparable to a golf shot than it is a football pass. The ball went up and it landed. You know the way an excellent golfer will play a golf shot, and the ball will drop and it will die and it will land perfectly on the green next to the hole. That is what he did for Jared Bowen. He is truly sensational. His contribution to West Ham winning silverware can never be overstated, and I think he is having a season to catch the eye of Manchester City again. I think Manchester City really do need to go for Paqueta. If they get him, it could be curtains for everybody chasing them for the league. 4 in a row incoming, maybe. Right, so with Paqueta going, what do they need to do? They need to find a solution. David Moyes needs an answer. Who is David Moyes going to sign? I've got the answer here. We got a diamond called Ross Buckley, a Scouser who comes from Wavertree. It has to be, doesn't it? David Moyes linking up with Ross Barkley. Ross Barkley playing so well. Surely Ross Barkley could contribute really well to West Ham United. Burnley obviously need to sign Sergio Gomez, don't they? We all know that. Burnley need to sign Sergio Gomez. He has a pre-existing relationship with Vincent Kompany, and he's getting no game time at Man City. Get it done, Vincent. Chelsea. I mean, I barely know where to start with this, but I will go optimistically. I don't even know. Osimhen is the player I'll go for. But I could think of half a dozen players that we need to sign. The problem is, people will say you've spent loads of money already. Surely the job of a good coach would be to coach these players, get the players that are there working already. Mauricio Pochettino signed £400 million worth of players. Surely his responsibility is to get them playing. The problem is, I don't think that we have signed players to amplify the first team. We haven't signed players to improve the first team. So what we need to do is sign players that are ready here and now. And I think Osimhen would be the statement signing that we need. And also, we need somebody who's a finisher. You know, Nicholas Jackson, I don't think he's as bad as everyone makes out, but he is not a finisher. So we've got a problem. Wolverhampton Wanderers, Gary O'Neill, what a man, what a king. He deserves nothing but praise. I love that man. What does he need to do in this transfer window? I believe that what he needs to do is similar to what I said Brentford need to do with Ivan Toney. They need to keep their important players. Neto is so important to Gary O'Neill. He's so important to Wolverhampton Wanderers. There are a lot of big clubs sniffing around him. We know that Arsenal has been a fan of his for ages. So what I think Wolverhampton Wanderers need to do, it's not about who can they sign. We've heard Lopetegui talk a few months ago about the issues that Wolverhampton Wanderers will have signing players. So I don't think we can be too optimistic. What I think Gary O'Neill needs to do at Wolves is to keep Neto, fight off the advances of big sides, Champions League clubs. It won't be easy. Arsenal. Now this is difficult. Again, I really did think about this, and I've actually sought some counsel here. I've spoken to two Arsenal friends. I've spoken to James from EAFC24. I've spoken to Harry Symeou, and I've taken their counsel. I haven't taken their suggestions, but I've asked them how they're feeling about their club. I've gone left field. I've gone rogue. The player that I think Arsenal need to sign.
Bro, what the fuck?
I'm going for Paulo Dybala. There is a £10 million release clause from Roma, and I think this could work. Remember, last year, Arsenal were considering signing Joao Felix. Okay, he came to Chelsea, we know how that worked out, but they have been looking at players like that. They are open to signing players in this circumstance, players of this ilk in this circumstance. So I think Dybala could be interesting because their fans will be so happy and excited to see a player of his quality arriving to back up their front line, that he's experienced. And Arsenal are a young team. A player of his experience coming into the Premier League, desperate to win silverware here. I can see this one really working out. You know, with Dybala, they'll get a player who can play across the front line. Somebody who can play with Martinelli, or someone that can play instead of Martinelli. Someone that can play with Saka, or someone that can play instead of Saka. Maybe even someone who can play with Jesus or instead of Jesus. He is an excellent signing. He would be brilliant for Arsenal, I'm sure, and it would change the whole complexion of that Arsenal front line. It would really bring something new, and a player of that quality, with that reputation, and also with that prestige, with that gravity, with that name, that iconic name that is Paulo Dybala. I think that could be exactly what Arsenal need. Crystal Palace need replenishments in the middle, and I think Calvin Phillips could be the answer. Calvin Phillips needs to get out of Man City. You know, Guardiola has told us that he's just not the answer for him. He doesn't fancy him. There is nothing about Calvin Phillips that works for Man City. So he needs a new challenge. He needs the opportunity to impress Gareth Southgate ahead of the Euros. So what he really needs is Premier League football. He needs a guaranteed start. Where can he get that? I was thinking it could work for West Ham, but then I thought Ross Barkley could be a better fit in terms of replacing Paqueta. I've gone for Crystal Palace here. I think Crystal Palace could be a good opportunity for Calvin Phillips to guarantee himself Premier League starts ahead of Germany 2024. Bournemouth. I've gone for Ben Davis. I don't know why, really. It just sort of feels right. Ben Davis? What do you reckon? Ben Davis to Bournemouth. Just works, doesn't it? Ben Davis at Bournemouth. Like, imagine it. If I was really good at computers here, I'd get an image of Ben Davis and I'd put him in the Bournemouth kit. Just works. Davis to Bournemouth. You with me? Aston Villa. Now, they are such an impressive club, and Unai Emery is truly brilliant. So I'm now thinking of the player that they need to solidify themselves as a Champions League club. And I'm looking across their squad, and they look so strong. There is depth, there is everything that you want, and they have an elite level manager. There is one area that I believe they could do with some replenishments. Partly through injury, partly through just being light at the back in terms of quality. I've gone for centre-half. And the statement that they could make by signing Jared Braithwaite, I think would be huge for Aston Villa. Remember, Aston Villa are a massive club. Euro champions in 82, and the Holt End is rocking again like it's 1982. Unai Emery is bringing the good times back. They need to make a statement, and they need a centre-half. I think the best thing that they could do would be to sign Jared Braithwaite. Right, there we have it. That is every club. That is the 20 Premier League clubs transfer strategy sorted out. You are welcome. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and please do me a favour. If you enjoyed this video, this style of video, just give it a like, just so I can monitor it. Really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.
Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Frank, Stevie, Kieran are with us. We showed a picture of Stevie and Kieran winning the FA Cup during the show to compare to Arsenal Liverpool. Apparently Frank has now WhatsApped our producer a picture of himself just so that we show that, just to make sure we know and remember that there he is, that he did win the FA Cup. So
completely untrue. I never asked for anything. But thank you very much. Oh, I see.
I see my son and my daughter just below me. Oh,
Are they really, Frank? Thank you very much. Just below you there. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, that's my daughter.
Oh,
yeah, look at them. Oh, that's my kid.
That's a brilliant picture, Frank. That's beautiful. Oh, that's. I'm surprised you could find those so quickly. Kieran's here, which is I heard you were late today for the Chelsea game. I definitely heard you were late for the Chelsea game. What happened?
You have no respect for Chelsea, Kieran.
No, exactly. Exactly. Just because it's Arsenal.
I wish I was late. I wish I missed the first half, to be honest.
Well, yeah. What happened? Professional.
Yeah, I slept in.
Wow. There you go. Oh, told to move on. Well, Kieran, Stevie and Craig said in their day they took cup games as seriously as league games, especially the FA Cup. What about your generation? How seriously did you take the FA Cup?
No, we took it seriously. I mean, we won it 3 times. You can't not take it seriously.
All right, Frank.
You know? No, we took it seriously.
Yeah.
We took it seriously. It was especially as a young player as well. It was your chance to get a game a lot of the time because it was such a.
Why do you do that? Just barely.
Best players a lot. So you know, as 18 to early 20s was huge for us. Absolutely huge. Whenever you got a call up to play an FA Cup game, we took it real serious.
It was visually bad to see.
Dan, I'm sorry. Don't you think it's more the medias and maybe the coaches would take it less seriously?
Yes.
You know, where they put most of the time the B team because they don't want to tire some players, and the media they
We're
talk
the media,
about
Frank.
it like
We take it seriously.
No, you are the media. I'm a former player. I'm a pundit. So you are the media.
Yes, but we take it seriously. We led the show with it. We spent 40 minutes yesterday talking about Spurs.
I'm not talking about, especially about you. You're not the media overall. You know, you're one of the guys working with them for the media. But I'm saying that most of people in the press, they don't take it seriously like they used to be. It was a priority before, and like the coaches. They put the B team most of the time. They show to the people that they don't take it seriously enough.
What about him earlier, eh? Sound like Burley. Oh, do we have to do all those highlights again? Have to see all those goals again. Oh, sorry we have to show goals on a soccer show. It was visually bad to see Sunderland-Newcastle match in their striped jersey. As an ex-player, how important is it to get a contrasting jersey?
Oh my gosh.
Do you have any problems with opposition similar to Liverpool kids back in the day?
No, not at all. Never.
What is going on?
When players at one stage used to be able to put tape around the bottom of their socks.
Okay.
So
what the
if
fuck?
if my team was wearing white socks, for example, the opposition were wearing red, but they had all the bottom tape. You know, a lot of times your peripheral, you're only seeing legs.
What the fuck?
You're only seeing. You know, you don't see the whole picture.
Right.
Bro.
So when you see the white,
Ya, tu mamada.
it could make you think that it's one of your own players. So I really hated that. And then eventually they stopped that. You weren't allowed to do that anymore.
Right.
Eventually you had to put, whatever you put on your socks had to be the same colour.
Oh shit.
That's interesting. That's interesting fact, Stevie.
Yeah, refs would stop you in the tunnel and say you've got to take it all off.
Oh yeah, take it all off.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
As far as the strip, no.
Robbie Mustoe tells a story, doesn't he, of when he was playing, he had to ask to be taken off because he's colourblind, and he couldn't distinguish between his shirts and the opposition's shirt. That shirt's a good excuse.
Wow.
That's right, isn't it? Why are you playing rubbish? What about you, Frank? Were there any opposition shirts that you didn't like?
No, that was never been an issue for me. I know that goalkeepers sometimes they thought about wearing something like white or yellow because it made the body being bigger.
Right.
But it reminds me that Sepp Maier, the black, always suited German goalkeeper, was always in dark or always in black, and it was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, it's true. When you want to look big, you normally wear white.
Bro, what the fuck is with these passes?
I remember.
Ronnie Moran is Liverpool's assistant.
Yeah, he was, yes. Well, see, Ronnie would never allow any of our goals to wear a bright yellow or a bright white in certain conditions. Because he always talked about
Esa es.
Liverpool beating Nottingham Forest on a dark, foggy night.
Fuck.
Game, and Peter Shilton had a pure white top on, and he always said the reason that I think Kevin Keegan scored the goal, and Keegan told him afterwards, he said the only reason I knew where the goal was is because I just saw this pure white jersey.
Bro, come on, that was a fucking
So
goal.
Ronnie, from there on,
Jugando conmigo.
depending on the conditions, he would not let our goalkeeper wear a bright top in case it gave them an advantage.
It makes you wonder then, why do goalkeepers wear bright tops?
I don't know. People, I mean, I've heard other people saying, well, then the back four will know where the goalie is. And again, Ronnie's answer would be, you better know
Fuck
where the
is
goalie is.
that,
Otherwise
the verga,
you've got a
bro.
bright top on.
God damn, what the fuck is this bullshit?
All these little things.
So nice.
That's Kieran's fault.
Frank, I didn't think you were on Twitter anymore, but somehow you managed to send in a question. Has Frank ever been approached or worked as a model?
Oh. Not with Bangladesh.
Oh, have you seen my face?
Well, yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Well, I never thought I was handsome enough to pretend to be a model. I'm getting okay, you know. While
yeah, what about the chocolate shirt?
I think I age.
Remember that chocolate thing you had on, Frank?
Excuse me.
The chocolate shirt.
Oh yeah, the chocolate. Oh yeah, that's all right. But you know, it was just for charity. I wouldn't do that every year, you know. So it's all right. And I'm 50. I'm almost 56. So I have to calm down.
Oh, there you are.
That's all right.
Kieran, if you ask for a model?
I could see Frank in some Givenchy or like.
Well, this is the chocolate picture, by the way, that we're referencing.
Whoa. Oh yeah.
What a man. What a man.
What is that? It looks like something from Troy.
Looks all right, Frankie boy.
Oh, there you are. There you are. Stevie's a fan. Nice
The
one.
Viking.
Okay, we're going to move on.
The Viking. Jealous. You're so jealous.
Yes. For Kieran, do you believe a second fresh start can get Timo Werner back to the form of his 2019-2020 season? For that matter, does a second fresh start ever fully work for a position so reliant on confidence?
My answer is yes for Timo Werner, purely because of the manager and the team that he's done.
What's that for?
Just the confidence.
Say it with confidence.
Well done.
I think he is the perfect for a high pressing team, an exciting team, a lot of movement up front. I think he can find his form.
Stevie, would a player like Richarlison lose confidence here in the Timo Werner news, given his current form?
It's possible. Not knowing the guy, he looks quite a stubborn person. So it looks to me as though he'd be one of those guys that would go, all right, you're going to bring somebody in, are you?
Right.
Even though the manager will absolutely have had a word and said, look, we need Lusham and Song. We don't, you know, we need
Pretty obvious.
more players, blah, blah, blah. But still, even though the manager says that to you, there's still a little thing in your head going, what else?
Well, yeah, of course.
So I think he'll be a stubborn type with Richarlison. He'll go, you know what, I'm going to do every single thing I can to make sure this guy doesn't.
We talked about this when hockey goes to Barcelona, how Lewandowski would react. How did you react, Kieran, when someone would come in who played your position?
I mean, you have to see it as a challenge. You have to see it as a challenge. And you also have to see it as you're both playing for the same team as well. So you want to try and get the best out of the team, especially if there's so many injuries in Spurs' team right now. They also might be able to play together. Richarlison can play out wide. Timo Werner's played out wide for Chelsea as well. So I don't think it's like a direct competition one-for-one with these two. I think that they can tinker fingers around a bit up the top. I think that's what he's going to do.
Did you ever see anyone get the hump or treat someone badly that came in? Like, that came in to take their position? Or is that just...
Nah, not really.
It's because, as you say, everyone's on the same page. No, it doesn't happen.
I think with goalkeepers...
Xhaka had a goalkeeper who didn't speak to him.
Really?
Yeah, since he arrived.
Yeah, but that's because it's Xhaka.
Oh yeah, Shaka's so unlikable. Saw a photo of Maidstone United fans sitting in the bushes outside the stadium to watch an FA Cup match. Do you guys remember any football ground where fans can watch a match without actually being in the stadium?
Yeah, wherever.
Rayo Vallecano does it, doesn't it? In Spain, obviously, you've got the block of flats.
You used to be able to do it at Ibrox in Glasgow,
right?
Just when they were bringing the stadium up to new standards, there were gaps between the side and the back,
yeah.
So people could actually, for a little spell. But I'm trying to remember. Generally, it's lower league clubs, so when you see that happening. I'm trying to think. There are a few though.
Yeah, there are a few around. Frank,
I think.
Yes, two clubs. One I played for is Toulon when I was in the academy. Or when you have the Stade Mayor, you have the running team of Toulon playing. You have the big building, and some people are renting the flats for big European game when Toulon plays against most of the time English big clubs in France. And also Guingamp, I remember playing with Marseille. Whereas Guingamp, you have like two kind of flats on the side where they're not that high, but because you have no steps on the corner, people they can go on the balcony and watch the game. It's really amazing. It's funny.
nice freebies. Kieran, if Stevie wins the bet at the end of the season, the bet, of course, is that Manchester City will win the league over Arsenal. How will you pay him? Would it be a bag of 5,000 coins, a $50 bill, or 50 singles?
Oh, definitely 50 singles. I might even give him cents.
Yeah, that's what he gave me.
Yeah.
He gave me. I've still got the big bag at home.
I'm gonna go 5,000 coins.
Yeah, 5,000 coins.
Yeah, look, ball.
There you are. Stevie would take that.
Make it 10,000 if you want.